Hey guys. This is part 6 of What If Naruto Was the Heir of the Senju clan. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and don't forget to check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 21 Mother's Fury. Pervious on hope of the Senju clan. If it's alright with you, Naruto-kun, we would like to accompany you until you rendezvous with your team. Although I appreciate the offer, Haku-chan, I can't ask you to do that, said Naruto. You do not need to worry, Naruto-kun, because you do not need to ask. Besides, you're still recovering from the effects of the seal and forcing it back, hence you aren't at full strength, replied Haku with a smile. At this, Naruto could only sigh, as he knew he could not argue with Haku, since when it came to certain things she was as stubborn as a mule, where she wouldn't take no for an answer. Plus, he was in no frame of mind to argue with Haku. Not to mention he had to admit he could do with some help, should Sasuke get out of hand with the cursed seal. Well, since you recovered now, I think we should give you this, stated Saito, as he handed Naruto the earth scroll that Orochimaru left to Naruto after he had marked him. But don't you guys need it? Asked Naruto, where Saito shook his head. We have the other scroll needed, besides you need it more than we do, since you have to get 3 more scrolls, said Saito, where Naruto just nodded his thanks. After a few minutes, Naruto, Haku, Saito and Chojuro decided to move out and start looking for the members of Team 7. With Sakura and Sasuke as the early morning dragged on into the afternoon, Sakura struggled to keep herself awake, as she had been up most of the night keeping watch over the unconscious Sasuke with Sai. They had of course tried to take turns in keeping guard, but Sakura found that she couldn't get any sleep as she kept having nightmares of Orochimaru, and how close they had been in being killed. She also couldn't help but worry what happened to Naruto. Even though they didn't get on too well, that didn't mean she wanted him to be killed. When morning broke, Sai told her that he was going off to try and find Naruto, and that he would be back in a couple of hours. It was then in mid-afternoon that Sakura's exhaustion had gotten the better of her, where she finally nodded off. Seeing this, the Odo team that Orochimaru had sent to test Sasuke and Naruto, after they had their curse marks placed on them, attacked. The team had tracked down Sakura and Sai not long after they had escaped Orochimaru and kept hidden from them until Sakura and Sai stopped, where they then watched over them until the time was right. When the Odo team attacked, they triggered some of Sakura and Sai's traps, but easily evaded them, where they prepared to kill her. Fortunately though, before the Odo team could kill Sakura, Rock Lee arrived and forced the Odo team back. He then engaged the team leader Dosu, where thanks to watching Dosu and his team attack Kabuto earlier, Lee knew he had to keep his distance from Dosu because of his melody arm. Sadly though, that had also put Lee at a disadvantage, given how he was strictly a taijutsu user and was forced to use his omote range, Front Lotus, in the hope of taking Dosu out quickly. Unfortunately, Lee's attack failed, as Dosu's teammate Sakura interfered, where Lee's attack did little damage to him. After which Dosu struck back at Lee and used his melody arm against Lee, whose body was fairly worn out from using the omote range. Even after being hit by Dosu's melody arm, Lee continued to try and defend Sakura and Sasuke, but given the damage he took from Dosu's melody arm and from using omote range, there was little he could do. He was eventually knocked out by Dosu, when the Oto Genin made a direct hit on him with his melody arm. After Lee had been defeated, Sakura tried to defend both Sasuke and Lee by herself, but despite her best efforts she was easily overpowered. During the course of the fight she was caught by Kin, who caught her by using her hair, where she then demanded Sakura tell them where Naruto was. Sakura of course answered that she didn't know, whereupon hearing this, Kin stated that Sakura was then of no use to them and prepared to kill her. But before she could, Sakura cut her long hair short, and freed herself from the Odo Kunoichi Kin, only to be then quickly caught by the Odo Kunoichi again. But just when Kin was about to finish off the pink-haired girl, Team 10, who were hiding in the tree line watching the battle, arrived. Together the 3 genin were able to push the Odo genin back and held their own against them. They even captured the Odo Kunoichi Kin, where Ino took possession of her body. As the battle continued, Lee's teammates Hyuga, Niji and Tenten arrived, where they prepared to enter the fray for what Dosu and his team did to Lee. But before any of them could enter the battle, they suddenly noticed the large pulse of dark chakra emanating from Sasuke, which had been slowly growing during the battle. When everyone finally took notice, they saw Sasuke standing up, surrounded by dark chakra and with markings covering his body. It was upon seeing this that Dosu realized that Orochimaru had placed his cursed seal on Sasuke and that he and his team stood no chance of beating Sasuke with the cursed seal helping him. But before he could order his teammate Sakura to pull back, his teammate attacked and tried to kill both Sakura and Sasuke with his Zankokyakua, extreme decapitating airwaves. Unfortunately though for Zaku, Sasuke was able to evade the attack, while carrying Sakura to safety at the same time. After which he easily defeated Zaku, with his Katan, Hozenka no Jutsu, fire style, Phoenix Sage fire technique, combined with Shuriken and his newly enhanced speed from the curse mark, where he then dislocate both Sokka's arms. When those watching the battle saw this, many of them couldn't believe the brutality that Sasuke was showing. Those who knew Sasuke, like Team 10 and Sakura, were of course frightened by all this, especially when they saw the dark sadistic look on his face. This was only highlighted by the dark aura that was surrounding him along with the markings covering his body and his Sharingan being activated. After defeating Zaku, Sasuke then turned to Dosu, who immediately took a step back in fear when he saw Sasuke looking at him. When Sakura saw this, she knew that there was something wrong with Sasuke and it had to do with the mark that Orochimaru had placed on Sasuke yesterday. But just when she was about to run over to Sasuke and stop him, the young Uchiha heir was forced to jump away, when he saw a gleam of light from his left, along with a fast-moving blur. After avoiding the blur, Sasuke quickly turned to see who his assailant was, where he narrowed his eyes with annoyance, when he saw that it was his part-time teammate Senju Naruto, who had now turned around to face him with his katana in hand. "Naruto!" cried Sakura with both surprise and relief, at seeing the young blonde alive and safe. "Naruto-kun!" cried Ino delight, at seeing her crush, as when she and her team were watching Sakura and Sai guard over Sasuke and saw no sign of Naruto. She had become worried that something may have happened to her crush. It was then, after Naruto arrived, that three more people appeared. The first was Saito, who came up behind Dosu, without the Oto Genin knowing, and held his katana against the young Otonin's throat from behind. After which he then told Dosu not to move a muscle, which Dosu wisely obeyed, knowing he couldn't escape. The other two people to appear were Chojuro and Haku, who quickly appeared in front of Sakura and Team 10. At seeing Haku and her team, both Sakura and everyone else were naturally surprised and slightly confused at the Kiri team accompanying Naruto. "Haku?" spoke Sakura in surprise, when she saw the female Hayatan user. "Greetings Sakura-san, I am pleased to see you that you're okay," replied Haku, as she glanced slightly back at Sakura, while at the same time keeping a close eye on Naruto and Sasuke. "What are you doing here with Naruto?" asked the pink-haired Kunoichi. "You need not worry Sakura-san, we're here to help. My team and I came across Naruto-kun when we were making our way to the tower, where we treated him and then accompanied him here." Upon hearing this, Sakura let out a sigh of relief, since with Haku and her team's help, they would able to stop Sasuke from going out of control anymore. "Kiri Shinobi! What are they doing here and why would they be with Senju?" thought Niji curiously, since he found it strange that the Kiri team were helping one of their rivals in this exam. "So you finally decided to show up, Senju. You always did have a flair for the dramatics, waiting until the last minute to save the day. But it seems that you brought company as well," commented Sasuke, where he glanced at Haku and her teammates. Naruto of course ignored Sasuke's comment, where he just narrowed his eyes and stared at Sasuke, whose body was covered in the curse markings and surrounded by a dark sickly aura, which was no doubt caused by Orochimaru's curse seal. "Sasuke, stand down, the battle is over, you've won, there's no need to kill them," spoke Naruto, as he tried to get Sasuke to see reason, even though he knew it would most likely not work. And just as Naruto feared, Sasuke did not stand down. In fact, he just smirked at Naruto's request. "Stand down?" asked Sasuke in mock surprise. "And why should I do something as foolish as that, after what they did to Sakura and how they tried to kill me? They wouldn't have shown us the same mercy if we were in their position. Because you aren't in the right frame of mind, Sasuke. The mark is affecting your mind and is corrupting you, turning you into something dark and foul just like him," stated Naruto. This of course got many confused looks from everyone observing Naruto and Sasuke, minus Sakura, Dosu, Haku and her team, who knew what Naruto was talking about. "Affecting me?" declared Sasuke with a half-laugh. "The only thing that this seal is doing to me is making me more powerful, as I've never felt so strong in my life. With this power helping me, I can finally achieve my revenge and kill him. Sasuke, I know right now you may feel invincible, but trust me, the power you're feeling is wrong, it's evil, let it go," Naruto said. Huh! If I didn't know any better, I would think you were scared of my new power, spoke Sasuke with a cocky-looking smirk. I am scared of that power, and it's because I know what I'm talking about. I was given the same thing, Naruto replied as he pulled the bandages that Haku placed over the seals slightly, allowing Sasuke, Sakura, Dosu, along with Haku and her team to see his seal. After seeing this, Sasuke's eyes narrowed slightly, while Sakura and Dosu's eyes widened in surprise. He's got the mark just like Sasuke-kun, thought Sakura in surprise. He has the curse seal as well, thought Dosu in shock, as he finally understood why he and his team were sent after Sasuke and Naruto. Originally, when they found Team 7 and saw no sign of Naruto, they assumed that he had been killed in the forest or had somehow got separated from them. Hence they attacked Sakura and Sasuke in the hope of getting one of their targets, while getting Sakura to tell them where Naruto was. But now, seeing that Naruto had the curse seal like Sasuke, he realized that Orochimaru had only sent him and his team to test Naruto and Sasuke should they survive the curse seal and use them as guinea pigs. So trust me when I say that power isn't worth it, as it will turn you into something dark like Orochimaru. Believe me, I know, said Naruto. I don't care, cried Sasuke. You may be afraid of this power and not willing to use it, but I'm not. I am an Avenger, and as long as it helps me get what I want, I don't care about the consequences afterwards. When Naruto heard Sasuke answer, he knew that there was only one other course of action left. Well, if you aren't willing to listen to reason, then I just have to beat some sense into, replied Naruto, as he got into a fighting stance and prepared to fight the young Avenger. When Sasuke saw this, a predatory smirk appeared on his face. That's fine by me, since to be honest, Senju, from the moment I first saw what you could do, I've wanted to fight you, and with this new power that I have, I'll defeat you and be one step closer to achieving my goal. After which the young Uchiha Heir took out and kunai and fell into a fighting stance of his own. For the first few moments, the two heirs of the founders of Konoha stood opposite one another, waiting for the other to make the first move. While at the same time, those who were watching the two heirs stayed silent as they waited for the fight that was to come. Although two particular shinobi were watching the two genin with greater interest than everyone else. The first was the Hyuga Niji, the proclaimed prodigy of the Hyuga clan, who was eager to see what two of his greatest rivals in this exam were capable of. The second was another shinobi hidden in the tree near Niji and Tenten, who remained undetected from everyone else. After a minute or two of waiting, both genin decided they had waited long enough and charged forward at one another at the exact same time with impressive speed, where they quickly clashed with the individual blades. For the next few minutes, the two teammates fought each other in a fierce battle, where each tried to hit the other with their bladed weapons, although neither was able to get the upper hand over the other. As the battle continued, Naruto was able to push Sasuke back a bit, where he fired the last of his shuriken at Sasuke, who easily deflected them and skillfully caught a few others before throwing them back Naruto, who in turn skillfully deflected them with his katana, while making sure that none of them hit anyone else who was watching the fight. After deflecting all of the shuriken, Naruto quickly realized that the shuriken were just a distraction, for when he looked up at Sasuke, he saw Sasuke finishing some hand seals before taking in a deep breath and exhale a large ball of fire, which then flew towards the blonde Senju. Knowing he couldn't avoid the large ball of fire at him, Naruto quickly channeled a large amount of his wind chakra into his chakra and swung it in a vertical slash and cried out, "Surashifu, wind slash! What is that technique?" thought the Hyuga prodigy with surprise, when he saw the crescent-shaped blade of wind erupt from Naruto's katana. The blade of wind continued to fly towards the large fireball, with tremendous speed, where it cut right through the fireball, splitting it in two, causing it to quickly dissipate. "Huh! But how?" spoke Tenten in surprise. "Guy-sensei told us that when certain elemental jutsu go against one another, the element that has the advantage will win, and fire is supposed to be stronger than wind." "That is not what he exactly said, Tenten," stated Niji with a slight frown. "Guy-sensei actually said that they would normally win, but there are exceptions, where elemental techniques can overpower other elemental techniques that would normally have the advantage over them. Such as if they were at a higher level than the other, or if the user puts a larger amount of chakra in his or her technique than his opponent does, and given what we've just seen, Senju's technique is at a much higher level than Sasuke's." After seeing Naruto's Surashifu cut his fireball in two and then continue towards him, Sasuke quickly jumped out of the way of the crescent wind attack, narrowly avoiding it, where it made a deep gash in the massive tree behind him. Once he had dodged Naruto's attack, Sasuke then quickly countered by creating several small fireballs and cried out, Katan, Hozenka no Jutsu, where he then sent the fireballs at Naruto, who in turn stabbed his katana into the ground and did his own scent of seals and spat out several large blasts of water which hit the small fireballs dead on and extinguished them. But what Naruto was unaware of was hidden in the flames were shuriken, much like what Sasuke did earlier when he fought Saku. Seeing them, Naruto knew he couldn't block them all in time, given how close they were to him, leaving only one option: dodge them. Acting quickly, Naruto grabbed his katana and tried to move out of the shuriken path. Unfortunately, though, Naruto couldn't avoid them all, where he received a large shallow cut on his left arm and another on his left leg. But even after receiving so little damage from the attack, Naruto was still annoyed, as normally he could have avoided those shuriken despite how close they were. But given how he had not fully recovered from his own experience with the cursed seal, his reaction time, speed and stamina were not as they used to be, leaving him at a further disadvantage. Since unlike him, Sasuke was intent to kill, there was also the fact that Naruto was also holding back since he didn't want to reveal too much of his abilities to those who were watching them. After avoiding the shuriken, Naruto prepared to counter with an attack of his own, but before he could, Sasuke appeared in front of him and delivered a powerful kick to Naruto's ribs on his left side and set him tumbling for several meters on the ground. After being set tumbling across the ground, Naruto struggled to pick himself up and gripped his side in pain, as Sasuke had kicked him in the ribs, which had been bruised when he fought Orochimaru. As Naruto tried to pick himself up, Sasuke once again appeared next to him and kicked Naruto in the side again, seeing that Naruto was hurting a lot from the kick in the side. "What's wrong, Senju? Don't tell me that is all you got," said Sasuke with sneer after he kicked Naruto, who landed on his back and grunted in pain from his bruised ribs being kicked. After Naruto turned on his back, Sasuke then decided to continue with his beating of Naruto, where he raised his right foot and prepared to stomp his foot down on Naruto. Sakura and Ino of course cried out to Sasuke to stop, but sadly the young Uchiha ignored their cries and prepared to stomp his foot down on Naruto. But just as he did, Naruto caught Sasuke's foot and threw the Uchiha away from him, where Naruto then focused himself up and ignored the pain coming from his ribs. After being thrown away by Naruto, Sasuke quickly did a mid-air flip so that he would land on his feet. Once he landed on his feet, he saw Naruto charging towards him with incredible speed and his katana thrust forward. 2. Seeing this, Sasuke continued to run straight at Naruto, but before Naruto's attack could hit him, he used his high speed to disappear in a blur right before Naruto's eyes, and reappeared behind his exposed back, kicking him right in the back, sending the young Senju Heir flying forward. But despite being caught off guard, Naruto quickly recovered by bringing his left hand forward and flipping himself over to land back onto the ground, where he then spun around and charged at Sasuke, who in turn prepared himself for Naruto's next attack. Once Naruto was close enough to Sasuke, he then swung his katana that was in his left hand in an upwards diagonal slash, which Sasuke saw with his Sharingan and brought his kunai, which he was still carrying, up to block it. But much to his surprise, instead of Naruto's katana hitting his kunai, all Sasuke saw was Naruto's left hand moving past him and then an immense pain in his left side, where he was then sent flying several meters away. After being hit, Sasuke slowly picked himself up off the ground and held his left side at pain, as he was certain a rib had been cracked by that hit. After he picked himself up, he looked up and glared at Naruto. When he did, he then noticed that Naruto's sword was now in his right hand. It was then when he saw this, he realized that Naruto had somehow switched his katana from his left hand to his right when he was swinging it, making the first swing a fate, leaving him, Sasuke, open to the real attack. Sasuke also guessed that Naruto had also hit him with the back of his blade, otherwise he wouldn't be alive to realize the. "So I guess that was another one of your Genjutsu techniques that your sensei Kushina taught you," commented Sasuke, as he remembered Naruto mentioning the sword style that he was learning from Kushina when they were in Nami no Kuni, Wave Country. "Correct, that was the Mizu no Atsuen, rolling water, technique of my sensei's Arasujin no Mai, dance of raging water goddess style," replied Naruto with a slight smirk. Since he was quite pleased with himself, as he had finally perfected Mizu no Atsuen, where he had switched his katana from his left hand to his right in an instant. Where even if Sasuke had seen what he had done with his Sharingan, his body would not have been able to react in time. 3. Soon enough though, Sasuke recovered and threw several shuriken at Naruto, who of course deflected them and then spun around to block Sasuke's sneak attack from behind, where he tried to stab Naruto in the back with his kunai. As the two of them struggled for dominance with one another, Naruto suddenly pulled his katana back, catching Sasuke off balance, where he then passed his katana from his right hand to his left from behind his back, and then hit Sasuke in his unguarded right side, cracking another of his ribs and sending the Uchiha stumbling sideways a few feet away. Sasuke of course quickly recovered despite his new injury, where he once again glared at Naruto angrily, as he had once again fallen for another of Naruto's Genjutsu techniques. Naruto on the other hand just smirked, as he was quite pleased with himself at preforming Nagarara Mizu, following water, so perfectly, since Kushina had taught him the technique right before he entered the exam. Having enough of Naruto's Genjutsu tricks, Sasuke decided to strike back by using his enhanced speed from the cursed seal to appear on Naruto's left side and kicked in the ribs again, knowing that Naruto was injured there. After being kicked by Sasuke again, Naruto was sent flying through the air, but before he could recover, Sasuke appeared right above him and delivered a powerful falling axe kick on Naruto's chest, that sent Naruto straight down into the ground and making Naruto scream in pain. "Naruto-kun!" cried Ino in fear at seeing Naruto being slammed into the ground by Naruto. "Naruto!" thought Sakura with worry, as she feared that Sasuke would kill Naruto. Fortunately though for Naruto, after the many years of dodge training and taijutsu training with his mother, Naruto had developed a high tolerance for pain. Hence he had been hit with a lot harder kicks than the ones Sasuke hit him with, but as he lay on the ground he could not help but feel frustrated at how he was letting Sasuke beat him around like a punching bag. Since if he could use his Mokuton bloodline, he was certain he could beat Sasuke and have him restrained by now. But unfortunately he couldn't afford letting others like Team 10, Haku and her team and Lee's team learning about his bloodline, at least not yet. Not to mention Sasuke was intent on killing him, while he was trying to take down Sasuke without hurting him too badly. As Naruto lay unmoving on the ground with his eyes closed, Sasuke stood over his with a victory smirk on his face. "Well, it looks like you're finished, Senju, although I have to say I'm disappointed, as I had hoped you would make for a better challenge," spoke Sasuke. But as soon as he had said this, Naruto suddenly opened his eyes and spun around and did a leg swipe, kicking Sasuke off his feet and causing him to fall on his back. "He's quite durable," thought Niji, surprised, as he was certain that Naruto would be finished after taking Sasuke's last attack. But despite Naruto catching him by surprise, Sasuke quickly recovered, where he jumped back onto his feet and smirked at Naruto. "Not bad, Naruto, but still not good enough, so you might as well give up now and save yourself a lot of pain. Since with his power you can't beat me, at least not in the shape you're in now," said Sasuke. "I wouldn't be so sure of that, Sasuke," replied Naruto with a knowing smirk, which made Sasuke frown. But before he could comment on it, Naruto suddenly took out all his smoke bombs and smashed them onto the ground, filling the area with smoke. Although this wasn't ordinary smoke, for mixed in with the smoke was pepper powder, which filled the smoke-filled area, blinding Sasuke. "Aha! My eyes!" cried Sasuke in pain, as his eyes started to burn from the powder and was forced to shut them, after which he then started to cough repeatedly as his throat started to burn as well. With Sasuke blind and distracted from the smoke pepper bombs, Naruto, who was holding his breath and had his eyes closed before he released the smoke pepper bomb, used his Chakura no Purusu, chakra pulse, to locate Sasuke in the cloud of smoke. "What was that?" thought Niji from up the tree and outside the cloud of smoke, where he saw a large pulse wave erupt from Naruto after he touched the ground with his two front figures. Since he had used his Byakugan to see what was happening inside the cloud of smoke, when Naruto smashed the smoke pepper bombs. Once Naruto had located Sasuke, he quickly sped towards him at high speed and delivered a powerful rising kick to Sasuke's chin, which sent the young Uchiha flying up into the air and out of the cloud of smoke. Naruto then quickly followed after Sasuke, where he appeared right above Sasuke with his legs stretched out, where he cried out, "Gekikyaku, hammer kick! B!" and delivered a powerful blow onto Sasuke's chest which sent him hurtling to the ground. "That's like one of Lee's moves," stated Tenten in surprise, when she saw Naruto's Gekikyaku. Obliviously, Senju Naruto mimicked one of Lee's moves after watching him and Sasuke fight before the written exam, commented Niji after he saw the move. When Sasuke hit the ground, he made a small dent in the ground and was then sent tumbling across the ground for several feet, before coming to a stop when he hit a large tree. As the smoke slowly blew away in the gentle wind, Sasuke slowly picked himself up and used the tree that he hit as leverage to help him keep steady. At the same time, Naruto gracefully landed on the ground, where he then threw his last few kunai at Sasuke. The young Uchiha heir of course couldn't avoid the shuriken, since he was still blind by the pepper powder that was in his eyes, although even if he could, given the damage he took from Naruto's Gekikyaku, it was unlikely he could have avoided them in time to begin with. But fortunately though for Sasuke, Naruto's goal was not to kill him, but to restrain him, where the kunai flew right past him and the ninja wire that Naruto had tied to the shuriken wrapped itself around Sasuke, tying him tightly to the tree behind him and preventing him from moving. What's going on? Cried Sasuke with confusion as he still couldn't see, but felt himself be restrained by the ninja wire. I'm sorry Sasuke, but this is for your own good, said Naruto, before he took out a senbon needle and threw it at the restrained Sasuke, where it hit a certain point of Sasuke's neck that put him into an unconscious state. Once Sasuke was put into his unconscious state, the curse marking around his body started to recede back into the curse seal. Seeing this, Naruto knew the battle was over and let out a tried sigh and held his left side in pain, as it still hurt. But he quickly pushed it to the back of his mind, as he didn't want to show any weakness right now. Even if his fight with Sasuke was over, he still had some possible enemies to deal with. Sasuke-kun! Cried Sakura as she raced over to the tied-up and unconscious Sasuke. When she reached him, she saw the needle in his neck and quickly turned to Naruto. I is Sasuke-kun da-, spoke Sakura with fear but was interrupted by Naruto before she could finish. No, I hit Sasuke in a certain spot that put him in a sleep-like state, similar to what Haku did before, and as long as that needle stays in him he'll stay like that. So for now I think it would be best to keep him like that, replied Naruto, with a tried sigh. Sakura just nodded at this, as she was relieved that it was finally over and that Sasuke and Naruto weren't badly hurt. At the same time, Dosu, who was still held by Saito, just stared at Naruto with awe and slight fear. Unbelievable, he was actually able to defeat the Uchiha, despite him having the curse mark, and he didn't even have to rely on his own to do it, thought Dosu. He's clearly no ordinary genin. Soon enough though, Dosu's focus turned fully to Naruto, who had now turned to him and Saito and was walking towards them. After which Naruto then pointed his katana directly at Dosu's face, making the Otonin very nervous. If you value your life and the lives of your teammates, you will accept the offer I'm about to make, spoke in a cold and serious tone. This of course surprised those that knew Naruto, since they never heard him speak like that to anyone. What sort of offer? Asked Dosu as he did his best to remain calm and show no fear, despite the situation he was in. You'll hand over your scroll to me and in return we'll allow you to leave with your team peacefully, answered Naruto. And what would happen should I refuse this gracious offer of yours? Asked Dosu. At this Naruto did not answer, but gave Dosu a look that would have made even a Chunin take a step back in fear. When Naruto stared right at the Dosu, the Otonin couldn't mask the fear in his one revealing eye this time. As the look Naruto was giving him told him that Naruto wasn't someone to be trifled with, and given what the Otonin saw when Naruto fought Sasuke, it didn't take much convincing to believe it. Saito, who was standing behind Dosu, couldn't blame the Otonin for being afraid of Naruto, especially at the way Naruto was looking at him now. For as Naruto stared down at Dosu, his eyes were alight with a cool fury like blue flames which radiant power from them. Very well then, I agree, replied Dosu that it would be pointless to refuse. At this Naruto only nodded and told Saito to let go of Dosu, after which Dosu gave Naruto his Team Earth scroll, where he then went over to his two teammates who were unconscious and picked them up. But before he could leave, Naruto decided to ask Dosu some questions. Before you go, I want you to tell me what were your orders concerning Sasuke and me? Asked Naruto. Our orders were simply to track you down and kill you both, replied Dosu. So you knew nothing about the seals that he placed on us then? Stated Naruto with a slight frown. No, we weren't told that, answered Dosu with a frown, since if he and his team had known about the cursed seals, they would never have attacked Sasuke. Fine, you can go, finished Naruto, where Dosu just nodded and jumped away carrying his teammates. Once Dosu had left with his teammates, Naruto then turned to look up at Niji and Tenten, who were still up in the tree watching Naruto and the others. You're Hyuga Niji, correct? Asked Naruto, remembering the names of Lee's teammates when Sasuke asked Kabuto to tell him about Lee. I am, replied Niji with his left eyebrow raised. Good, then I have a deal for you as well, spoke the blonde Senju. What sort of deal? Asked Niji as his left eyebrow rose slightly higher. Even though we are all rivals for this part of the exam, I propose that we call a truce since we all either have injuries or injured teammates, and any further battle would be pointless. In return, both Haku-chan and I will treat Lee's injuries. And why would you help him? Since with Lee injured, your chances of defeating us are much better, asked Niji. Because Lee came to the defense of Sakura and Sasuke when he didn't have to, and if weren't for his interference, along with Ino-chan and her team, both of them would most likely be dead. I owe him that much and I always repay my debts, answered Naruto. An admirable statement, but still, why should we agree to this? As unlike the rest of you, both Tenten and I are fresh and uninjured. While the rest of you are tired and, as you said, injured from battle, where if we should fight, I believe the odds would be in our favor, stated Niji. Are you sure about that? Asked Naruto with a knowing smirk, which made the young Hyuga prodigy frown and wonder what Naruto was up to. Although it is true that several of us are injured and a bit tried, that still doesn't change the fact that you're outnumbered here. As Ino-chan, Haku-chan and their teams are more likely to side with us in a fight, and even if you should defeat us, neither you nor your team will come out of it unscathed and will be easy prey for any other teams you may meet on your way to the tower. Although that's if we even give you the chance to attack, isn't that right, Sai? Once Naruto said this, Niji and Tenten suddenly found several Inklions surrounding them. Not bad, Senju, I guess nothing slips by you, spoke Sai, as he appeared in a tree near Niji and Tenten. Where the hell did he come from? Thought Tenten with surprise as she never sensed Sai. Niji too was also surprised at Sai's sudden appearance, as he realized that Sai must be highly skilled in stealth to come so close without Tenten, or him sensing him. Niji also realized that Sai must somehow know the extent of how far he could see when he had his Byakugan activated, and kept himself just out of his, Niji, range so not to be seen. So Hyuga Niji, do we have an accord or not? Asked Naruto with a confident look. Seeing the situation they were in, Niji frowned slightly as he realized that if they fought now, it was possible they would lose, and even if they should win, it would not be without serious costs, given how they were outnumbered and surrounded. Not to mention there was Naruto, as something told Niji that there was more to the younger blonde than what he was showing. We're in agreement, for now at least, stated the Hyuga heir as he maintained the frown on his face. Good, replied Naruto with a smile, as he let out a slight sigh of relief, as he was glad that Niji agreed. Since Naruto wasn't sure what would happen given how he wasn't 100% and was running low on chakra, the only reason he even knew that Sai was nearby was because when he used his Chakura no Purusu to locate Sasuke in the smoke cloud, he located Sai hidden in the tree near Niji and Tenten. Once everyone was in an agreement to the truce, Haku and Naruto started to treat Lee, Sakura and everyone else for their injuries. Fortunately though, none of the injuries were life-threatening, although Lee's injuries from Dosu's melody arm took a little longer to treat. But eventually they healed his injuries, after which Tenten woke her teammate by shaking him like a rag doll and slapping him on the face. The method was of course unusual, but neither Naruto nor Haku could argue with the result as Lee did wake up. Soon after Tenten filled in Lee on what happened, after he was knocked out. The green jumpsuit-wearing boy was of course surprised when he heard how Naruto was able to mimic one of his moves so well, after only seeing it once, and then incorporate it into his own fighting style. Lee of course did not mind this, but stated that he now wanted to fight Naruto even more now. Something that Naruto wasn't bothered by, since he knew Lee was strong and wanted to face against him as well. After everyone was healed, Sakura then asked how Naruto met up with Haku and her team. Naruto of course explained what happened, and how they had found him, and how they had defended him from a group of aimed genin, who were seemingly targeting him. Although he did leave out the part about going berserk and attacking Haku and her team, since doing so would mean he would have to explain the curse seal and their meeting with Orochimaru to everyone else. Something Naruto believed they were better off not knowing. When Ino asked who had defeated Naruto, since to her Naruto was the strongest genin here, Naruto simply stated it was a strong shinobi from one of the other villages, which was partly true. When Shikamaru heard Naruto's reply, he of course grew suspicious, since it was obvious that there was more to Naruto's story than what he was telling them. But he decided not to pry since it wasn't their problem. Soon after though, Naruto asked Niji to use his Byakugan and look at Sasuke to make sure that the curse seal had fully receded. Niji of course did not like being ordered around by Naruto, but still did so anyhow, and saw that the dark chakra that the Uchiha used earlier had indeed receded and that there were only trace amounts left. After he had examined Sasuke, Niji also looked at Naruto with his Byakugan and also saw trace amounts of the dark chakra in him, indicating that Naruto too had the curse mark. When Niji stated this and asked Naruto to tell him what the curse seal was, Naruto refused to answer, stating that it was none of his concern and that he was better off not knowing. This of course did not sit well with Niji, since he did not like being pushed aside by anyone. But before he could press the matter any further with Naruto, Tenten placed her hand on his shoulder and told him to back down, as they had all agreed to a truce. At this Niji relented, although he retained a large frown for the next few hours over not getting any answers. Once the matter with Niji had been dealt with, Naruto went over to Sai and asked him where he was and why he left Sakura alone with Sasuke. Sai of course explained that he had left to go search for him and came back here when he couldn't find him or any tracks as to where he went. He then stated that as he was looking for Naruto, he ambushed a rival team and took their Heaven's Scroll off them when he defeated them. Meaning that Team 7 once again now had 3 scrolls and only needed another Heaven's Scroll to enter the tower. Naruto only nodded after hearing Sai's story and kept a blank look on his face, as he didn't buy Sai's story in the slightest, at least not the part about looking for him, since he and Haku along with her team had returned to where he had fought Orochimaru. When Naruto then used his Chikura no Purusu along with the tracking skills he had learned from Omote to find where Sai and Sakura went with Sasuke. Hence if he was telling the truth, then they would have met Sai or seen the rival team he fought on their way here, or at least Naruto would have sensed them nearby when he used his Chikura no Purusu to track them. Realizing this, Naruto figured the young root agent had gone off somewhere to secretly send word to Danzo of what had happened and then waited for orders on what he should do next. Naruto of course knew he could challenge Sai on his lie try and force him to tell him the truth and what his orders were. But decided not to, since he knew it would get him nowhere, and just expose the fact that he was on to Sai and lose any edge he may have over him. Soon enough though, Naruto turned away from Sai and went over to Sasuke and pulled the Senbon needle out of his neck, immediately awaking the Uchiha Heir up, where he tried to stand up only to fall down when Sakura jumped on top of him and hugged him tightly, and saying she was glad he was okay. Eventually though Sasuke got Sakura off him, where he then turned to Naruto and asked him what had happened, as his memory was slightly hazy when it came to what happened when he fell unconscious after Orochimaru placed the curse mark on him. Naruto of course gave him a quick brief on what happened and how he was forced to knock Sasuke out when he went berserk. As Naruto told him what happened, Sasuke's memory of the event started to slowly come back, where when Naruto finished, he remembered everything that happened. After Naruto finished, much to Male Blonde's surprise, Sasuke actually apologized for attacking Naruto, a gruff apology, where he grunted it, but an apology nonetheless. Although after Sasuke grunted out his apology, Naruto noticed that there was something up the young Avenger, as he saw that Sasuke was slightly upset about something. But before he could ask, Naruto suddenly felt a sharp pain in his left side, where he hissed angrily and held his left side. "Naruto-kun!" spoke both Ino and Haku, where both girls went over to Naruto. "What's wrong, Naruto-kun?" asked Ino, when she and Haku went over to him. "It's my side. I think one of the ribs that were bruised from my earlier fight was broken from when Sasuke kicked me," replied Naruto as he started breathing harshly. "Bring him over to the tree hollow, where I can treat him," ordered Haku, where Ino and Lee, who had come over to help bring Naruto to the tree hollow, where they placed him against it. After putting Naruto next to the hollow, Haku and Ino helped him take off his katana and sheath along with his green zip-up top and his black tank top that he wore underneath it. After helping Naruto take off his upper clothing, Ino couldn't help but blush, as Naruto was the first boy she was seeing topless. Naruto was skinny and had few muscles since he was only 13 and only developing, but still when he got older, there was little doubt he would develop well. With Ino's help, Haku slowly and gently removed Naruto's bandages that she had wrapped around him earlier. She then used her Shosen Jutsu, mystical palm technique, to help heal Naruto's broken rib, after which she then spread some ointment on the bruised area to ease the pain and with Ino's help, started to rebandage him. As the two girls were rebandaging the blonde Senju, Ino decided to ask Naruto something that she had been wondering. "Naruto-kun, what was that smoke that you used against Sasuke to make his eyes hurt?" "Just some pepper powder mixed with smoke powder," answered Naruto. "So how did you know that it would be so effective to beat Sasuke?" Ino asked. "His Sharingan," answered Naruto. "His Sharingan?" repeated Ino in confusion, not understanding what Naruto meant. "It's simple. In the shinobi world, Jujutsu bloodlines like the Byakugan and the Sharingan are feared for their unique abilities and for seeing things that other people can't. This is, of course, both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness." "I don't get it," stated the confused girl. "Like most bloodline users, Sasuke relies a great deal on his Sharingan, Hence, if someone were to take away his ability to see, his fighting ability would be greatly reduced, making him more vulnerable to attack, explained Naruto, where Ino's eyes widened in understanding. Where did you come up with that idea? Asked Ino. Back when I was in Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, when I fought against Zabuza and Yu Haku. Naruto replied, where he looked at Haku. You're referring to how Zabuza-sama used Kirigakure no Jutsu, hidden mist technique, to prevent Hataki-sans from seeing him and using his Sharingan to hypnotize him, stated Haku. Yeah, although unlike him, I'm not able to use Kirigakure no Jutsu or use silent murder technique. Hence I had to make do with the pepper smoke bomb and a unique technique I created to find people when I can't see them, replied Naruto. Naturally, after hearing this, both girls were surprised and impressed with Naruto's ingenuity, at how he was able to come up with such an effective plan to defeat Sasuke without seriously hurting him in the heat of battle. Once the girls had finished treating Naruto, Tenten walked over to them. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine thanks to Ino-chan and Haku-chan, replied Naruto, as he put back his black tank top and his green zip-up top. Your Lee teammate Tenten, correct? Hi, it's pleasure to meet you, Naruto-sama, replied Tenten, although as soon as she said this Naruto held out to stop her from saying anything further. Please Tenten-san, call me Naruto. I don't really like being referred in any honorifics, replied Naruto. At this Tenten just nodded and decided to continue the conversation, since she had wanted to talk to Naruto for a while. If you don't mind me asking, what Genjutsu style were you using? Since I've never seen one like the one you used when you fought Uchiha Sasuke, Tenten asked. The style is called Arasujin no Mai. I learned it from my sensei Uzumaki Kushina, Naruto answered. So it's true then, you were trained by Konoha's Burati Shinku no Ikari, Bloody Crimson Fury, stated Tenten, where Naruto just nodded. Would it be okay if I looked at you katana? Tenten asked, which of course got a curious look from Naruto, as well as Ino and Haku. May I ask why? Well, it's just that I'm interested in weapons and I would like to examine it, explained Tenten, where Naruto raised his eyebrow curiously, but soon just nodded and handed his katana, which was lying next to him, to her. As she examined the sword, Tenten was quite impressed with the blade, as it was clearly first-rate craftsmanship and was made of high-quality metal which allowed chakra to be absorbed and flow through the blade. This is a top-notch katana you have here, stated Tenten when she resheathed Naruto's katana and handed it back to him. Where did you get it from? Well, when I was traveling with my Kachan and my Neisan, I met a guy who taught me about Genjutsu, along with some other things, where he later gave me this katana as a gift, answered Naruto, where he hoped Tenten would believe him, since it was sort of true. Well, whoever he was good friend, if he gave you this, replied Tenten. Relieved that Tenten believed him and didn't press in further, Naruto then decided to steer the conversation from him and onto her. You seem to know a lot about weapons and know how to tell if they are well made or not. That means you must specialize in using them. Hi, I do. I'm not really that skilled when it comes to ninjutsu, nor do I know many of them, but when it comes to weapons and marksmanship, there's no one better than me, as rarely miss my target, but my real goal is to be a great kunoichi just like your mother Tsunade-sama, as she's short of my idol. Tenten answered, though was slightly embarrassed how she told Naruto's mother was her idol. Naruto although just smiled, since it was obvious that Tenten was a kunoichi who took her duty seriously and didn't worry about her looks or obsess over guys like Ino and Sakura did. Well, if you like, I can introduce you to my Ka-chan, as I am sure she would be happy to hear that she inspires someone like you to become a strong kunoichi. You'd really do that? Asked Tenten excitedly at the idea of meeting her idol. Sure, my Ka-chan will eventually be coming back to Konoha, and when she does I introduce you both, Naruto replied with a smile. Although as soon as he said this, the elder girl enveloped him in a tight hug, saying, "Thank you," over and over again. Now normally the blonde Senju wouldn't mind this, but given how his sides were still a bit tender, from his broken rib, the hug was quite painful. Fortunately though, Ino, who was a bit jealous at the fact that the bun-haired girl was hugging her Naruto-kun, pulled her off Naruto, after which Haku quickly used her Shozen Jutsu to ease the blonde's tenderness. Realizing that Naruto was still a bit sore, Tenten quickly apologized, which Naruto accepted and told her it was alright, since he knew she didn't mean any harm and assured her that he had been through a lot worse. Soon after, once everyone was healed and rested, the four teams broke apart, where Haku and her team headed off to the tower, while Team 10 and Lee's team headed off in their own opposite directions. leaving Team 7 by themselves to search for the last scroll they needed. 3 days later, last day of the exam, for the past 3 days Naruto and Team 7 had been searching for other teams who would have the last heaven scroll they needed. Sadly though, all their attempts failed, as they only came across 3 other teams who all had earth scrolls, and now they were running out of time. After another failed search for a rival team, Naruto and Sai decided to return to their camp, where Sasuke and Sakura were waiting for them. But when they returned to their base camp, they saw Sasuke and Sakura standing with Yakushi Kabuto. "Sasuke, Sakura, what the hell going on, and why the hell is he here?" Naruto asked when he arrived with Sai, and narrowed his eyes at Kabuto when he turned to him, who just smiled. Sasuke of course explained how when he went to get some water and came back, he found Kabuto stopping Sakura from opening one of the scrolls. At this, the pink-haired girl just hung her head in shame and said nothing, since she had thought that if she opened one of the scrolls she might find a clue that would help them find the scroll they needed. Upon hearing this, Naruto had to resist the urge to slap his forehead in frustration at how Sakura could be so foolish, and wondered how the girl was credited of being the smartest of their class, since they had been told that they were forbidden from opening the scroll they were given. "It seems we owe you one, Kabuto-san, but tell me, why exactly are you alone?" asked Naruto, since he didn't like Kabuto, especially after he put a target on his head by mentioning he was trained by both his mother and Jiraiya. "I'm not after your scrolls if that's what you're worried about," Kabuto answered calmly, where he then showed Naruto and the others his 2 scrolls. "I got separated from my team, so I decided to head to the tower, where we would most likely meet up." After showing Team 7 his scrolls, Kabuto then put them back in his pouch and started to walk away. But before he could fully walk away, Sasuke suddenly spoke up. "Wait. Yes, fight us," demanded Sasuke. "Sasuke-kun, you can be serious," spoke Sakura in surprise. "I am," answered Sasuke as continued to stare at Kabuto, who had turned around fully to look at Sasuke. "But why?" asked Sakura. "We're running out of time, Sakura, and we can't afford being nice any longer," stated Sasuke. "For once I agree with Uchiha," spoke Sai. "As do I," Naruto added, even though normally he would be against something like this. Sasuke was still right, as they were running out of time, although it did help that Naruto didn't like Kabuto to begin with. "But you said that we owed Kabuto," stated Sakura. "Yes, but right now we're desperate, and unless you want to fail, we need Kabuto's scroll," answered Naruto, leaving Sakura unable to argue. "I'm afraid they aren't wrong, Sakura-san, although I commend you on your courtesy, since most people in your position would have just attacked me when my guard was down, which is what shinobi are supposed to do, aren't they?" stated Kabuto, causing the 3 boys to frown. "Perhaps we can come to some sort of compromise," offered Kabuto. "What sort of compromise?" asked Sai, retaining a neutral expression. "I can lead you on the correct path to the tower, and on the way there, we are more likely to run into rival teams who have both heaven and earth scrolls," explained Kabuto. "I get it. If we do this, then we can ambush another team on their way to the tower, and get the scroll we need," said Sakura as she realized the plan. "But that isn't the only possibility, is it?" stated Sasuke, gaining everyone's attention. "Since there is also a good chance, given how the exam is nearly over, that other teams will have the same idea and lay in wait to ambush us." "That's correct, I'm impressed," spoke Kabuto with a smirk. "Well, as helpful as all this information is, I don't think that you're just telling us this, simply out of the goodness of your heart," stated Naruto with a frown. "Oh, what do you mean?" asked Kabuto with a knowing smile. "The reason why you're telling us all this and why you stopped Sakura from opening the scroll is because you're afraid of those other teams that are lying in wait. Hence you're hoping to use us to help you get to the tower safely, since your chances of making it there with us are better than you going by yourself," explained Naruto. "Impressive," commented Kabuto. "It seems that katana isn't the only sharp thing on you, Naruto-kun. As you're correct, I am using you to get to the tower. But even still, you cannot argue that it is your best option if you wish to move on to the next round of the exam." At this, Naruto only frowned, since as much as he hated to admit it, Kabuto was right. If they wanted to pass, they needed another Heaven Scrolls. After a minute or two of weighing over their options and talking it out, Naruto and the rest of Team 7 agreed to travel with Kabuto to the tower. As Kabuto and the members of Team 7 continued to travel towards the tower, it grew dark and the moon started to rise up, although the tower soon came into sight, indicating that they were getting closer to the tower. But as time moved on and the moon rose higher, the team realized that they weren't making any progress. "Guys, I think we're caught in some kind of genjutsu," stated Naruto. "I agree. as it's the only explanation as to why we haven't gotten any closer to the tower," spoke Sai. "But what kind of genjutsu is I?" asked Sakura. "It's called Kori Shinshu no Jutsu, Sly Mind Effect Technique," answered Kabuto. "You know it?" asked Sasuke. "I've heard of it. It causes the targets to walk around in circles for hours by making it seem as if they're walking straight to their desired destination. It mainly used by shinobi who aren't very strong, where they try to wear their opponents down before attacking. I was careless not to have noticed it sooner," said Kabuto. Seeing that Kabuto and the others had realized that they were caught in a genjutsu, the three aim means who had created the genjutsu decided to move on to the next phase of their plan, where they then used Kasumi Jusha no Jutsu, Miss Servant Technique, to attack Naruto and the others. When the clones appeared around them, the team quickly formed up in a circle formation with their backs to one another. Once they had formed up, the 5 genin were forced to defend themselves, as a small barrage of kunai and shuriken were thrown at them by the clones. After deflecting the projectiles, Sakura immediately took out another kunai and threw it at one of the clones. But much to her surprise and confusion, the kunai passed right through the clone. When Naruto saw this, he quickly realized what they were, where he walked out of the formation and went right towards one of the clones. "Naruto, what are you do? Get back into formation!" cried Sasuke, when Naruto just ignored her and continued to walk towards the clones. "Naruto!" cried Sakura, when she saw the clones was about to hit him with its fist, but when the clone went to hit him, the clone passed right through him. "Just as I thought," thought the young Senju. "What's going on?" spoke Sakura in surprise. "Why didn't that clone hit him?" "Their illusion," said Sasuke, realizing the truth. "Right, like Kabuto said, the guys we're fighting like to wear out their opponents, since they aren't strong enough to take us head on," responded Naruto. "But how did you know?" asked Kabuto. "When Sakura's kunai passed right through." "But their kunais and shuriken were real," responded Sakura. "That's because the enemy is hidden somewhere and are throwing projectiles at us, so to wear us out further and make us think that the clones are real," answered Naruto. "But still, that doesn't change the fact that we're at a disadvantage, as we still don't know where they are or how to break this genjutsu, and they won't reveal themselves until we're too weak to fight," replied Kabuto. "That's where you're wrong, as I've a technique that can help us find them," stated Naruto, where he began to summon his chakra. But as soon as he did, he suddenly started to feel intense pain coming from the curse mark, causing him to fall to his knees. "Naruto!" spoke Sakura with concern, as she saw her part-time teammate fall to his knees. "Damn it, the curse seal, not now of all times," thought Naruto angrily, as he held his neck in pain. Seeing that something was wrong with Naruto, the AIM genin decided to take advantage of the situation and each threw 3 kunai at Naruto. Luckily though, before they could hit him, Sai appeared and deflected the 3 kunai, saving the Senju's life. "Looks like the mighty Senju Naruto isn't so mighty after all, if he lets scum like this defeat him," spoke Sai, without look at Naruto, as he kept a lookout for any more projectiles coming at them. "Shut it, Sai, as I'm in no mood for you trash talk," retorted Naruto angrily, as his seal felt like it was on fire right now. When Sai glanced back at Naruto, he could see tin lines spreading from Naruto's curse seal. "His curse seal must act up when he tries to summon his chakra," thought Sai, where he remembered his orders that he received from Danzo, when he left Sakura alone to defend Sasuke. Should Senju Naruto receive the curse mark like Uchiha Sasuke, and should both boys survive the marks, you are to monitor their behavior and actions closely. Should they lose control of themselves, or should you believe that they pose a threat to our village, you're to use lethal force to deal with them. Remembering this, Sai readied himself to kill Naruto, should he go out of control like Sasuke did earlier. Naruto was of course fighting the seal with everything he had, as he knew that if he didn't act soon then he and his team would all be in trouble. Fighting back the pain, Naruto summoned a large amount of his chakra and used his Chakura no Purusu and released a small chakra pulse wave to locate the AIM genin position. "What was that?" thought Kabuto and the AIM genin at the same time. "They're over there!" cried Naruto as he indicated to the top of the tree where the 3 AIM genin were hiding, before falling over in pain again. Acting quickly on what Naruto told them, Sai used his Choju Giga, Super Beast's imitation picture, to create 3 ink lions and 2 hawks to attack the AIM genin. "How did they find us?" thought all 3 genin at once, just before they were forced to jump out of the tree they were hiding in, as the ink animals destroyed a small portion of the tree. "That was certainly an interesting technique," They were perfectly well hidden, and yet he was still able to locate them perfectly, with that technique, thought Kabuto with intrigue. Unfortunately, though, for the Amnines, as soon as they jumped into the air to avoid Sai's ink beasts, Sasuke sent a small barrage of shuriken at them, which they couldn't avoid in time, where they received several injuries from them and crashed down to the ground. As soon as they hit the ground, the clones that surrounded Team 7 disappeared. Quickly enough, though, the 3 Aim Genin recovered and got back onto their feet. "I don't know how you found us, but you haven't won yet," spoke the leader of the team named Oboro, where he and his team each formed the same hand seal and said, "Oboro Bunshin no Jutsu, Hei's clone technique," creating several dozen clones of the Aim team. With Naruto unable to fight, Kabuto, Sai and Sasuke charged forward and attacked the Amnines, while Sakura stayed behind to guard the vulnerable Naruto. But when Sasuke, Sai and Kabuto attacked the Aim Genin and their clones, they went right through them. "They're illusions just like before," stated Kabuto. Realizing that they were going to get nowhere by just attacking all the different clones, Sasuke decided to try and find the real Amnines by using his Sharingan. But as soon as he activated it, like Naruto, his curse seal started to hurt and pain shot throughout his body. "Damn it, now my seal is starting to hurt as well," thought Sasuke as fell to his knees. But still, despite the pain that was going through his body, Sasuke fought it and used his Sharingan to try and find the real Amnines. As the battle progressed, the Aim ninja attempted to attack Sasuke by hiding among their illusionary clones. Luckily, though, for Sasuke, Kabuto was able to push him away, but was wounded in the process. Not wanting to let Kabuto's efforts to go to waste, Sasuke continued to search for the Aim Genin and quickly found them and told Sai where they were, who then immediately pounced on them and knocked them out within seconds. Once the Aim Shinobi had been taken out, Sai then searched them and found their scroll, which was a Heaven's Scroll, the very one they needed. After a quick break so to give Naruto and Sasuke a chance to recover from their curse seals acting up, Kabuto and the members of Team 7 headed towards the tower and arrived just as dawn had broken through. When they arrived at the tower, they met Kabuto's teammates who were waiting for him, and after bidding goodbye to the silver-haired boy, they headed through the double doors that were marked for them. With Kabuto and his team after separating from Naruto and Team 7, Kabuto and his teammates entered the double doors that were marked for them. Once they entered the doors, they found themselves in a large hallway, and there leaning against the wall to their left, waiting for them to arrive, was the infamous Nuke-nin Orochimaru. "So how were they?" asked Orochimaru. "Sounds like you're quite fond of them." Kabuto spoke with evil-looking smirk. "I would just like your opinion of them," replied Orochimaru. "Since you're my trusted subordinate and spy, my opinion matters little, Orochimaru-sama, as yours and the only one that matters since you're the one who decides," replied Kabuto with a cunning smirk, where he handed Orochimaru one of his info cards, which told the former Sannin everything Kabuto learned about Sasuke and Naruto. "Crafty as always, Kabuto-kun," spoke Orochimaru before he disappeared in a whirl of wind. With Naruto and Team 7 after entering the large hallway and reading the large notice sheet, Naruto and the others soon realized that they needed to open the scrolls inside the hall. Once they opened all 4 scrolls together, for large puffs of smoke came out of the scrolls, where the 3 boys instantly recognized the summoning inscriptions on the scrolls and threw them away and told Sakura to do the same. Once they threw away the scrolls, 2 large puffs of smoke appeared, where when they dissipated they saw that the people that were summoned were Hagane Kotetsu and Kamizuki Izumo. For a moment or two, Naruto and the others didn't recognize them, but after getting a better look at them they quickly realized who they were. "Hey, I know you guys, you were those 2 guys that tried to stop us from entering the exam and tried to trick us into going into the wrong room," cried Sakura in realization. "Nice seeing you guys too," replied Izumo with a smirk. "Wait, I thought you guys were genin like us," Sakura said in confusion. "Now that was just part of the test to weed out weaklings," explained Kotetsu. "So why are you guys here?" asked Sasuke. "Well, you see, it's our job as Chunin examiners to welcome the examinees who passed the forest with both scrolls at the end of the second round," answered Izumo. "You guys are pretty lucky, since if you'd been any later you wouldn't have passed, so congrats," added Kotetsu with a smile. After hearing that they had passed the second round of the exam, Naruto and the rest of Team 7 smiled in victory at passing the second round. Even Sai smiled at the news of them passing, but it was his usual fake smile. Kotetsu and Izumo then went on to explain how this part of the exam was to test their abilities to follow orders and to work as a team. Since if they arrived here without all members of their team, or if they opened any of the scrolls outside the tower, they would have been disqualified. At the mention of opening of the scrolls, both Sasuke and Naruto glanced at Sakura, who had the decency to blush and look to the ground, since she'd nearly got them disqualified from the exam. Once the explanations were over, Izumo and Kotetsu told them to follow them to the Grand Hall, where they and the other genin who successfully got through the forest were to meet. At Konoha's main gate, currently standing guard at the main gates of Konoha, two chunin named Suzumi and Heiz stood guard at the entrance booth. As in normal cases, guard duty at the main gate was fairly routine and boring, with signing and some people coming to do business in the village or shinobi returning from mission or leaving for a mission. But as they slowly watched time go by, the two chunin suddenly saw three blurs flying past them with such incredible speed that neither chunin knew had happened. "What the hell was that?" asked Heiz in confusion. "The hell I know," replied Suzumi in equally confusion. After passing by the main gate, the three blurs headed straight for the Hokage's mansion, jumping across buildings' rooftops with tremendous velocity, where they flew right past the shinobi, who were traveling by the rooftop as well, leaving them just as confused as the chunin at the gate were. Soon enough, the three blurs arrived at the main entrance of the Hokage's mansion and raced up the building to where the Hokage's office was. When they arrived, they saw the Hokage's secretary at her desk sorting out some papers. When the secretary turned to them, she instantly recognized two of the three people. They were none other than Senju Tsunade and Jiraiya the Gamma Sanin, Toad Sage, while the third person was Tsunade's apprentice Shizen, who was carrying Taunton, the family pet pig. The reason why Jiraiya was with the group was because after Tsunade had her premonition of something happening to Naruto, she and Shizen had raced for Konoha at top speed, and on their way, they had met Jiraiya, who was also heading to Konoha. When they met up, Jiraiya explained to them that his network had informed him that someone was making a move on Konoha, which was why he was heading to Konoha, so to warn the Sandaime. Since according to his intel there was a strong possibility that Orochimaru was the person that was moving against Konoha. At the mention of her former teammate's name, Tsunade's fears of something happening to Naruto grew even more, where she then gave Jiraiya a quick rundown on why she and Shizen were racing for Konoha. Now normally Jiraiya would have been skeptical when it came to stuff like premonitions, signs or other things. But when it came to a mother's instincts for her child or Tsunade's luck in gambling along with the possibility of Orochimaru being involved, he was willing to believe in just about anything, where he then joined the two women in their race to Konoha. "Tsunade-sama, Jiraiya-sama, what brings you here?" asked the woman respectfully to the two Sannin. Tsunade of course did not answer the woman's question, as she simply ignored her and marched by her and headed straight for the double doors next to the secretary, which led to the Hokage's office. "Wait!" cried the woman, when she saw the female Sannin heading for the Hokage's office. "The Hokage isn't in his office." "Then where the hell is he?" rounded Tsunade angrily, as she turned to the secretary. "He left for the tower in the Forest of Death several days ago, and has not returned from it yet. By now he should be giving his speech to those who have passed the second round of the Chunin exam," answered the secretary. At this Tsunade quickly turned and started to head down the hall that led to the stairs that lead to the bottom floor of the mansion, where she was joined by Jiraiya and Shizen. But before any of them could get very far, the secretary suddenly called out to them. "Wait! There's something more you need to know!" called the woman. "What?" rounded Tsunade, as she was in no mood for chatting. "Several days ago, when the exam in the forest first started, the Hokage received word from the head examiner of the second round of the Chunin exam, Mitarashi Anko, that the bodies of 3 Kusagenin were found not far from the Forest of Death with their faces melted off, where she believed that there was intruder in the area. Later on, the Hokage received word that the intruder was your former teammate Orochimaru and that he was after Uchiha Sasuke and your son Senju Narigh. The secretary spoke. But before she could finish speaking, Tsunade appeared directly in front of her and grabbed her by the collar of her kimono and pulled the young woman across her desk, so she was looking right into the angry and worried face of Tsunade. "What happened to my son?" demanded the blonde-haired woman, where for once neither Jiraiya nor Shizen tried to stop her, since they wanted answers as well. According to Anko-san's report, Orochimaru placed his curse mark on Uchiha Sasuke and your son. Other than that we don't know. The Hokage sent an ANBU team, where they spent much of the second day looking for them, but couldn't find him or his teammates, although they did find signs of a battle being fought, which they believe is where your son and his team fought Orochimaru," answered the secretary nervously, since last time Tsunade had lost her temper here. She had destroyed the entire hallway, hospitalized 2 ANBU and scared the last secretary, her predecessor, so badly that she was too scared to come back to work. Within a blink of an eye after hearing this, Tsunade let go of the frightened woman and raced out of the Hokage's mansion with Jiraiya and Shizen hot on her heels, at even greater speed than before, and headed straight for the Forest of Death. At the tower, after giving his speech on the reason why the Chunin exam existed other than to promote genin to Chunin, the Hokage stared at the many different genin that were before him and could not help but be impressed on how many made it this far, especially at the fact all the rookie genin from Konoha made it. It's impressive that so many made it this far, and many of them are recently made genin. This generation certainly has a lot of promise, thought the Sandaime, before his eyes fixed on Naruto, where a look of relief and concern spread across his face. After his ANBU failed to find Naruto and his team, Sarutobi had them stop the search, since if Naruto had died from the seal then they would have found his body along with Sasuke's. This of course gave the old Hokage hope that Naruto was alive, where he would eventually head for the tower on the 5th day or at least come out of the forest. But even with Naruto in front of him alive and seemingly well, new concerns started to appear in the Sandaime's mind, such as what effect had Orochimaru's cursed seal have on both Naruto and Sasuke. As the Sandaime continued to stare at Naruto, he planned to have a talk with Naruto on what happened later. Even though his ANBU didn't find Naruto, they had found the area where Naruto appeared to have fought Orochimaru, and given what the ANBU described to him, Sarutobi knew Naruto had given it his all and put up a fight. The Hokage was of course not the only one who was surprised that so many genin had made it this far, since the second head examiner Anko was equally surprised. There were 80 genin who entered the forest, and 33 were able to pass it. Sure, I said that I would make more than half of them fail. But still I never expected more than 10 to make it to this point, thought Anko in surprise. Since out of all the teams entered the forest, Kiri, Suna, Taki, Oto, Aim and Kumo each had one team who passed, while the remaining 5 came from Konoha. Eventually Anko's eyes fell on Naruto and Sasuke, where she narrowed her them, and subconsciously touched her own cursed seal, knowing that they both had one as well. As expected, you came out of the forest unharmed, Gaara, thought the Suna Jonin sensei Baki. I'm impressed that your team has made it this far, Kakashi. They're pretty good, as is your student Kushina-san, Yamato-san. But as long as my team is here, I fear they'll go no further. Since the next stage of the exam, personal skill and abilities are critical. For youth is sweet and sour, and sometimes strict, spoke Guy, as he turned to Kakashi, Yamato and Kushina as they stood behind the Hokage with the other Jonin senseis, whose teams passed. Kakashi of course just ignored Guy's little speech, where once he finished, he simply turned to Guy and said, "Did you say something, Guy?" Naturally, of course, the self-proclaimed Konoha no Katakaki Aoimoju, Konoha's sublime green beast of prey, did not take this well and started to cry out in disbelief. After which he began to curse Kakashi's cool hip attitude and saying he wouldn't lose to him next time. Kushina of course snickered at Guy's antics since they always made her laugh. "Trust me, Guy, when I say this, your team is the least of Naruto's concerns," said Kushina, with a slight frown, as she looked at her student and saw him place his hand on the side of his neck. As she and Yamato had been informed by the Hokage that Orochimaru had attacked Team 7 and placed the curse mark on both Naruto and Sasuke. "Besides, if I were you, I'd been more worried about your team, because if knew what Naruto could do, you know that your team stands no chance against him." At this remark, Guy frowned slightly and began to wonder what Naruto could do to have Kushina have such faith in his abilities. Although Guy had heard the rumors of Naruto being a powerful and gifted genin, especially after he seemingly defeated his internal rival, Kakashi, it didn't reveal what Naruto could do, which is why Naruto is talked about so much in the village, since he was still a mystery to people. As the Jonin sensei looked over the remaining genin, the genin themselves analyzed their situation and looked around those who passed with them. The Odo team of course glared angrily at Sasuke, remembering how Sasuke defeated them, where Zaku swore revenge on Sasuke for what he did to his arms. Although Dosu narrowed his eye at Naruto, since he still didn't know what to make of the blonde boy. So out of the 26 teams who entered the second exam, only 11 made it here, thought Temari, before she lost her train of thought when she saw her younger brother looking to their left. When she looked, she saw that her brother was staring at Senju Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke and had a bloodthirsty look on his face, as if he was glad that they had passed the second test. "This isn't good," thought the blonde girl, as she feared that her brother would lose control of himself again, should he ever have to fight either boys, since she knew that bloodthirsty look all too well. So Naruto-kun passed as well, I'm glad, thought Hinata when she turned to look at Naruto. Just as I thought, all the ones who stood up made it, Niji thought, before he glanced to Naruto and Sasuke, who stood next to him, and narrowed his eyes slightly, where he remembered what he had seen in Sasuke's battles with the Otonins and Naruto. Looks like Naruto made it, commented Omo, in a low voice to his teammates when he glanced to Naruto on his right. As expected, stated Yujito with a slight smirk. You seem happy, kitten. Are you happy that your special friend passed as well? Teased the Nibby. I told you before, Nibby, it's nothing like that. I consider Senju a worthy rival and that's it. And to answer your question, I am. But not because of what you said. I'm happy, since I've another chance to fight him, and this time I'll defeat him, replied the slightly annoyed Yujito, although smiled slightly at the idea of fighting Naruto again. You're going down, Senju, thought Karui, as she glared at Naruto. Good, he made it. You won't get away from me this time, Senju, thought the AIM team leader, who stared at the blonde boy. I'm glad you and your team were able to pass the forest, Naruto-kun, thought Haku, as she glanced at Naruto and smiled. Looks like all the rookie teams made it, Sakura commented. Naruto of course only nodded at this, where he looked around and was slightly surprised that so many made it this far. As he looked around he recognized many of them, like Haku and her team. This of course didn't surprise him since he knew they got both scrolls. He also noticed the Suna, AIM and Oto teams made it, which caused him to narrow his eyes, given the encounters he had with the three teams. He was also both surprised and impressed that Ino and her team made it along with Hinata and her team, but then realized that it was only natural they pass, since after training with them for several months, he knew that when it came to tracking and terrain, Hinata's team was the best and Ino and her were no pushovers when they fought together. Naruto was also pleased to see that Yujito and Lee's teams passed, but wasn't surprised as he knew how strong they were. When Naruto turned to look back up at the Hokage and the Jonin senseis, he noticed Zabuza and Killer Bee, who were seemingly standing next to one another. Both men of course acknowledged him in one form or another, where Zabuza just nodded, while Killer Bee gave Naruto a thumbs up and smirk. Naruto in return gave both men a smirk and a nod, after which he turned to senseis Kushina and Yamato, who were at the other end of the group of Jonin from Zabuza and Killer Bee and were standing next to Kakashi and Guy. But before he could give them any kind of acknowledgement, Anko suddenly spoke up, stating that there was another announcement to be made. As soon as Anko had stated that there was another announcement to be made, a sickly-looking Konoha Shanbai carrying a katana on his back appeared between the two groups. After which he then turned to look at the group of genin. My name is Gecko Hate and I am a judge in this exam, and before we begin the third round of the exam, there is something we need to do first, spoke Hate. Given the large number of you that have passed the forest, we're forced to have a preliminary round, where we will pair you off randomly, and have you face off against one another in a fight, so that there will be fewer of you in the third round. But why can't we just have the third round? Asked Sakura. As the Hokage mentioned earlier, during the third round there will be many visiting dignitaries who wish to watch the match, and because of this, we cannot have too many matches as we only have a certain amount of time. That is why we must have the preliminary matches now. Wait, we're having it now? But we only just finished the second round, complained Ino. Since she and her team had not arrived at the tower very long ago, and like many, they were tired and hurt. That matters little, but if you wish to leave the exam then please just raise your hand and tell me, replied Hate. At this Sakura became concerned about Naruto and Sasuke and was about to raise her hand and mention the curse mark to the Hokage and the others. But before she could, Sasuke stopped and told her not to, as he wanted to continue with the exam and fight people like Lee, Niji, Haku, Yujito, Gaara and Naruto. At the same time, Anko narrowed her eyes and turned to the Hokage. Hokage-sama, if I may, I suggest that we remove both Uchiha Sasuke and Senju Naruto from the exam and isolate them with A and BU guards. Neither boys are the type that'll listen to you easily, Anko. Kakashi spoke with his traditional eye as he walked forward. Since they are the heirs of the founders of Konoha, don't you agree, Kushina-senpai? Where he turned to Kushina. Unfortunately I do, replied Kushina with an unusually serious look on her face. To hell with what they want, I'll make them quit, even if I have to force them to, Anko retorted angrily, where she touched her curse seal again. The curse seal reacts when either of them try to summon or mold their chakra, and it will extract power from them. It's nothing short of a miracle that both of them survived it, since a normal person would be dead from it. At this, the Sandaime thought deeply about what to do. After a few minutes the Sandaime puffed out a smoke and spoke. Even though I am greatly concerned of what happened with both Sasuke and Naruto, and what Orochimaru said, we'll let both of them go on, and just observe them for now. But Hokage-sama, objected Anko, but before she could fully interrupt the Hokage, he continued on. However, should the curse seal on the boys activate and they both go out of control, we'll intervene and stop them. Anko, of course, did not agree with this decision and believed it was a mistake, but before she could object, she relented as she knew that the Hokage wouldn't change his mind on this. It was then at this point that Kabuto raised his hand up, announced that he was giving up, stating that he was unable to continue. Naruto, of course, became suspicious of this, since there didn't seem to be anything wrong with him. The young Senju was of course not the only one who became suspicious of Kabuto's actions, as Ibiki, Anko, and the Hokage all became suspicious, since they remembered in last year's exam Kabuto did the same thing. Kabuto was then soon joined by Ataki Genin, who unlike Kabuto had a more believable reason for quitting, as he had a broken arm and a gash on his side, which was still bleeding despite being bandaged up. Soon after Kabuto and the Ataki Genin left the hall, Naruto had a sudden cold chill run down his spine. Is there something wrong, Naruto? Sakura asked when she saw Naruto shudder slightly. I don't know, I just felt this cold chill run down the back of my spine, as if something bad was going to happen, replied the Senju heir, and began to wonder what would cause this. Naruto was of course not the only person to feel this chill run down his back, as the Sandaime also felt this chill. But before he could wonder what would cause him to have this chill, he quickly received his answer when he felt the ground start to shake, as if something big was coming their way. Soon enough everyone began to feel the ground shaking a little, where many were starting to wonder what was causing it. It was not long after this that they began to hear people shouting, along with large bangs and crashes. Wait! You can't go in there! G-G-G-A-H-H-H-H! Cried one person, but screamed out in pain before they could finish. Please wait! The Hokage is giving his speech to the Genin finalist ANAHHHHH! Cried another person before they were sent screaming and crashing into what sounded like the wall. Just hold on ASEC, GGYYAHHH! Shouted yet another priest-son before being once again interrupted and screaming at the top of their, followed by a large bang. After hearing all these screams and destructive noises, many of the Genin was starting to get scared, while the Jonin started to worry, fearing they were being attacked. The Sandaime, though, already knew who was coming, although it did not lessen his worry. In fact, it only grew, where he was starting to have flashbacks to the events at the Hokage mansion 13 years ago. What's going on? Are we under attack? Cried Kiba. Sort of, replied Naruto with a sigh, as like the Sandaime he'd immediately realized who was causing all the mayhem. What do you mean by that, Senju-san? Do you know who is causing all this? Asked Shino, since like everyone else he was concerned at what was happening. I'm afraid so. Naruto answered with another sigh. Who is it? Is it an enemy ninja? Asked the frightened Ino. No, something much worse than any enemy ninja, Naruto answered. Then who is it? Asked Sakura, as she became more and more worried. It's Naruto spoke, but before he could finish a massive crashing sound was heard, where the double steel doors that allowed entrance into the hall were blown open, and nearly off their hinges. When everyone turned to look at the perpetrator, they saw that the person was a tall, beautiful, short, blonde-haired woman, with two large mounds on her chest and furious look on her face. Ka-chan! Sarutobi-sensei! Where is my son? Roared the angry Senju mother. Chapter 22 Salamander's Heir. Upon hearing all these screams and destructive noises, many of the Genin were starting to get scared, while the Jonin started to worry, fearing they were being attacked. The Sandaime, though, already knew who was coming, although it did not lessen his worry. In fact, it increased it, where he was starting to have flashbacks to the events at the Hokage mansion 13 years ago. What's going on? Are we under attack? Cried Kiba. Sort of, replied Naruto with a sigh, as like the Sandaime he'd immediately realized who was causing all the mayhem. What do you mean by that, Senju-san? Do you know who is causing all this? Asked Shino, since like everyone else he was concerned at what was happening. I'm afraid so, Naruto answered with another sigh. Who is it? Is it an enemy ninja? Asked the frightened Ino. No, something much worse than any enemy ninja, Naruto answered. Then who is it? Cried Sakura, as she became more and more worried. It's Naruto spoke, but before he could finish a massive crashing sound was heard, where the large double steel doors that allowed entrance into the hall were blown open, and nearly off their hinges. Upon which, when everyone turned to look at the perpetrator, they saw that the person was a tall, beautiful blonde-haired woman, with 2 large mounds on her chest and furious look on her face. Ka-chan! Sarutobi-sensei! Where is my son? Cried the angry Senju mother. Battle arena. After Tsunade broke the doors open, the female Sanin slowly marched towards the 2 groups, with her eyes ablaze with righteous fury and fixed of her former sensei the Sandaime, who looked like he wanted to be anywhere but here right now. Right behind Tsunade was Jiraiya and Shizen, who was still carrying Taunton, who looked to be a lot calmer than the famed slug princess, although had concerned looks on their faces, as Tsunade marched towards her sensei. Killing intent emitted from the blonde-haired woman in a manner that impressed even Gaara, as she marched forward. Spider cracks started to appear on the floor every time her heels hit it, furthering the fact that the woman wasn't in a good mood. The genin quickly broke parts so to allow Tsunade to pass and have a clear path to the Sandaime, as they could practically see the dark red murderous aura that now surrounds the elder woman. Naruto of course remained hidden in one of the 2 groups, since he knew that it was best for his mother to vent her frustration out before going up to her. Although that was if the Sandaime survived her venting. The Jonin senseis that stood behind the Hokage quickly followed their students' example, where they slowly started to back away from the Sandaime, since they knew well enough not to get in the way of an angry Sanin. Cowards, muttered the Sandaime, although wished he could the same thing himself right now. So that's Naruto-kun's mother, she's beautiful, thought Ino, before looking at Tsunade's massive bust, and became slightly envious. She then wondered if there was some kind of secret method or something she ate or drank to make them grow that big. So that's Konoha no Namakuji Tsunadeheim, Konoha's slug Princess Tsunade. I'm beginning to see the similarities between the 2, thought Sabuza. Given how Naruto had a similar look as her when he was angry, not to mention they both had the same destructive tendency. Whoa, are those things for real? They're definitely the biggest I've ever seen. She's gotta be an E, thought Killer Bee as he stared at Tsunade's chest. I can't believe it, I'm actually seeing Tsunade-sama herself in person, thought Tenten with glee and stars in her eyes, when she saw her idol. So that's Naruto's mother, and that other guy must be Jiraiya the Gamma Sannin, thought Sasuke, as he stared at the 2 legendary shinobi with narrowed eyes. Damn, Naruto's mom is pretty scary, thought Oma. What if she goes postal and kills the Hokage? Does the exam get cancelled? What if instead she destroys the entire tower? Should we get out of here now or wait and see what happens? Or should we simply quit now before she does something? Kukukuku, well, this is an unexpected surprise. I'll admit I expected Tsunade to show up, but I didn't think Jiraiya would. This certainly makes things more interesting. Not to mention it seems that Tsunade hasn't lost any of her monstrous strength, and I dare say that her temperament has increased, thought the disguised Orochimaru in amusement. Holy cow, she's hot and her boobs are huge. I would so bow, stated Kiba as he stared at Tsunade's chest as she marched by them, but stopped in mid-sentence when he heard the clicking sound of a blade being drawn, and felt the edge of a blade right next to a certain valuable body part. If you know what's good for you, dog breath, you'll not finish that sentence, and will remove your eyes from my mother's chest. Otherwise I'll be neutering you here and now, stated Naruto in a very deadly tone and look, which made the young Inuzuka gulp in fear. Quickly following Naruto's instructions, Kiba stopped what he was about to say and removed his gaze from Tsunade's chest. Upon which Naruto removed his katana from Kiba's manhood and sheathed it back onto his back, but not before he gave Kiba a cold glance, telling him to watch it. Once Naruto removed his katana, Kiba let out a sigh of relief at not losing his most valuable asset, and as much as he hated to say it, he had to admit, Naruto could be pretty scary when he wanted to be. Damn it, this could jeopardize everything. We knew to expect Tsunade-sama, but we never considered Jiraiya-sama would appear with her, thought Baki with a frown. Since the appearance of the 2 remaining loyal members of the Sannin could ruin the entire invasion. IDG, good to see you back in the village, Tsunade. I ho gh, spoke Sarutobi nervously, as it was obvious that Tsunade knew or at least had an idea of what happened to Naruto when he was in the Forest of Death. But before he could finish speaking, Tsunade grabbed him by his robes and pulled him right to her angry face. Cut the crap, sensei, I know what happened. What kind of fucked up exam are you running here? Now tell me where my son is now, or so help me I will, stated Tsunade angrily, but before she could finish her threat, Naruto stepped forward out of the group of genin, so to save his surrogate grandfather from being pummeled to death by his overprotective mother. Ka-chan, you can let go of Gigi since I'm fine. As soon as Tsunade heard her son's voice, she quickly turned to see him, where within seconds she dropped the sandaime onto his rear and then cried out, Naruto-chan! And, my baby! Before enveloping Naruto in a bone-breaking hug and proceeded to smother the boy in her ample bosom. Naturally, upon seeing this, everyone minus Jiraiya and Shizen all had large sweat drops on the back of their heads, as they weren't exactly sure how to judge this scene. Although some of the male shinobi couldn't help but slightly envy Naruto's situation, since even being suffocated to death in Tsunade's ample chest was a way many of them wouldn't mind going. Jiraiya himself stated that he often envied Naruto's position whenever he was enveloped in one of his mother's hugs, especially for the first 2 years of his life when Tsunade was breastfeeding him. He even once asked Naruto what it was like to rest his head in that heavenly bosom of hers. Naturally, he never got his answer, since as soon as he'd asked Naruto the question, the young blonde did a perfect imitation of his mother and punched the Gamma Sanin right into a wall, while crying out, "Pervert!" At the same time as everyone was watching the scene of Tsunade smothering her son, a certain Nara heir couldn't help but find the whole situation troublesome. Although for once he was actually glad that he had the mother he had, since he had found a woman that was actually more troublesome than his own mother. Something that he thought until just now was impossible. As Kiba watched the scene, he couldn't help but snicker slightly at seeing, especially when he heard Tsunade call Naruto her baby, and her precious little Naruto-chan. Kiba was of course tempted to shout out, Momo's boy, but decided against it for now, in case Tsunade turned her wrath on him for teasing her baby. Eventually, though, Jiraiya decided to intervene and save his godson from being smothered to death and from any more embarrassment, where he had Tsunade let go of Naruto. Once Tsunade had let go of her son, she then turned to the sandaime who had just picked himself. You and I need to have a little chat, sensei, now, stated the slug princess with forceful look that said she would accept no excuses. The sandaime could sigh, as he knew that there would be no going around this, where he then told Hate that they would halt the exam for a little. At this the young man just nodded, after which, the Senju family along with the sandaime, Kushina and Yamato departed. Soon after leaving the battle arena, the sandaime Hokage led Tsunade and everyone else to a small room where they would have some privacy. But as soon as he shut the door behind him, Tsunade once again grabbed the sandaime by his robes and held him up into the air. What the hell has been going on here, sensei? Cried the furious Tsunade. I come here racing at top speed for 4 days, fearing that something had happened to Naruto-chan, and when I arrive, I hear that you just let Orochimaru walk right into the village and then let him place his curse seal on my son. I'm sorry, Tsunade, but we didn't know what was happening until it was too late. Orochimaru had somehow infiltrated the village without us knowing. By the time we realized that he was in the village, he had already placed the curse seal on Sasuke and Naruto, explained the sandaime. After which grunted in pain, when Tsunade tightened her grip on his robes, nearly choking him. What kind of fucked up security have you got here? Has the village become this lazy and lax in the past 12 years, that they let an S-class Nukenin waltz into the village and attack children without so much as fight? Yelled the furious Tsunade. Hey, easy, Heim, I know you're angry and all, but it's not Sensei's fault. You know as well as I do how crafty Orochimaru can be, where if there is a way around something, he'd find it. Jiraiya. No. It is his fault, as much as it is yours. Grounded Tsunade. If you and Sarutobi-sensei hadn't let him go when you each cornered him, and had just killed him when you had the chance, Naruto-chan wouldn't even be in this situation. At this both men lowered their heads in shame, as they had indeed let Orochimaru go, and it was because of this weakness that Orochimaru was able to do the things he did afterwards. Eventually, though, Tsunade let the sandaime go, where she then turned to her son and asked him to tell them what happened in the forest. For the next half hour, Naruto recounted the events in the Forest of Death from when he was separated from his team to when he fought Orochimaru and how he placed the mark on him. When Naruto finished, the elder shinobi remained silent as they mulled over what they had heard. The sandaime was of course very proud of his surrogate grandson, at how he was willing to put himself in danger to save his comrades. After hearing the story, the Sandaime could not help but be reminded at how Naruto's ancestor the Nidaime Hokage had done the exact same thing as Naruto and sacrificed himself to save his comrades. It of course showed that Naruto truly inherited the will of his ancestor, and was a true heir of the Senju clan. Tsunade unfortunately did not see it that way, as she was quite angry at her son. Naruto, why on earth did you do something so foolish? You should know that you stood no chance of defeating someone like Orochimaru, spoke Tsunade angrily. Then what should I have done, run and hide like a coward? Retorted Naruto angrily. If it means that you survive then yes, replied Tsunade. I won't do that, Kachan. You didn't raise me to be a coward, who runs away and hides when my teammates are in trouble. Hashirama Hyojaizen, Tobaramoji, Gigi, Ero-Sanin and Tusan would never do something like that either. Besides, even if I had run and hid, do you really think I wouldn't be gotten away from him? Fired Naruto back fiercely as he felt his temper rising, since he wouldn't apologize for what he believed to be the right thing. Tsunade of course would have commented on this, but before she could, Jiraiya intervened, knowing that things could get out of hand if he didn't. Alright, you two, that's enough. You both made your point, stated Jiraiya, where he turned to Tsunade. Haim, I know you're upset, but regardless of how you feel, the kid was only trying to do the right thing and you should be proud of that. Besides, he's here alive and relatively unharmed, and that's what counts, and even if he was ran or hid, Orochimaru would have still found him. At this, Tsunade just huffed, but slowly calmed down, as she had only reacted the way she did because Naruto could have been killed. As for you, brat, said Jiraiya as he turned to Naruto, your mom isn't angry at you. She just upset since she has been worried sick about you for the past 4 days, and she only acting like this because she loves you, and doesn't want anything to happen to you. At this, Naruto calmed himself down, before letting out a large sigh, where he then apologized to his mother, who in turn did the same. Once the mother and son had apologized to one another and calmed down, Naruto then went on to finish his story. When Naruto told them how Haku and her team had found him and treated his injuries and protected him from the AIM team who were seemingly targeting him. When Tsunade heard this, she frowned slightly, and began wondering what the AIM genin were up to, by targeting Naruto. She also made a mental note to thank Haku and her team for helping her son and treating him when he was injured. She already knew a bit about Haku from Naruto's letters, where Naruto had mentioned his mission in Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, where he encountered Zabuza and Haku. Something that Tsunade had not been too pleased about when she heard, where she had planned to have a stern talking to her sensei, about sending her recently made genin's son to fight a wanted rank nukenin. Naruto of course continued with the story and explained to the others how during the fight he woke up with his curse seal activated, causing him to go out of control and attacked Haku and her team. Naturally, Tsunade and everyone in the room were concerned at what happened. But their concern quickly turned to surprise, when Naruto told them that he had stopped himself from killing Haku and forced the seal to recede by sheer willpower. After which Naruto then went on to explain how after regaining control of himself, he and Haku along with her team went to look for Sasuke and the others, where he eventually found them and fought and defeated Sasuke. Once Naruto finished his story, the room once again remained silent, as everyone digested what they had learned. Eventually Tsunade spoke up and asked Naruto to show her his seal, which her son obliged, where he pulled away the bandages on the side of his neck so to show his mother the seal, which still throbbing a little. When Tsunade saw the seal, she narrowed her eyes angrily and silently swore revenge on her former comrade. Soon after, though, she looked away from the seal, and even though she was skilled in sealing, she couldn't make much out of it, and so turned to Jiraiya, who was much better at the art. Jiraiya, is there anything you can do to remove it? Tsunade asked, where the Toad Sage just shook his head sadly. Sorry, Haim, but I don't, as my knowledge on the seal is limited. But I do know for certain that if I were to try and remove without fully knowing what I'm doing, it could kill Naruto. Since the seal is closely integrated into Naruto, the best we can do for now is seal it off from him. But I swear I will do everything I can, and I won't stop working until I find a way to safely remove it from him, answered Jiraiya. Tsunade was of course not happy to hear this, but understood, as she knew Jiraiya wouldn't stop until he found a way. We should then use Fujihoin, evil sealing method, to seal the mark away, make and add some extra things to make sure that it doesn't affect Naruto. At this, Jiraiya just nodded. That sounds like the best option. Once it was agreed, Tsunade then narrowed her eyes and cursed her former teammate. Damn you, Orochimaru, I swear when I find you, I make you regret the day you were ever born. If I may, Tsunade-sama, I would like to volunteer placing the Fujihoin on Naruto, along with any other seals that may be needed since I'm his sensei," spoke Kushina as she stepped forward. At hearing Kushina volunteering, Tsunade just looked up at the red-headed women with a blank face. She of course knew that Kushina was Naruto's sensei, as he had mentioned her several times in his letters to her, Tsunade, and Shizen along with Yamato. When Tsunade first heard this, she had naturally been surprised at the news, even though she expected Yamato to be Naruto's sensei, given how he had her grandfather bloodline. She hadn't expected Kushina to be his sensei as well, but she soon realized, given how Kushina was a skilled sealer and had a unique ability in restraining Biju, she was an excellent choice to be Naruto's sensei, where she could help restrain him, should he ever use the Kyuubi's chakra and go out of control. Tsunade had also been slightly concerned at Kushina being Naruto's sensei given the relationship between her and his father. But her concerns soon faded in Naruto's later letters, where he spoke of the female Uzumaki fondly, and how well they got on. "With all due respect, Kushina," spoke Tsunade, "although I trust you to be my son's sensei, there are only two other people I trust my son's safety without question, and given what happened here, I will let no one other than myself to do the sealing." Normally, at hearing something like this, Kushina would have taken offense to the comment. But given recent events, she couldn't blame the older woman for feeling the way she did, for if she was in Tsunade's shoes, she'd probably do the same thing, hence she nodded in acceptance. "So when should we do the sealing?" asked Jiraiya. "We'll do it now, as the sooner we seal it up the better," responded Tsunade. "Wait, what about the preliminary matches? If you do the sealing, I will miss them," stated Naruto. "Naruto, the sealing is more important than the Chunin exam. The sooner we seal the curse mark from you, the better. Since as long as that mark remains on you unsealed, you cannot use your chakra. Not to mention, the longer you have it, the more likely it is to affect you and cause you to lose control of yourself like before," chided Tsunade. "That won't happen this time. I won't let it. Besides, you can't order me around, since I'm not a little kid anymore," Naruto retorted. "Like hell I can't. I'm your mother. And there's no guarantee that you'll be able to stop the curse mark from making you go out of control," responded Tsunade angrily. For the next few minutes, mother and son argued over the sealing, where either of them were willing to back down to the other. Seeing that this was getting nowhere, the Sandaime decided to intervene, where he coughed loudly enough to gaining everyone's attention. "Tsunade, although I understand where you're coming from, Naruto is correct. He is a shinobi of this village now and has the right to decide what he wants to do. Besides, I don't think arguing with him on this will change his mind, since he is quite determined to do the exam," stated the Sandaime. "Like I care!" cried Tsunade. "He's my son, not yours, and I say he's doing the sealing now." "Yes, you're correct, but he still has the right to make his own choices, but for the sake of less arguments, I suggest a compromise," the Sandaime responded. "What sort of compromise?" Tsunade asked. "You let Naruto continue the preliminaries, and if the seal should activate and cause him to go out of control, then we'll stop the match immediately and have the Fujihoin placed over the curse seal along with the other seals, regardless of him forfeiting his match." Tsunade did not respond at first, as she thought long and hard about it, but soon enough she accepted the compromise. Since she knew, like her, Naruto could be very stubborn about some things and not let it go. "Fine," grunted Tsunade. "But I want one condition, and that is the very moment that preliminary fights are done with, Naruto is to have the Fujihoin and the other seals placed on him." "I believe that is reasonable," answered the Sandaime, where he turned to Naruto. "Do you agree with the compromise, Naruto?" Naruto just nodded, as he knew this was the best possible deal he could get out of his mother. "So then shall we move back to the exam now?" Sarutobi asked. "Before we do, Hokage-sama," interrupted Kushina, "there is something I think Tsunade-sama should know. Like Naruto's relationship with a group of Kumo genin and their sensei, one which he developed before he came here." "What?" asked the confused Tsunade, who was joined by an equally confused Jiraiya and Shizen. At the mention of Yujito and the others, Naruto cringed slightly, knowing what would happen next, where she turned to look at Kushina, who just gave the blonde boy a stern look that said, "You knew this was coming, sooner or later." "Naruto, what is she talking about?" demanded Tsunade, where Naruto sighed inwardly, where for the remaining half hour he explained what had happened when he met Yujito, Killer Bee and their team. When Naruto finished his story, Jiraiya and the others were naturally shocked that of all people Naruto would run into it would be two Jinchuriki like himself. They were further surprised at hearing how Naruto defeated an out-of-control Yujito without using his Mokuton bloodline or his other abilities. Sure, they understood the fact that the girl didn't have full use or control over her demon's power. But it still didn't take away how incredible Naruto's victory was, especially when he was only 10 years old. The Sandaime, and the others of course, couldn't blame either Jiraiya or Shizen for being shocked, since they themselves were stunned by the news when they first heard the story, since it wasn't every day they heard about a 10-year-old boy defeating an out-of-control Jinchuriki. Tsunade, although, was far from pleased with her son after she heard the story. Senju Naruto, of all the foolish things that you have done, this is the most foolish. Do you have any idea of how much danger you put us in? How much danger you put yourself in? What if they had found out about you? They could have kidnapped you, or worse, they could have killed you. But they didn't catch on, as I never revealed who I was or revealed my Mokuton bloodline or any of my other abilities. The only thing they know is that I've 4 nature affinities naturally. They only recently found out who I was, when they were sent here in the exam. So they were the ones who showed you that you have 4 nature affinities, stated Jiraiya with realization dawning on his face, since he had never fully believed Naruto's story when he asked to be tested for his nature affinities and had always wondered why Naruto had asked. But after hearing his story, everything started falling into place. That is beside the point, Naruto, since it doesn't change the fact that you put yourself in grave danger. Who knows what they could have done to you or tried to do, stated Tsunade fiercely. They won't catch on, as they are my friends just like Haku, Naruto responded. Are you so sure of that, Naruto? As from what I saw, you were only a step away from fighting that Kumo girl, spoke Kushina with a serious look. That's different. Karui may have her problems with me, but I trust Yujito, Omoe and Samui. Omoe was even trying to stop the fight, you saw that, said Naruto, when he turned to Kushina and Yamato. That is true, Naruto, but it still doesn't change the fact that they are shinobi of a rival village, spoke Yamato. Not to mention Kumo isn't above using underhanded means to get what they want, Kushina remarked with slight venom. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. 9 years ago, a brief conflict between us and Kumo erupted. The war ended with both sides agreeing to peace treaty, where Kumo sent their head ninja here to sign the treaty. The treaty was just a ruse to allow the head ninja to enter the village, so that he could kidnap the heiress of the Hyuga clan, stated Kushina. Hinata, spoke Naruto in surprise, where Kushina just nodded and continued. The plan of course failed, where Hinata's father Hyuga Hayashi stopped and killed the head ninja. But even after being caught red-handed, Kumo denied that they had any knowledge of it, and tried to make us look like the ones who broke the treaty by killing their ninja. In fact, we had to sacrifice one of your shinobi to prevent a war from breaking out, stated Kushina rather bitterly. And if that isn't enough, spoke Kushina. Back when I was not that much older than you, Kumo tried to kidnap me for my unique ability to restrain Biju. The only reason I didn't become slave or breeder for them was because your father saved me. After hearing all this, Naruto didn't know what to say, as he had no idea about any of those things. Sandaime, although, just lowered his head, as he could understand Kushina's bitterness given her personal experience. Not to mention her sentiments were shared by many of the high-ranking shinobi in Konoha after the Hyuga affair. Despite the fact that Kumo had suffered a severe blow to their reputation, and many of the other shinobi villages weren't as trusting towards them afterwards, the incident had still left a bitter aftertaste in the mouths of many people in Konoha, especially the Hyuga clan. I will admit what Kumo did was wrong, but Killer Bee, Yujito-chan or any of the others had a hand in what happened to you or Hinata-chan. Besides, Yujito-chan and the others never told the Raikage that they knew me or revealed any of my abilities that they knew to him, Naruto responded. Naruto. So they say, said Kushina, not really believing that. But still, it doesn't change the fact that the reason they're here is because it involves you. Since it's far too much of a coincidence that Kumo would enter one of their prized possessions into the Chunin exam at the same time you are in it. Naruto, of course, could not argue with Kushina at this point, since what she said did make sense. But even still, Naruto refused to believe that his friends were out to harm him, since if they wanted to kill or kidnap him, they could have done that in the forest of death like the Aim Genin. After a minute or two of silence, though, Naruto did speak, although gave Kushina a cold glance and spoke in a calm but equally cold tone. Their names are Killer Bee and Yujito, and they are people, not things, but if you want to refer to them as possession again, Sensei, then you might as well refer to me as a possession as well. Since I am like them, or did you forget? At this remark, Kushina cringed, as she had let her bitterness and anger towards Kumo get the better of her. Naruto, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that, stated Kushina, only to be stopped by Naruto. Save it, sensei, before you make things worse. Naruto interrupted, where Kushina just sighed and cursed herself for her poorly chosen words, but planned to apologize better to Naruto later on. Eventually, though, the Sandaime decided that it was time to end the little meeting and get back to the exam, before any more arguments could begin. The others of course agreed, although Tsunade did state to Naruto that they would talk further about him keeping secrets from her. Battle Arena. After the unexpected hour-long rest period, the Chunin exams recommenced, with the return of the Naruto and all the others. Although when Naruto and the others arrived, they found that a few more people arrived in the battle arena when they were away. These people were none other than the Hokage's advisors Danzo, Hamura, and Koharu. Naturally, the group had been surprised at their appearance, and when asked, the shinobi elders simply stated that they were interested in seeing how Naruto would fare in the preliminaries. Not to mention, they'd heard that Tsunade and Jiraiya had appeared in the village. Tsunade and the others of course did not believe this was the entire reason, since Naruto had informed them that Sai had left Sakura alone with Sasuke for a period of time, under the guise that he was searching for Naruto. The group of course figured that Sai had gone off to send a report to Danzo on what had happened in the forest. When Naruto eventually rejoined Team 7, Sakura had asked if they had talked about the cursed seal and Orochimaru. Naruto of course just nodded, but before Sakura could ask further, she was interrupted by Heir, who began to finish explaining the rest of the rules of the preliminary round. Given how he had been interrupted by Tsunade's unexpected entrance, Heir went on to explain that given how there was an odd number of genin, and for the interest of keeping an even number of genin for the finals, one of them would have to fight twice. Many of the genin of course did not know what to make of this, since on one hand, should any of them lose their first match, one of them would get another shot of making it to the finals. But then again, the opposite could just as likely happen, where if they won their first match and lost their second, then they would lose their spot in the finals. Several of the genin like Kiba complained about this, stating it was unfair. But Heir simply retorted that if they had a problem, then one of them can quit. That way the number of genin would be even and no one would have to fight twice. Naturally, after being given this option, those that complained remained silent, since none of them wanted to give up their chance of making it to the finals. Once that matter was settled, Heir had Anko bring down the selection screen, where the screen would randomly pick two genin's names, who would face off against one another. When the screen activated, it started to randomly go through names. Eventually, though, it stopped on two names. Senju Naruto vs. Hattori Mai. Upon seeing the name Hattori, many of the more senior shinobi let out a small gasps of surprise, while others' eyes widened slightly. Perfect, thought the AIM team leader named Mai. Shit! Looks like the brat did inherit a bit of your bad luck after all, Haim. As he is the opening match and is facing against a Hattori, commented Jiraiya to his teammate, who just frowned. Well, it seems that we get to finish off our fight sooner than I expected to Senju, spoke Mai as the AIM team leader walked forward. That's fine by me, replied Naruto with a slight glare, where the two stood opposite one another, while everyone walked up to the catwalks above. As Tsunade walked by Naruto, she told him to be careful, while at the same time reminded him that if his seal started acting up, she would stop the fight. Naruto just nodded at this, after which Tsunade went up the catwalk on the left-hand side, along with Jiraiya, Shizen, Taunton, Team 7, 8, 9, Guy Team, and 10, joined by Haku's team, while the remaining other teams went up the catwalk on the right-hand side. Once up on the catwalk, Tsunade was also joined by the Sandaime, who was accompanied by Ibiki and Anko. At the same time, Kakashi, Kushina and Yamato were joined by Zabuza. It's been a while, Kakashi, spoke Zabuza. Nice seeing you too, Zabuza, greeted Kakashi, with his traditional eye smile and wave. Although I have to say, I'm surprised that you of all people are a Jonin sensei now. TSK. Not by choice, since the Mizukage didn't give me many options in the matter, but I guess I could have gotten worse brats to train, replied Zabuza. Upon hearing this, both Saido and Chojuro smirked at one another, for although it didn't sound like it, that was the closest thing to praise that anyone other than Haku could get out of Zabuza. Kakashi just smiled again at this comment, knowing that the famed demon of the mist was actually quite proud of his students, and was just too proud to admit it. So looks like your Brad is starting things off Uzumaki, and he doesn't have it easy either, as he going against a member of the Hattori clan, Zabuza commented. Yeah, it should be hard, but you should know better than anyone, Zabuza, how tough Naruto can be, replied Kushina, where the demon of the mist just nodded. Excuse me, but who are the Hattori clan? Asked the slightly nervous Sakura, since she was still a bit scared of Zabuza, given their last encounter with the former Nukenin. At this question Zabuza raised his eyebrow in slight disbelief. Huh! You Konohanins really need to fix your academy system, if Genin today don't know who the Hattori clan are. The Sandaime of course frowned slightly at Zabuza's insult towards Konoha's academy teachings. But he quickly realized that Zabuza may have a point, if Genin today never heard of the Hattori clan. The Hattori clan, answered Kushina, while watching Naruto down in the arena, are a famed and renowned shinobi clan, who reside in Amigakure, Hidden Rain. The clan is well known for having many skilled shinobi, although they're practically famous because of their clan head, Hattori Hanzo, better known as Sansho no Hanzo, Hanzo's salamander, the leader of Amigakure. A man whose fame and reputation is known and revered throughout the entire shinobi world, to the point where the mere sight of him on the battlefield would make most shinobi run in fear. After hearing this, all of the eyes of the Genin, minus Haku and her team, who were listening to the explanation, widened in surprise. But before any of them could comment on what Kushina had told them, the former ANBU captain continued with her explanation. Hanzo is easily recognized as one of the strongest shinobi of our time even to this day, and is an icon to the whole shinobi world, because of his great skills. It is said he could single-handedly wipe out an entire platoon of shinobi with relative ease. But one of the things he is most famed for is for battling all three members of the Densetsu no Sannin, legendary three ninja, when they were young and giving them their title as Sannin. After hearing this, the Konoha Genin eyes widened once again in surprise, where Sakura then turned to Jiraiya and Tsunade. So does that mean that you defeated him, Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama? Defeated him, ha! Laughed Jiraiya when he heard the question. Girlie, he wiped the floor with us. The only reason we survived is because he let us go, because he was impressed that we were able to hold our own against him. The fact is, if we had kept fighting him, he would have killed us. When the Konoha Genin heard this, every single one of their eyes widened in disbelief and gasped in shock at the idea of one man being strong enough to have defeated the Densetsu no Sannin of Konoha by himself. Let's just hope for the brat's sake that the kid he's going against isn't as strong as we think, spoke Zabuza, as he watched Naruto, who was now talking to Mai. With Naruto and Mai as the two Genin stared at one another, Mai suddenly started to chuckle. Care to share the joke with me? Asked Naruto, as he was curious as to why the AIM Genin was laughing. Oh, it's nothing, I was just laughing at how perfect this is. Since I get to face you in the very first battle of the preliminaries, in front of your mother and everyone else here, and once I've defeated you, everyone will finally acknowledge that the Hattori clan is the strongest shinobi clan in the world, where like my grandfather, I will have defeated the heir of the legendary Senju clan of Kanagakure, Hidden Leaf. Grandfather, wait! Are you telling me that you are? Naruto asked in shock, but before he could finish asking, Mai finished. Yes. I am the granddaughter of Hattori Hanzo, better known as Sansho no Hanzo. With the spectators dash. Shit! Hanzo granddaughter. Zabuza spoke in surprise. Jiraiya, did you know anything about this? Asked Tsunade as she turned to the Gamma Sannin in surprise. Like hell I did, responded Jiraiya in equal surprise. I didn't even know that Hanzo had a kid to begin with. Damn it, now it makes sense. Hanzo must have sent her to kill Naruto, knowing we couldn't do anything should he die in the exam. It also explains why his most trusted subordinate Kandachi is here as well, as the team's Jonin-sensei, stated Tsunade angrily, as she gripped the railings tightly. Since it made sense, given how the AIM Genin targeted Naruto back at the Forest of Death, and how Hanzo was notorious for not tolerating any possible threats to his village. This could cause some trouble, thought Sandaime with concern. Fuck. Of all the people Naruto had to go against, it had to be her, thought Kushina with a frown, as she beginning to believe that Jiraiya was correct about Naruto inheriting a bit of Tsunade's bad luck. Naruto will certainly have a tough time with this one, thought Kakashi, a serious look that was not normally seen. The kid is definitely not going to have it easy with this girl, especially if she anything like her grandfather, thought Asuma as he let out a puff of smoke from his cigarette. So Sansho no Hanzo has sent his granddaughter to deal with the Senju heir. This could be beneficial to us, thought Baki with a calculating look. Although that was soon replaced with a look of slight concern, given the look that his youngest pupil was giving the cloaked girl. Yes, mother, she may prove to be worthy prey as well, thought Gaara, with a crazed excitement at the thought of fighting Mai. Since unlike the Konoha genin he had heard of Sansho no Hanzo and was certain that his granddaughter would make an excellent opponent to fight. Do not fail in your mission, Mai, thought the girl's Jonin-sensei Kandachi. So Hanzo, you too have made your move on the boy, thought Danzo, as he watched the two young genin face one another. Cuckoo, this is certainly an unexpected surprise. Who would have thought that Hanzo had a granddaughter, and that she would be in the Chunin exam? Not to mention that she and Naruto-kun would face off against one another in the first round of the preliminary fights, thought Orochimaru in amusement, as he was certain that this match would prove to be very entertaining. With Naruto and Mai as the two genin stared at one another, Mai decided it was time to rid herself of her cloak, where as soon as she did, the blonde Senju's face turned a shade of red that rivaled any that a certain Hyuga heiress could ever turn. What the hell? Cried the embarrassed boy, when he saw what Mai really looked like. Mai was an attractive medium-tall young girl with honey-color eyes and long brown hair, with long bangs that framed the sides of her face, tied up in a thick, long ponytail which flowed down to her lower back. But the thing that caught most people's attention, or more especially the males', was the skimpy red sleeveless tunic that she wore, which barely covered her ample cleavage, which was easily a C-cup. Her outfit was held at her waist by a silk white waistband, with mini shorts underneath it. At her feet she wore a pair of soft-soled tabi while also wearing fingerless red teku that covered only the back of her hands, which held a pair of white folding fans with metal sides. When the spectators saw Mai in her outfit, their reactions varied. Most of the males, like Lee, Choji, Chojuro, Omo and some others, blushed bright red much like Naruto, while others like Shikamaru, Sasuke, Gaara, Shino, Sai and Niji remained emotionless and hid their reaction, although others weren't as skilled. Since after seeing Mai's outfit, some male members like Kiba and Kankuro were launched into the wall behind them by their nosebleeds. The female spectators' reaction was of course very much different, where the young Hyuga heiress turned a bright shade of red, like Naruto and many of the boys at seeing a girl wear such a daring outfit. On the other hand, girls like Samui, Yujito, Haku, Temari, and Tenten were quite annoyed Mai's choice of outfits. Some of the others, girls like Ino, Sakura and Karui, were infuriated by it, although at the same time the three of them wondered what the girl ate and drank to get breasts like her. "Who!" cried Jiraiya with excitement. "Now that's what I call a kunoichi outfit. I take back what I said earlier, the brat has the luck of the gods." After which the perverted sage took out a pad and pencil, where he planned to write down Mai's outfit description and use it in his next book. But before he could put pencil to paper, an annoyed Tsunade elbowed the toad sage right in the face, but luckily for him, she hadn't used her superhuman strength. But even still, the hit had left an imprinted on the man's face and busted his nose, causing it to bleed a little. "Well, it's certainly a unique outfit," commented the Sandaime with a slight blush. "What the hell is that bitch thinking, wearing something like that?" cried the outraged Ino. "Actually, she doing what many kunoichi did long ago," commented Asuma, causing his female student to snap her neck back to him, crying, "What?" "Well, you see, back in the day, especially when doing missions like infiltration, intelligence gathering or assassination, many kunoichi would use seduction and their sexuality to distract or catch their enemies off guard before striking. She is just following in that path, since many young and some older male shinobi could easily fall for such a ploy, where they could lose focus in a fight," answered Asuma. As he had to admit, if he had gone against someone like her when he did the Chunin exam, when he was Naruto's age, he would have easily lost focus or become distracted. "Naruto-kun isn't like most of the guys here, he isn't perverted and he won't fall for something like that," stated Ino. "Well, we'll see soon enough," replied Asuma, although he wasn't too sure and wouldn't blame Naruto if he did. With Naruto and Mai shaking off his embarrassment, Naruto quickly focused himself at the matter at hand, where he went to draw his katana and readied himself, as he knew the kind of game Mai was playing, since his mother had told him that shinobi would often use different methods to distract an enemy, and make them lose focus, so that they could defeat their enemy more easily. When Mai saw Naruto shaking off his embarrassment off, she smirked and decided to try and push her advantage forward. "What's wrong, Senju? Do you see something you like?" asked Mai, as she leaned forward so to give Naruto a better look at her cleavage. Since Mai had no problem using her sexuality into keeping her opponents off balance, But instead of becoming distracted by her seduction tactics, Naruto kept his eyes on the girl herself and not her chest. The fact that he was a medic in training helped things since there wasn't a part of the male or female body that he wasn't familiar with. Sure, it was embarrassing at first, not to mention the time right before he left for Konoha, where his mother and Shizen gave him the talk. Since either woman wanted Jiraiya to do it, thereby giving him the chance to corrupt or ruin Naruto. But he eventually got over his embarrassment and got used to knowing and seeing such things, hence my ploy was worthless. Soon enough though, Mai realized that her tactic wasn't working, since Naruto remained focused and ready. So she decided to try and mess with Naruto a different way. Don't like me, I see. Well now, that's a surprise, I didn't think you swung that way. I guess Konoha can give up on any chance of the Senju clan being restored. After saying this, Mai was gratified to see a small twitch on the young Senju heir's face, knowing that her comment had irked Naruto. But before she could press her comment any further, Naruto made his own remark. Oh no, I like girls alright, it's just that I go for more than just looks, where I'm like you, I prefer girls who don't try as hard. Besides, aren't you a little too old to be hitting someone like me, or is it that you just can't get a guy your own age? At this remark Mai growled in anger, which caused Naruto to smirk, knowing that he had gotten to her. I'm only 15, cried the girl in slight outrage at being called old. And I don't have a problem getting a boyfriend, it's just none are worth my time. Naruto was of course slightly surprised that Mai was only 15, as he had thought for sure that she was 18, given how developed she was. Damn, what the hell do they feed the girls in that village? Thought Naruto. But quickly pushed aside such thoughts and took satisfaction using Mai's own mind games against her. With the spectators after seeing Naruto turn the tables on Mai, Tsunade smirked with satisfaction, as she was pleased that her son hadn't fallen for any of Mai's ploys. Especially the seduction techniques, since she had made sure Naruto wouldn't fall for such tricks, on the chance that some kunoichi or other girls would try to, so that they could use Naruto to elevate their status in the village. That girl's only 15, cried Jiraiya in surprise, before destroying his notes on Mai, since he did have certain ethics, where he didn't do any peeping or other things on girls under the age of 18. But he did keep the outfit in mind for another character, as it would be a waste not to. Damn it, Mai, don't let him trick you like this, thought Kandachi angrily. With Naruto and Mai soon enough though, Mai calmed herself down, where she focused solely on Naruto, as she now knew that Naruto wouldn't fall for any of her tricks. After a minute or two of staring at one another, both genin decided to start the match, where Mai kicked things off, by channeling her chakra into her right-hand fan. After converting her chakra into wind, Mai then cried out, Futon, Kyofu, wind style, strong wind, eh? And unleashed a powerful gust of wind at Naruto, who couldn't avoid the gust of wind in time and was sent flying back into the wall behind him, where he was forced to raise his arms to protect his face, and received several small cuts on his arms and body. With the spectators dash. So she is a futon user like Naruto, and a powerful one at that if she can create a powerful gust of wind like that with a hand-size fan. This makes things more difficult for Naruto, as he can't use any of his chakra because of the cursed seal, thought Sarutobi. With Naruto and Mai dash. So Senju, what did you think of that? Asked Mai, with a wicked smirk, as she saw Naruto lower in arms and saw the cuts all around his body. Naruto did not answer of course, but glared silently at the girl as he picked himself up. Although as he did, Mai channeled her wind chakra into both her folding fans and swung at the same time together, while crying out, Futon, Nibai Kyofu, wind style, double strong wind. B. Not wanting to be hit by the clearly more powerful version of Mai's attack, Naruto quickly jumped up high into the air, which was a lucky thing. For as soon as he jumped into the air, the wind attack collided with the wall behind him, which became covered in several dozen large slashes, created by Mai's attack. Shit! I can't afford to underestimate her, thought the blonde boy, after which he took out a set of kunai from his pouch, which was refilled by Shizen, when Naruto asked her if he could borrow some kunai and things from her, and threw them at the girl. Mai of course jumped away from the kunai, where she then counterattacked by using her futon, Kyofu again. Creating another large gust of wind, given how he was still in midair, Naruto couldn't avoid the technique and was sent flying into the stone hands, that were doing a ram seal, which was to his right. Fortunately though he recovered quickly and flipped himself over, so that his feet hit the wall, and he was able to propel himself forward, after which he then used his wrist-mounted Sanban launcher and fired several Sanban needles. Acting quickly, Mai narrowly avoided the high-speed Sanban, which were highly accurate, as she had to use her fans to deflect them. After deflecting the Saban needles, Mai plucked out the last needle that had gotten stuck in her fan and smelled it, where she detected the trace amount of a toxin from it. Poison. I must be careful around him, as he was trained by the world's top medic Nin Tsunade-sama. Who knows how many more of his weapons are covered with poison? Thought the aim Kunoichi. But as soon as she had this, Naruto suddenly appeared right in front of her. Mai immediately realized then that Naruto had used the needle attack to distract her, so to give him time to get close enough to her so that she couldn't use her wind attacks. Acting quickly, Mai raised her right hand fan up and flipped a small switch on it, causing spikes to spring from the tips of the fan, which she then used to block Naruto's katana, which he had swung at her. Naruto was of course surprised by this, but then quickly used his superior strength to push the girl back, while at the same time slashing through the fan, making it useless to use wind techniques with. After being pushed back by Naruto, Mai quickly jumped backwards to gain some distance between the two of them, where she then began to do some hand seals with her one free hand, which of course stunned many people. With the spectators dash. Seals with just a single hand, I didn't think such a thing was possible, spoke Kurinai in shock, where she was joined by many others. Just like Haku, thought Saido. This girl is indeed skilled, thought the Sandaime with a frown, where he then watched Mai spit out several large balls of water from her mouth and fire them at Naruto, forcing him back a bit. With Naruto and Mai after Mai forced him back, Naruto knew if he wanted to beat Mai he would need his chakra and use his jutsu, but with the cursed seal preventing him from using his chakra, he was forced to use one of his backup plans. Cutting his index finger on the edge of his blade, Naruto spread the blood on a small seal that was carved on the side of this blade near the hilt of his katana. This was of course no ordinary seal. This seal was a chakra storage seal that Kushina had taught him before the Chunin exam. Naruto had stored a large amount of chakra into the seal, since Kushina told him that there was always a chance, either on a mission or in battle, where he would be either running low on chakra or unable to use his. This was it always a good idea to have something like that to fall back on. After activating the chakra storage seal, Naruto slightly thanked his red-headed sensei. Even though he was a bit upset with her right now, he was still grateful for her foresight. But before Naruto could even use the chakra from the chakra storage seal, Mai suddenly swung her fan and cried out, Futon Senpu, wind style, whirlwind! See! Unleashing a powerful blast of wind from her fan, this lifted Naruto off his feet and into the air and then formed into a large tornado. As Naruto was being spun around in the tornado, small wind blades started cutting him from all sides, making it impossible for him to defend himself. With the spectators dash. Impossible! How can she create something that big and that powerful, with that small folding fan? Temari spoke out loud in disbelief, as she herself had to admit that she couldn't do that with the small folding fan Mai was using. She gifted, that's for certain, commented Baki with some surprise at Mai's wind manipulation skill. But then again, she is the granddaughter of the legendary Sansho no Hanzo, Naruto, cried Shiz in concern, as she watched her godson/surrogate brother spinning around in the tornado being cut up by the wind attack. Tsunade herself wasn't doing any better, as she grabbed the railing tighter, causing them to slowly break. Damn it! Thought Jiraiya, where his worry only grew when he saw the curse markings staring to spread over Naruto's body. Hokage-sama! Indicated Enko, as she too saw the curse seal starting to spread. Naruto, thought the Sandaime with worry, when he saw what was happening. Fu, so he's starting to draw upon the seal, thought the disguised Orochimaru. He's finished, thought Kendachi. Well done, Mai. With Naruto and Mai, as Naruto was spinning around and being cut up by Mai's tornado, he started to cry out in pain. But as he did, he could feel the curse seal activating and starting to spread throughout his body, as if reacting to his subconscious cry for more power. For just one moment, Naruto pondered at the idea in using the seal and its power to defeat Mai. But as quickly as that idea popped into his head, he remembered what he did to Haku and her team, and how he had nearly killed them. Not wanting to repeat of what had started to happen here, Naruto began to force the seal back. No! I won't let you control me again. I will win this fight my way, with my own power! Screamed Naruto in his mind. It was then at this moment that Naruto gripped his katana tightly and started to draw a massive amount of chakra from the storage seal, and channeled it to the tip of his blade and converted it into wind, where he then swung his katana and cried out, Idaina Surashifu, Great Wind Slash! As soon as he did this, a massive blade of wind erupted from his katana and slashed through the tornado, causing it to dissipate. Although the wind attack continued to fly toward the catwalks on the side where most of the foreign genin were, where it nearly hit Killer Bee and his team, who were barely able to move out of the way in time, with the spectators dash. "What the hell? Is Senju trying to kill us?" cried Karui, as she and the others picked themselves up from the floor of the catwalk. "Holy crap!" Omoi said suddenly, where when everyone turned to look, every genin and nearly all of the jonin eyes widened in shock. For where Naruto's attack hit, there was now a massive cut on the wall, as the wind attack had cut right through the steel catwalk and made a scar-like cut on the wall about 4 inches thick, which reached from the catwalk a couple of feet below it. "That was close, we could have been toast," rhymed B, when he saw what Naruto's attack did. "How did Naruto do that? I thought he couldn't use his chakra," stated Shizen in surprise. "Chakra storage seals, that's only way I know how he could do that," replied Jiraiya before he turned to Kushina. "Did you teach him them?" "Of course, since it's always best to have something to fall back on." "No way," spoke Choji in disbelief, after seeing Naruto's wind attack. "Damn, I told the kid that he should try to improve that attack of his, but I didn't think he'd go that far," thought Asuma in surprise. "Inconceivable, where on earth did that boy learn a technique like that?" thought a shocked Baki. "How on earth did he do that?" thought Temari in amazement. "What the hell is that guy?" Zaku cried, while his teammate Dosu just narrowed his one visible eye, as what he had just seen proved that his instincts saw Naruto right. "That's the way, Naruto-kun!" cried Ino, as the air she punched her fist into and continued to cheer for her crush. "Whoa, looks like the brat has improved on that wind technique of his," stated Jiraiya. "Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama, look, the mark, it's receding," spoke Shizen suddenly, where when they looked, they saw that Naruto was back with his feet on the ground and the markings of the curse mark were indeed receding. At seeing this, Tsunade let out a sigh of relief, not only of Naruto getting out of the wind technique, but also for resisting the seal. "I don't believe it, he was actually able to push back the curse seal, with sheer willpower," thought Anko in surprise, as it took an immense amount of willpower to do that. Impressive, the boy does seem to have a talent in futon," thought Danzo, as he stared at Naruto with a calculating stare. Cuckoo, most impressive Naruto-kun," thought the amused Snake Sanin. With Naruto and Mai at the same time, when everyone was recovering from their shock at what they had seen, Mai herself had still not completely gotten over it, since she had been certain that Naruto was finished. "Impossible, what on earth was that technique he used? I've never seen anything like it before," thought the girl, where she was only awakened from her shock when she heard Naruto cry. "Surashifu, wine slash!" Acting on pure instinct, Mai quickly jumped to her right, narrowly avoiding the deadly wind slash. Although the attack was not as big or as powerful as the previous wind slash, the fact that was it able to make a shallow mark on the solid stone wall behind Mai proved that it was still deadly. "Shit, what kind of wind technique is he using?" Sofu, more formal way in saying grandfather, was correct to be concerned about him. The fact that he is able to use a technique that is clearly a rank at his age proves that he could very well become a formidable threat one day. "I need to kill him now and fast," thought Mai as she picked herself up. But as soon as she did, she was forced on the defensive by Naruto, who slashed at her with his katana. For the next few minutes the two genin fought each other in a fierce battle, where Mai activated the spikes of her fan to help defend herself from Naruto's attacks. Naruto, on the other hand, did his utmost to try and find or make an opening for himself to exploit and take out Mai quickly. Eventually, though, Mai was able to once again gain a little distance between them, where she took out some shuriken and threw them. After which she then quickly channeled her wind chakra into her fan, and used it to create futon, Kyofu, to enhance the speed, power and ability of her shuriken. Seeing this, Naruto knew he had to act fast, so he quickly took out a kunai with an exploding note tied to it and threw it at the incoming wind attack and projectile, where right before his kunai could be blown back at him, Naruto activated the exploding note, causing it to explode, where the explosion cancelled out the wind attack and blew away the shuriken. Luckily for Naruto, he had just been far enough away to avoid any serious harm from the explosion, although was a little singed and was blown a bit back by the blast. With the spectators dash. "Nice going, brat, that's using your head," commented Jiraiya with a smile. "Well, I give him this, he's certainly quick on his feet," commented Temari, as she was impressed with how Naruto negated the wind attack. with Naruto and Mai. Unfortunately, what Naruto was unaware of was that the attack just now was just another distraction, so to allow Mai to prepare her real attack. For as soon as the smoke of the blast died down, he saw Mai with her fan in her mouth doing several hand seals, with both hands, at a speed that impressed everyone in the room. At the same time, Naruto also noticed that she was now surrounded by a large volume of water, which he had guessed she had summoned from the scroll that was on the ground in front of her. Seeing this, it wasn't hard for Naruto to guess that Mai was planning some kind of high-level water attack that required a large volume of water. But before he could make any attempt to stop her, the young Ain Kunoichi finished her hand seal and thought, Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu, Water Style, Water Dragon Bullet Technique, and created a massive dragon made out of water. Upon seeing the large water dragon coming at him, Naruto tried to move out of the way, but found he could not, as Mai was able to have her water dragon follow after him, while still in its form. Fuck, I can't lose it, thought Naruto, knowing he had only one option left, where he drew out another massive amount of chakra from his sword's chakra storage seal and once again used his Idaina Surashifu. The large blade of wind then cut right through the water dragon, splitting it in two, causing the water that made up the water dragon to fill up the arena. After which the wind attack hit the wall, where like before it made a large slash mark on it. Fortunately though, it didn't reach as high at the catwalk, since this time Naruto was not in midair. With the spectators dash. To actually be able to use a technique of that level in here, commented Kushina in surprise, for as much as she hated to admire her student's opponent, the girl had seriously impressed her. This is getting out of hand, we never expect Mai to have this much trouble with him, clearly the boy has been better trained than we thought. Kandachi thought with a frown. This new generation is certainly full of promise. Thought Sandame, for like Kushina, he had to admire Mai's skill, since she was just as remarkable as Naruto. As to be able to use a high-level B-rank water technique like Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu, in a place like this, and to control so well at her age, was remarkable to say the least. Tisk, as much as I hate to admit it, Hanzo did a hell of a job in training that girl, commented Jiraiya, since given what he saw, even if Naruto was a full strength and didn't have to hold back, he would still find this girl difficult to fight. Both of them are troublesome, ow, muttered Shikamaru, before being slapped on the back of his head by Ino for calling her Naruto-kun troublesome. After which the girl continued to cheer Naruto on. The two of them are seriously strong, and here I thought the Sand-Gay was dangerous, stated Kiba, where his silent teammate Shino nodded in agreement, as Naruto was proving much stronger than any of them ever expected. Yash, the flames of youth are truly burning brightly in them, wouldn't you agree, Kakashi? Asked Guy. At this, Kakashi just turned to Guy and said, Huh, did you say something, Guy? After hearing this, Guy once again became outraged. Damn you, Kakashi, and your cool hip attitude, you've won this round but I will not lose again. As the green jumpsuit-wearing man continued his usually little rant about how he wouldn't lose to Kakashi again. The copy-nin just turned back to watch the two young genin face off against one another again. As Kakashi watched them, he did silently agree with what Guy was saying about Mai and Naruto, although not in so many words. Both of them were impressive shinobi. Looks like we've better start watching out, Kushina-senpai, or else before we know it, Naruto and his generation will pass us by, commented the silver-haired man. Perhaps, but I'd like to think we still have a few tricks up our sleeves to teach them, replied the red-haired woman with Naruto and Mai dash. Damn it, I almost had him, thought Mai angrily, as she started to pant heavily, as using Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu along with her other techniques, had taken a lot out of her and was nearing her limit chakra-wise. At the same time Naruto stared down at his katana, as he knew that his chakra storage seal on his katana was nearing empty. Since there was a limit of how much chakra he could store in the seal, and he had used a great deal of it when he used Idaina Surashifu twice. At best he knew he had about a third of the chakra that was originally in it. Hoping to finish the fight quickly, Naruto charged straight at Mai with his katana, but the young Hattori Kunoichi was no slouch, for as soon as she saw Naruto coming at her, she quickly took her fan out of her mouth and once again began to do one-handed hand seals and inhaled deeply before thinking. Katan, Ryu no Hoko, fire style, dragon's roar! D. She then brought her free hand to her mouth, and then exhaled a large stream of fire which flew at Naruto at great speed. With the spectators dash. Not only can she use Futon and Suiton ninjutsu, but she can use Katan ninjutsu as well, thought Sasuke in surprise. Since he never expected Mai to be this powerful and being able to use a fire technique he had never seen before. This girl is just like Naruto, as she is able to use multiple elemental ninjutsu, thought Asuma in surprise, as given what he was seeing, the girl was already as strong as high-level Chunin if not a Tokubetsu Jonin. At the same time he couldn't help wonder what kind of training the girl's grandfather put her through to get her to be this strong. With Naruto and Mai seeing the stream of fire coming at him, Naruto immediately jumped to the left. After narrowly avoiding the hot stream of fire, Naruto charged right at Mai's unguarded right. Mai of course saw this and quickly deactivated her jutsu and brought her folded fan up to defend herself, when she saw Naruto about to swing his katana in an upward diagonal slash. But when Mai brought up her fan to block Naruto's slash, all that happened was Naruto's empty hand passing by her fan, revealing it to be a feint. The real attack instead came from Naruto's other hand, where he bypassed Mai's fan and slashed her across the chest with his katana. You gotta love the Mizu no Atsuen, rolling water technique, thought Naruto with smile, believing her had won. But that smile quickly disappeared when he saw Mai revert into water, revealing that Mai had replaced herself with Mizu no Bunshin. Seeing this, Naruto silently cursed and quickly spun around, to see several kunai flying towards him at high speeds. Brining up his katana, Naruto skillfully deflected the incoming projectiles with his katana, and then started looking for Mai. Enter Naruto OST2 Raikiri, Thunderbreak. He quickly found her at the other end of the arena opposite him, standing directly in front of the large stone hands. After doing several one-handed hand seals, Mai inhaled deeply before thinking. Katan, Gokaku no Jutsu, fire style, great fireball technique, and expelling a massive ball of fire. She then quickly followed up the attack, by channeling her wind chakra into her folding fan and using her futon, Kyofu, to enhance her fireball, making it even bigger and stronger. With the spectators dash. She's able pre-form combination techniques, said Kurenai in shock, upon seeing what Mai did. Such skill at so young an age, commented Koharu in surprise. The girl truly is the granddaughter of Hanzo, stated Hamura. A most impressive heir Hanzo, thought Danzo, before turning to look at Naruto and see what he would do. With Naruto and Mayat seeing the massive ball of flames hurtling towards him, Naruto realized he couldn't avoid the attack, as it was coming in too fast and was too big. Knowing of only one way to get out of this situation, Naruto started to summon the chakra from the storage seal on his katana, and hoped he had enough chakra to do the technique. He flipped his katana, so that he was holding it backwards, and then started to spin around at high speed, while channeling his chakra to draw the water around him, the water that was used to create Mai's water dragon, to create a giant water spout around him, protecting him from the massive fireball. 2. When the two techniques clashed, a giant steam cloud appeared where the two techniques cancelled each other out, as the water extinguished the fire and the fire evaporated most of the water. As the cloud of steam rose, everyone struggled to see what was happening, as the steam covered most. Look over there, cried Hinata, who had her Byakugan activated to see into the cloud, where she then indicated to the edge of the steam cloud. When everyone looked, they saw Naruto emerge from the steam cloud with his katana thrust forward and covered in water. Seeing this, Mai knew she didn't have much time, where she waited until the very last second before she stepped aside to avoid the attack so that Naruto would crash into the wall behind her. But before hitting the wall, Naruto pulled back his blade and then brought his right foot forward, where he then used the wall to propel himself back towards Mai at even greater speed. Surprised by this, Mai was barely able to bring up her fan to block Naruto's attack, who once again tried to use his Mizu no Atsuen technique, where he switched his katan from his right hand to his left in an instant. Sadly though, Mai was prepared for this, where she recognized the feint and stopped the real slash with the metal side of her folding fan. I'm not going to fall for the same trick twice, stated Mai, as she blocked Naruto's slash. Well, how about this then? Replied Naruto as he passed his katana from one hand to another at high speed behind his back, allowing him to strike Mai in the side on her unguarded left with the side of his katana. After being hit in her left side, Mai stumbled sideways and struggled to keep standing, as she had been caught completely off guard by Naruto's Nagarera Mizu, following water technique 3. Not wanting to lose his advantage, Naruto quickly moved forward with his katana, where he then channeled the last of the chakra from his storage seal. After which he then used his Hien, flying swallow, technique to increase the cutting power of his katana, and sliced right through Mai's fan, when she raised it, in an attempt to defend herself. After which Naruto then followed up his slash with a roundhouse kick in Mai's stomach that sent her flying backwards and crashing into the wall several meters behind her. End Naruto OST 2 Raikiri, Thunder Break, with the spectators dash. Pretty good, Naruto has improved a lot in his Genjutsu since we last saw him, commented Omoy, as he was quite impressed with Naruto's swordsmanship skills. Humph. I guess, muttered Karui. But what style is he using? I've never seen one like it. It's called Arasujin no Mai, Dance of the Raging Water Goddess, replied Samui, gaining her teammates' attention. It's a unique Genjutsu style, created by the Buradi Shinku no Ikari, Bloody Crimson Fury, Uzumaki Kushina. The style involves the user using not only a sword, but also water as a weapon, which is why the fighting style is so unusual and unique. Since normally when using weapons and elemental chakra together, wind, fire, lightning or pure chakra is normally what is used, and as you can guess, the style is best used when there is a large nearby water source. Beat her ass 10 times out of 10. Cheered B in his usual bad rapping. With Naruto and Mai dash. Give it up Mai, you can't win, spoke Naruto, as he watched the girl slowly pick herself up. TSK. Like hell I will, you haven't won this fight yet Senju, cried the girl, as she charged straight at Naruto, who in turn charged straight at her. As the two neared each other, Naruto attempted a sword thrust at the granddaughter of Hanzo, but she quickly avoided it and moved close so that Naruto couldn't use it. She then delivered a sharp knee kick to Naruto's gut, causing the blonde to kneel over slightly. After which Mai then grabbed hold of Naruto's sword arm and kicked his feet from under him and flipped over her, while at the same time causing Naruto to drop his katana. After being flipped over by Mai, Naruto quickly recovered by doing a mid-air flip, allowing him to land on his feet, where he then fell into a fighting stance and prepared to fight Mai, who had spun around to face Naruto. Humph, as you can see Senju, I'm not like the pitiful excuse of kunoichi that you have in your village, said Mai, causing several indigent yell from Tenten, Sakura and Ino. As I've been trained in some of the most grueling training regimens you can image, for not only am I skilled in ninjutsu and weapons, but I am equally skilled taijutsu. Upon hearing this Naruto's eyes narrowed, as he had to admit he had underestimated Mai. I'll admit Mai, I've underestimated and you're indeed one of the strongest people I've ever fought, who were around my age. After a minute or two of staring off at one another, the two genin charged at one another and began to fight in fierce taijutsu battle, where either gave much ground to the other. After ducking under a powerful jump kick from Mai, Naruto attempted to punch Mai in the side, which was left exposed after she missed him. But before he could hit her, Mai blocked the punch with her right hand, wherein a feat of incredible acrobatics. She used Naruto's outstretched hand like a pedestal to spin around and deliver a 180 spin kick right to Naruto's face, sending the young Senju skidding back several meters away. Mai then quickly chased after Naruto attempted to hit Naruto with a straightforward punch, which Naruto easily ducked under, and delivered a sharp rising knee kick, right to Mai's chin, sending her a few feet into the air. Upon which Naruto then fell backwards and used the ground to propel himself into the air and hit Mai in the gut, with a drop kick, sending the young kunoichi flying into the air, several meters back before crashing to the ground. Naruto then attempted to end the battle, by chasing after Mia, where he then jumped into the air and attempted a falling axe kick. But before Naruto's kick could hit, Mai jumped onto her knees and caught the falling kick with her hands, where she then pushed Naruto back, causing the blonde to flip several meters back. But when Naruto landed on the ground, Mai once again appeared in front of him, a hit straight in the chest with a flying kick sending him the blonde flying backwards. Mai then continued after Naruto where she appeared next to him and hit Naruto with a powerful rising, which sent Naruto up into the air, where the aim kunoichi jumped after him. Once she was above him, Mai then delivered a powerful elbow to Naruto's stomach that sent him hurtling to the ground and hit it with a loud thud, where he then skidded across the ground for several meters before stopping. God damn it, I'm getting pretty sick of being her punching bag, I'm going to end this now, thought Naruto as he spat out some blood as picked himself up. Once Naruto was back on his feet, he did a single hand seal and released his Fuinjutsu, Shurshuro Mamazuke Shiru, sealing technique, for limbs waiting seal, causing his gloves and boots to glow blue. With the spectators dash. About time the kid released them, commented Jiraiya, when he saw Naruto deactivating the Shurshuro Mamazuke Shiru. Excuse me Jiraiya-sama, but what is causing Naruto's boots and gloves to glow like that? Asked Sakura. The glow is being caused by Naruto deactivating special weighing seals that I placed on his boots and gloves, so to help improve his physical strength, meaning with them being no longer active, Naruto will be much stronger and faster than he was before. At this, Sakura and the other genin eyes widened in surprise, as Naruto was already pretty fast. So he uses the same kind of method that Lee uses, but instead of regular weights he uses weight seals, thought Niji with interest, after hearing Jiraiya's explanation. With Naruto and Mai at the same time, when Naruto was deactivating his Fuinjutsu, Omamazukshiru. Mai, who had landed back on the ground, began to frown and wonder what Naruto was doing. What sort of trick is he up to now? But before she could think further on the matter, Naruto suddenly charged straight at her with a sudden massive burst of speed, where within the blink of an eye was right in front of her. Mai had been so surprised by Naruto's new speed that she had been completely caught off guard by it, and couldn't block the sharp elbow strike to the side of her face from him, which was then followed by a rising knee kick to her chin, causing her to fall on her back. Mai of course quickly recovered, where despite the pain she was feeling from her face, she spat out some blood that was in her mouth and flipped backward onto her feet. But as soon as she did, she was forced on the defensive by a powerful roundhouse kick from Naruto to the left side of her head, which she barely managed to block with her left arm due to the strength and speed of the kick. Seeing that his kick was blocked, Naruto then quickly used Mai's left arm to push his right leg away from her, allowing him to spin himself around and deliver a powerful spinning back kick to the right side of Mai's head. That sent her flying sideways and nearly causing her to hit the wall. Mai of course tried to steady herself as her head was still spinning from Naruto hits. But it just when the world had stopped spinning for Mai that Naruto once again appeared in front of her. It was only because of the many years of intensive training that she went through that her body was able to move out of the way of a strong forward punch from Naruto. Although when she tried a punch of her own, Naruto slapped her arm away and sent a strong elbow strike to her chest, right between her breasts. That knocked the wind out of her, causing her to take a few steps back. Naruto then quickly followed up with another forward kick, which Mai barely blocked with both her arms, although the kick was still strong enough to cause her arms to go slightly numb and make her skid back a small bit. What the hell is going on? Where did this sudden new burst of speed and strength come from? Did he use some kind of jutsu to do this? Thought Mai, as she tried to understand what was happening. But before Mai could dwell any further on the matter, Naruto came at her again, where when she tried to punch him with her right fist, he caught it and then hit several pressure points on her arm with the tips of his fingers, causing it to go numb. Seeing this, Mai then tried to punch him with her other fist, but Naruto avoided the fist and did the same thing to her other arm. With both her arms gone numb, Mai then attempted to kick Naruto, but before she could hit him, the Senju Heir ducked underneath the kick and spun to her side, where he then did a leg swipe and kicked her remaining foot off the ground. After which Naruto then hit a pressure point on her back and they kicked her up into the air. Once Mai was airborne, Naruto then jumped after her, where once he was above her, he raised his leg up and cried out, "Gekakyaku, hammer kick!" where he delivered a powerful blow onto Mai's stomach, sending her crashing to the ground. Once Mai hit the ground, the match referee Hate appeared next to Mai, since he had been keeping out of the way of the two genin. Remarkably, when he kneeled down to her, Mai was still conscious, although was groaning in pain from Naruto's last move, but even still it was obvious the girl could no longer fight. It was at this point that he saw Naruto landed a few feet away from them and slowly walked towards him. The boy looked fairly tried and had several bruises, cuts and other injuries on him, not to mention his outfit was fairly torn up. But all of this just proved how fierce the fight between the heir of the Slug Princess and the heir of the Salamander was. Soon enough, Hate stood up and spoke. "Hattori Mai is unable to continue the fight. The winner is Senju Naruto." With the spectators dash. "Yada! Naruto-kun won, I knew he would," cheered Ino. "Yash," stated Tsunade with a smirk, as she knew her son would win. "That move!" thought Guy in surprise, as he thought about Naruto's last move. Although it was very different, there were still strong similarities between his and Lee's moves to Naruto's. It of course did not take long for him to realize that Naruto must have copied Lee's moves slightly, and changed it to fit his own style. This of course greatly impressed the elder man, as it took a great deal of skill and physical ability to perform the moves that Naruto did, especially since he had only seen it once when Sasuke fought Lee. "Naruto-kun fought well," commented Haku, as she turned to her master. At this Zabuza just nodded. "The kid did good, it was a pretty close match, as the girl was no weakling." "Naruto-kun," muttered Hinata quietly as she smiled at the blonde boy winning his match. "Nice going, Naruto," thought Oma with smile. As expected, thought Yujito with a slight smile. Ah yeah! He pulled it off like a wisdom tooth, stated B with a smile. I don't believe it. My loss, thought Kendachi with utterly disbelief, who was joined by the rest of his team, as Mai was the strongest amongst them. Humph! I have to admit he's pretty good. I didn't think he would win, thought Temari. With Naruto and Mai once Hade had announced that the match was over and that Naruto had won, the young blonde let out a sigh of relief, as he was pretty sore after that fight. Not to mention fairly tired, as he didn't have much time to rest from finishing the Forest of Death to his match with Mai. As Naruto was about to walk up to the catwalk and join his family and friends, he suddenly heard her Mai cough harshly. When he turned to Mai, he saw that she had spat out some blood and was struggling to breath. Seeing this, Naruto quickly walked over to her and kneeled down next to her and started to take out some things from his pouch. When Hade asked what he was doing, Naruto explained he was going to help her treat her injuries. Hade of course told Naruto that they had medics here to help her, and told him that he didn't have to. But Naruto stated he could handle it himself, where the sickly shinobi just nodded and backed away so to allow Naruto to examine and treat Mai. When Mai turned and saw Naruto sitting next to her, the young kunoichi glared at the blonde. Come to gloat, Senju? Cough, cough. Hardly, replied Naruto, where she stared to gently touch Mai's sides. What the hell do you think you're doing? Cried the outraged girl, with a hit of blush, which Naruto found funny. Given the outfit she was wearing, he didn't think Mai would be so embarrassed of a boy touching her. I'm treating you, explained Naruto, where before the girl could respond, she hissed in pain as Naruto touched her tender sides. As I expected, you've a few cracked ribs, probably caused by my last hit, although I'm amazed that's all you got, stated Naruto before he went and took out a small pill bottle and took out some pills and brought them to my mouth. What are they? Mai asked. They're painkiller pills, to help numb the pain from your ribs, Naruto explained. But as soon as he said this, Mai turned her head away stubbornly. I refuse. Huh, but why? I am a shinobi of the Hattori clan, where to accept help from an enemy is a sign of weakness, and I will not insult my pride by letting you help me, stated the girl stubbornly. Well, that's about the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Naruto commented. What? You heard me. Why let yourself go through all this pain over a silly thing like that? TSK, you wouldn't understand, replied Mai angrily. Maybe not, but whether you like it or not, I'm going to treat you. Now you've two choices. You can make things easy for yourself and do what I tell you, or you can make things hard, where I force you to take these pills. You wouldn't spoke Mai before she cried out in pain, when Naruto touched one of her cracked ribs, where he then poured the pills into her mouth, causing her to swallow them. Well, that wasn't too bad, now was it? Asked Naruto with an all-too-sweet smile, one that was all too familiar to many people, as they had seen the exact same smile on his mother's face all too many times. Damn you! Growled Mai angrily. If could just move, I will dash, spoke Mai, but was interrupted by Naruto before she could finish her threat. Well, you can't, so deal with it, but if you behave, I'll free you from the effect of the pressure points. At this, Mai just grunted and allowed Naruto to finish treating her. With the spectators dash. Heh! Looks like the brat also inherited your bedside manner, joked Jiraiya, as he glanced over at Tsunade. Ha ha, laugh it up, pervert. Next time you come to me to treat your injuries after one of your research missions, I won't be half as nice to you, replied Tsunade, which caused Toad Sage to worry slightly. Why is Naruto even helping that chick? She tried to kill him, stated Kiba, who had awaked from his unexpected nap not long after Naruto's match began. The brat is weird that way. He did the same kind of thing for me and Haku, commented Zabuza. What do you mean? Asked Shino. During our battle in Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, Kakashi had me and was about to deliver the final blow. Haku of course tried to protect me by shielding me with her body, but before Kakashi's attack could hit, the brat stopped him. Why on earth would Naruto do that? Asked Ino. Well, the kid simply stated that he didn't believe either Haku or I deserved to die, replied Zabuza with a slight snort. Since given the things he did in his past, many would think that he did deserve to die. That was a very reckless thing to do, stated Kurenai with a slight frown. Yeah, well, that's what happened. He even somehow convinced Kakashi and the others to bring us back to where they were staying and let him treat us, despite the fact that we tried to kill him and the others. Even now I still do fully understand why he did, said the Demon of the Mist. It's because Naruto-kun is a very kind person, answered Haku with a fond smile, whereat this Tsunade, who was listening to conversation, could only nod in agreement. Since Naruto had always been a kind boy, too kind at times. With Naruto and Mai for the next few minutes, Naruto continued to treat Mai's injuries, where he soon took out and opened a small jar of cream and explained to Mai that it was healing cream that would help reduce the swelling that would come later. When Naruto added the cream, the girl hissed in pain, as the cream was cold and her sides were very tender. Soon after, though, the pain lessened as Naruto continued to gently rub the medical cream on Mai's sides. As Naruto continued to do this, the girl couldn't help but notice, as Naruto rubbed the cream on her sides, that he had very gentle hands. The thought, of course, made the girl blush slightly, which thankfully Naruto didn't notice. Soon after, though, the Ain Kunoichi decided to ask Naruto a question. Why are you even helping me? I was your enemy. The match is over, so we aren't enemies anymore, stated Naruto. But I tried to kill you. Well, that was then and this is now, and besides, you're not the first one to try and you certainly won't be the last one to. Also, what happened then is now in the past and it doesn't mean we can't become friends now, replied the Senju heir. Friends? Repeated Mai, where she looked at Naruto like he was insane. Yeah, I have 2 other friends now, up there watching us, who I met on a mission a while back, and like you, they were my enemies for a while. But once the battle was over, we became friends. At hearing this, Mai just shook her head in slight disbelief. Tisk, you're a weird guy, Senju Naruto. Naruto just smirked at this and said, So I've been told. After a few minutes, though, Naruto finished spreading the cream on Mai's sides and took out some bandages and slowly wrapped them around her waist. Once the bandages were tightly around Mai's waist, Naruto took out another small pill bottle from his pouch and took out a large round pill the size of a gumdrop. What's that? A medical pill my Ka-chan developed. It temporarily floods your body with chakra and accelerates your own natural healing, although it doesn't heal you completely. It should heal you just enough so that you can move around without trouble, but later you should go to a medic to be fully treated, explained Naruto. And if I were to refuse that pill? Asked Mai. Well, you know what happened last time, answered Naruto with a smirk, which annoyed Mai, but agreed and opened her mouth to take the pill. Within a minute or two after taking the pill, it took effect, where Mai could feel the chakra surge throughout her body and could see her injuries starting to slowly heal. Once the pill did its job, Naruto then tapped the pressure points in her arm joints to allow her to move her arms again. He then hit another pressure point just above her breast, to allow her to move the rest of her body. I can move again, declared Mai, as she moved arms about. Although her body was still sore and ached a little, she was a lot better than she was before. Told you I would, but don't move too much, as you're not 100% yet, and won't be for a while, said Naruto, where Mai just nodded. You're a strong kunoichi, Mai, I mean that, and I really hope that we can be friends. Maybe we can have a friendly fight later on once the exam is done with, spoke Naruto as he held out his hand in friendship, as well as to help her up. But instead of taking Naruto's offered hand, Mai grabbed his green zip-up top and pulled him down to her, and kissed him. Enter Naruto OST1 sexiness. Now this wasn't your ordinary everyday kiss on the cheek, or a quick and simple kiss on the lips. This was an open your mouth so our tongues can play kind of a kiss. Naruto, of course, had been so shocked by what had happened, that he didn't know what to do, and by the time he realized what was going on, his brain went on shutdown mode because of Mai's kiss. With the spectators, Naruto wasn't the only one who was caught off guard by Mai's kiss, as everyone else who had been watching the fight was caught completely off guard, where their reactions varied from one another. Upon seeing this, both Kiba and Kankuro were launched into the air by massive nosebleeds, where they once again crashed into the walls behind them. Many of the boys and girls like Lee, Karui, Choji, Hinata, Chojuro, Sakura, and Omoi turned bright red at the sight. At seeing Mai kissing Naruto, Jiraiya immediately started cheering for Naruto, yelling out, "Way to go, kid!" and, "That a boy!" At the same time, he began writing everything down on his notepad, thinking it would make a great scene for his next book. Tsunade, although, didn't take the sight as well as Jiraiya did, for as soon as she saw it, she went postal. Both the Sandaime and Shizen quickly grabbed hold of the woman and prevented her from jumping down into the arena and killing Mai. But that didn't stop her from screaming out, "Let him go, you little wench!" and, "I'll kill her!" as she struggled to get out of her sensei and students' grips, who were now assisted by Anko and Ibiki. Tsunade was of course not the only one who took what Mai did badly. When Ino saw my lip lock with Naruto, she immediately cried, "Bitch!" She was so angry that her sensei Asuma had to hold her back from jumping into the arena and trying to tear Mai a new one. Even Haku seemed irked by the sight, as when she saw Mai pull Naruto into the kiss, a dark aura formed around her and an evil-looking glint appeared in her eyes, which caused her teammates to slowly step away from her in fear. "Zabuza-sama, I believe I have finally found someone I wish to kill," spoke the female ice user dangerously, where she took out a set of Saban needles from her pouch. "Don't tell me Haku likes the kid and is jealous," thought Zabuza, when he turned to his student and raised his non-existing eyebrows in surprise and was slightly worried that Haku might actually try and kill Mai. "Well, they certainly didn't have this back when I did the Chunin exam," commented Kakashi. "This is going to be troublesome," muttered Shikamaru, seeing Tsunade, Ino and Haku's reaction to the scene. "Damn Naruto," thought Omu in surprise and some admiration for his blonde friend. "Good stuff, man," cheered B, although both Samui and Yujito were slightly annoyed by what Mai was doing, although neither of them knew why they were bothered by it. "Well, I certainly didn't see that coming," commented Kushina. As Mai continued to play with Naruto's tongue, Jiraiya started to cry anime tears. "Why couldn't something like that happen to me when I did the exam? GH!" cried Jiraiya, before Tsunade backhanded him right in the face, slamming his head right into the wall, where it got stuck. End Naruto OST 1 Sexiness with Naruto and Mai. Eventually, though Mai released Naruto from her lip lock, although still held onto his zip up top. When Mai let go of him, Naruto was left red-faced and in a complete daze, as that had been his first real kiss, and what a kiss it was. 4. "Marry me, Naruto-kun," spoke Mai suddenly, which immediately woke Naruto from his daze. "I'ma marry you," repeated the wide-eyed and red-faced Naruto in shock. "Yes, you are the only person other than my grandfather to have defeated me in battle. Together you and I would be unstoppable. You're the only one worthy of being my husband and bear children with," spoke Mai. "CC children," repeated Naruto, where his eyes widened even further. "Yes, as when our two bloodlines, 5, combine and with us as their parents our children would be unstoppable." "So how about it, Naruto-kun?" asked Mai seductively, where she had a predatory look in her eyes, which made Naruto very nervous. "Like hell you will," roared Tsunade, who had broken free of the Sandame's and the other's grip and jumped down to the arena and grabbed the back of Naruto's collar and pulled him away from Mai. After Tsunade pulled Naruto away from Mai, the granddaughter of Hanzo quickly got onto her feet and glared at the female Sanin. "You can't stop us," stated Mai. "The fuck I can't, I'm his mother," yelled the furious Tsunade. "Could have fooled me, since you're old enough to be his grandmother," retorted Mai. "Oh dear," muttered the worried Sandame, when he and the others heard Mai's retort. "What did you just say, you little hussy?" hissed Tsunade angrily, where her eyes went ablaze in fury and gave Mai a look that would have made most shinobi cower in fear, which was only highlighted when she started to crack her knuckles. But then again, Mai wasn't like most shinobi. "You heard me, or is your hearing going in your old age?" sneered Mai. "Oh shit!" cried Jiraiya, who got his head free from the wall, as he knew what was to come next. "WWWHHHHHTTT!" roared the Tsunade as flames of fury erupted around the female Sanin. "Why me?" asked Naruto to himself, as he stood between his mother and Mai. "Even Buddha could only forgive you once," cried Tsunade as she raised her fist in rage, after being insulted once again by Mai. Fortunately though, before things could get further out of hand, Jiraiya and Shizen suddenly appeared behind Tsunade and grabbed hold of her, preventing her from splattering Mai on the wall. "Let me go, Jiraiya." "Shizen. I am going to kill her," yelled Tsunade as she struggled to free herself from Jiraiya and Shizen's grips, who were barely holding the furious woman back. "Just try it, you old hag," goaded Mai, which added fuel to the woman's fury, where Tsunade was on the verge of a meltdown and about ready to bring the whole tower down. "Please, Tsunade, just calm down, this is all just a grave misunderstanding," spoke the Sandame as he bravely stood between Mai and Tsunade, to prevent Tsunade from killing Mai and starting an international incident. "There is no mistake about it, Naruto-kun is my fiancé," declared Mai. "And what the hell gives you that idea?" rounded Tsunade, as she was still being held back by Jiraiya and Shizen. "Clan tradition and law," answered Mai. "Huh!" said Naruto with a confused look. "Excuse me?" asked Sarutobi, not fully understanding what the young girl was saying. At this Mai just smiled, There is a long-standing tradition among the kunoichi of my clan. Since we hold the responsibility of bearing the next generations of our clan, we are obligated to make sure that those children are strong, so that our clan remains strong. Because of this, the women of our clan are trained to be as strong as the men are, so that we can fight against any enemies alongside them, as well as bear many strong children. It's also because of this tradition that the women of my clan only accept strong men to be our husbands and fathers of our children. Hence, if a kunoichi of my clan is defeated by a much stronger male shinobi and if said kunoichi finds him acceptable, then he must marry her, explained Mai. That's ridiculous. You're making this stuff up, exclaimed Tsunade. Actually, Tsunade, she isn't, stated Sarutobi, gaining the group's attention. As I've heard of the Hattori clan having such a tradition. Well, even if there is, there's no way I will allow it to happen, as I forbid it, declared Tsunade. You have no say in this hag, responded Mai. He's only 12 and I'm his mother, so I do have a say, rounded Tsunade angrily at my calling her a hag again. That may be true, if he was just a civilian, but once he became a shinobi he is regarded by law as an adult, retorted Mai, which caught Tsunade by surprise. Since technically Mai was correct, as by law, when Naruto became a shinobi of Konoha, he was recognized as an adult. That may be true, Mai-san, but even so, there is an age limit to marriage, where Naruto cannot get married until he is 18 years old. Even then, arranged marriages similar to the likes that you're suggesting or any other like them can only be accepted by his mother. Since she is not only his mother, but also the head of the Senju clan, since he is her heir. Not to mention that this is not Amigekure and your clan is not part of our village, hence your clan's traditions and laws are not acknowledged here, explained the Sandaime. Upon hearing this, Tsunade smirked, believing that her sensei had put the girl in her place. But her smirk soon died down, when Mai didn't look the least bit angry or upset. Mere technicalities, Hokage-sama, and they can be overcome given enough time. As for Naruto-kun not being legal age for marriage, I believe I can wait a few years, answered the girl, where she turned and started to head for the catwalk, where her team was located. But before she walked off she turned to Naruto and gave him a seductive wink, which made the blonde blush red, due to the kiss still being fresh on his mind. Not to mention the fact that he could still taste Mai's lips on his own. I'll be seeing you soon, Naruto-kun, said Mai before walking away. At seeing Naruto blush, Tsunade growled angrily, and struggled slightly with Shizen and Jiraiya, muttering, "Let me at her," but eventually stopped. Naruto and the Sandaime of course just sighed, as both of them had slight headaches caused by the past few minutes' events, which would only grow later on. It was almost at the same time that both Naruto and his surrogate grandfather Sarutobi sighed inwardly, and thought the exact same thing at the exact same time. Women! With the spectators dash. Damn, and I thought our family was screwed up, commented Kankuro, who had regained consciousness. Temari of course just nodded at this, although she then smacked the back of her brother's head when she saw him staring at Mai's chest and rear, when she walked by them to go to her team. Ku, very impressive Naruto-kun, very impressive indeed, thought the snake Sanin, with a small smile. Once the excitement of the match and the aftermath of the match ended, the Sandaime decided that they had delayed the next match long enough, and told Heir to begin the next selection. He also told Tsunade and the others that they should go up to the catwalk, where Tsunade could treat Naruto injuries. Tsunade of course insisted that they go now and seal away the curse mark, but the Sandaime said they couldn't, at least not yet. Since everyone needed to stay here until the preliminaries were done, since one of the genin would have to fight twice. Tsunade, Sarutobi and Jiraiya, along with Naruto, quickly shunshined, body flickered, up to the catwalk, while Shizen stayed behind to get Naruto's katana before joining them up. Once everyone was up on the catwalk, Tsunade told Naruto to sit down against the wall so that she could examine him and treat his injuries. This was of course not an order Naruto had problems following, since he was pretty sore and tried. As Tsunade began to heal Naruto's injuries, Haku, Hinata and Ino all came over to see how Naruto was and if they could help her treat Naruto's injuries. Sumimasen, 6, Titi Tsunade-sama, but will Naruto-kun be alright? Asked Hinata nervously. Tsunade of course did not miss the kun suffix that Hinata used, but decided to leave the matter for another time. Yes, he should be fine. I've trained him hard enough, so that injuries like these would be nothing to him, answered Tsunade. That's the understatement of the decade, muttered Naruto, since his fight with Mai was nothing compared to the hellish training that his mother put him through when he was younger. What was that, Naruto-chan? asked Tsunade with an all-too-sweet tone and smile. Nothing, Naruto replied quickly, since his mother was not in the best of moods after her argument with Mai. Hence she was just looking for an outlet for her frustration, and that was something he had no intention of being. Good, stated Tsunade, where she then continued to treat Naruto. If I may, Tsunade Dano, I can help, offered Haku. So can I, stated Ino. I have some healing cream, that CC could help, stuttered Hinata. Well, looks like you've been busy, brat, thought Jiraiya with a cheesy smirk, when he saw the three girls all offering to help Naruto. Seeing this, Tsunade frowned at the girls' willingness to help Naruto, and began to wonder what their relationship with her son was. Thank you, but I can manage, answered Tsunade, where the girls just nodded. Soon enough, though, Tsunade had treated most of her son injuries, whereas she was finishing up, she glances back over at Haku. You're Haku, correct? asked Tsunade, where the female ice user just nodded. Then I guess I owe you my thanks. Naruto told me that it was you and your team that found and cared for him and protecting him from that hussy. At hearing Tsunade thanking her, Haku simply told her she was welcome, and that she was happy to do so. Once Tsunade had finished healing Naruto, Jiraiya decided it was time to have a little fun at his godson's expense, after all the pranks he did to him over the years. So brat, how are you feeling? Still, a little bit sore, but a lot better. Well, if you're not feeling any better later on, I am sure that these three girls here would be more than happy to help you, since they were so eager to heal you, said Jiraiya, while emphasizing the word heal to indicate more to the meaning. At hearing Jiraiya's comment and catching the meaning, Ino blushed a bit, while Hinata turned cherry red. Haku, on the other hand, remained perfectly expressionless. But if one were to look closely enough, they would have seen a hint of pink on her cheeks. It's nothing like that, retorted Naruto, with a slight glare at his godfather. We're friends, that's all. Well, you sure do have a lot of pretty female friends, brat, something I sure as hell wouldn't mind having, responded Jiraiya, with a perverted grin, causing Naruto to glare at the man more. Oh please, those three are nothing compared to the horde of fangirls that are aftoops, spoke Kushina before she realized that she said that out loud. A horde of fangirls, cried an outraged Tsunade, where she glared angrily at her son, who was wishing right now that the wall behind him would just swallow him up whole. At the same time he glared murderously at his female sensei, who blushed embarrassingly, since Kushina the blabbermouth had done it again. It's not what you think, Ka-chan, I swear, they just won't leave me alone. Hell, I don't even know half of them, explained Naruto quickly. Although it did little to lessen his mother's anger, in fact it actually increased it, where she then turned to Jiraiya and grabbed him by the collar and began to shake him like a rag doll. This is all your fault, cried Tsunade angrily, as she wrung her former teammate's neck. I should have known that your perverted behavior was contagious and would infect my son. But I didn't do anything, I swear, cried Jiraiya as Tsunade continued to shake him. I would go easy on Ero-sennin if I were you, Tsunade, as I don't think this is his fault, as if he really was influencing Naruto, then Naruto would be having the opposite effect with girls, spoke Kushina. Damn it, brat, now you got her calling me by that name, cried the annoyed Jiraiya, after Tsunade let him go. Huh, when the shoe fits, Naruto replied simply. And what the hell do you mean by having the opposite effect with girls? The ladies love me, they flock from all over and can't get enough of me, declared Jiraiya, when he turned to Kushina. Really, and what world would that be in? Asked Kushina with a smirk, when she saw the outraged look on Jiraiya, while seeing everyone else smirk and snicker. I think I know who Naruto is really taking after, stated Kushina with a knowing look to Tsunade, which caused Tsunade to frown slightly, knowing that Kushina somehow knew about Naruto's father. Well, regardless, when the preliminaries are all over, and the sealing is done, you and I are going to have a long talk about this, Naruto, stated Tsunade as she stared intently at her son, who was not looking forward to that conversation. Ah man, I should have just let Mai kill me, thought Naruto. Chapter 23: Senju's Wrath. Pervious on hope of the Senju clan. Well, regardless, when this exam is all over, you and I are going to have a long talk, stated Tsunade as she stared intently at her son, who was not looking forward to that conversation. Ah man, I should have just let Mai kill me, thought Naruto. Hattori Mai. After her defeat at the hands of Naruto, Mai walked up the catwalk and headed for her team who were waiting for her. Care to explain yourself, Mai? Asked the team leader and Sensei Kandachi. Naruto-kun was much stronger than I anticipated, Mai answered simply. Naruto-kun? Repeated one of Mai's teammates. Is there a problem? Asked Mai, as she turned to her teammate and frowned. Your orders were to kill Senju, not to make out with him, and then propose to him, said the aimed genin. Agreed, your grandfather will not be pleased when he hears of your defeat, Mai, stated Kandachi. You saw how skilled Naruto-kun was, stated Mai. Which makes your defeat and your actions after the fight all the more serious, responded Kandachi. My grandfather will understand. He knows our clan laws better than anyone, and he cannot deny that Naruto-kun and I would be a fitting match. If you asked me, you're trying to cover yourself, stated the other member of Mai's team. What did you just say? Asked Mai as she turned to her teammate and narrowed her eyes threateningly. You heard me, sneered the aimed genin. You dropped that ball and failed your mission, and now you're trying to cover up your mistake by jumping Senju bones. Clearly you're not as strong as you think you are. Maybe you should just step aside and leave this mission to someone competent, and who can actually do the job. But as soon as the aimed genin said this, and before he could do anything, he suddenly found a kunai pointed at his neck and facing a very angry Mai. I suggest that you watch your mouth. Even on my worst day, I could kill trash like you with a simple flick of my wrist. That's enough, both of you, rounded Kandachi, glared at both genin. We'll talk about this again later. Mai scoffed at this and then removed the kunai from the aimed genin's neck, who started to rub his neck and look at the kunasahai nervously, as she glared coldly at him, before she turned away and stared at the other end of the arena. Seeing this, Kandachi glared at the foolish genin, as he knew how strong Mai was, and she certainly didn't drop the ball. Naruto simply proved to be much more skilled than they expected him to be, which of course made things all the worse. Since if he was this skilled already, there was no doubt that he would become a formidable foe in the future. As he turned to Mai, he saw the young girl staring at Naruto at the opposite end of the arena, who was being treated for his injuries by his mother. This could complicate matters, thought Kandachi. With the Suna team, as Mai was conversing with her team, a certain red-haired Jinchuriki was staring at Naruto with a cold, bloodthirsty look in his eyes. Seeing this, Gaara's sensei and siblings began to worry, as they saw who he was staring at. Yes, mother, I hear you. You want his blood, and I will give it to you soon, very soon, I promise, thought the crazed Jinchuriki. I was afraid of this, thought a worried Temari. The preliminaries have barely even started, but because of the intensity of Senju's and that girl's battle, Gaara is already on the verge of losing control and going berserk. Crap, Gaara is already going psycho. If I'm going against him in these preliminaries, I'm quitting, plan or no plan. He'll probably kill me if I do fight him, thought the equally worried Kankuro. Damn it, I didn't think he'd actually defeat someone as skilled as Hanzo's granddaughter. It seems he's even stronger than we feared, thought Baki, before turned to look at his student Gaara. And if Gaara isn't able to contain himself, he'll going out of control and will attack the boy and ruin everything. With Orochimaru dash. Kukukukuku, very impressive Naruto-kun, very impressive indeed, thought Orochimaru, since he had been rather impressed with the fight. So much so that he was rather tempted to try and find a way to win Mai over to his side. But he quickly turned that idea down, since doing so would earn him some unwanted attention, or to be more precise, earn the ire of her grandfather Hanzo, who was someone Orochimaru had no wish to go up against again, at least not without some assurances. With the Kumo team dash. Hey Hachibi, something up? Asked Killer Bee inside his mind, as he could sense that there was something up with his Biju. Yes, I sense another one of the Biju in here, replied the Great Ox. No joke? Asked Killer Bee in surprise. No, I sense it too, responded the Nibi as the cat Biju joined the conversation, using the telepathy skill that all Biju had to communicate with one another. Which one is it? Yujito asked, as she looked around the genin teams who were from the villages that had Jinchuriki. It's Shikaku, I can practically feel his bloodlust, stated Hachibi. That means it's one of the Suna members, Yujito replied in her mind, where she looked at the Suna team, who were to her right at the opposite end of the catwalk they were on. Is it that guy with the gourd on his back and the slightly crazed look on his face? Asked Yujito, as she stared at Gaara. That would be my guess, since whenever Shikaku is sealed into its Jinchuriki, he eats away at his host's personality, and influences him or her with his bloodlust behavior whenever his host sleeps. This leads his host to develop insomnia, causing them to slowly lose their sanity, answered Hachibi. Also, added the Nibi, I'm willing to bet that gourd on his back is full of sand, since Shikaka gives his host the ability to control sand. Meaning if you have to face him, kitten, you should be careful, as Shikaka's hosts are extremely dangerous when they use their sand. At hearing this, Yujito just nodded and heeded her Biju's advice, knowing that the monster cat wouldn't say something like that unless it was true. Soon enough, Yujito noticed that Gaara was fixated on something. When she turned to the direction that Gaara was looking, she saw that the Tsunade Jinchuriki was staring at Naruto, who had just been treated by his mother, and was seemingly being berated by her about something. Looks like Shikaka's host has his eye on your boyfriend, kitten, commented the Nibi. He's not my boyfriend, Nibi. I told you that already, rounded Yujito angrily. Really, if that was true, kitten, then why did I sense the slight urge to tear that girl's face off when she started playing Twister with his mouth? Answered the female Biju with an amused tone. This answer of course irked Yujito. I was angry because of the fact that she was kissing him in front of everyone so blatantly. Sure it wasn't because she got to do it before you did? Purred the Nibi, knowing it would annoy her host further. I told you, I'm not attracted to Naruto, yelled Yujito in her mind. I simply respect him as a rival and someone I want to fight and defeat. Well, that's how it starts, kitten. Then one day when you two are facing off against each other, you'll eventually get tangled up with one another, where your bodies would be pressed against each other and would be all hot, sweaty, and sticky from fighting. Your clothes would be clinging tightly to your bodies, allowing you both to feel each other fully. Your faces would be so close together that you could feel each other's hot breath breathing on your faces, and you could feel each other's heartbeat beating faster and faster, until eventually you both can't help but you dash, said Nibi. But before she could continue, Yujito suddenly started screaming in her mind. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, SSSHHUUPPTUUPPPP, screamed the now red-faced girl, who was starting to get mental images of her and Naruto together like that, thanks to Nibi's story. After which she started to grumble about her perverted horny cat demon. He, little kitty got all hot a bothered, ah yeah. She dreaming of eyes like the sky and hair like the sun, thought Killer Bee in rhymes as he joined in on the teasing. How many times do I have to tell you people? I don't think of Naruto that way, hissed the furious Yujito inside her mind, before she glanced over to her sensei. And you better watch it be, sensei, or I swear I'll be having fired octopus and beef for dinner tonight. Alright, that's enough from all of you, spoke Hachibi, knowing he was going to have to be the adult here. Ah, come on, Hachibi, we're just having little fun, said Nibi. Maybe, but we're moving away from the point of the matter, which is Shikaku, spoke Hachibi. You think the fool will act the fool? Asked B in one of his bad rhymes. No, I don't believe so, since if we can sense him, Shikaku can certainly sense us, and as strong as he isn't stupid, he knows that he can't take us both on by himself. Although that doesn't go for his hosts, since as I said earlier, given the effect Shikaku has on his hosts, the boy may not be entirely in his right set of mind to begin with and may attack us regardless, answered Hachibi. I doubt he will, stated Nibi. Since like I told all of you earlier, his host seems to have his eye on Kitten's boyfriend over there. I told you he's not my boyfriend, rounded Yujito. But do you think Naruto will be able to handle him? If he's not your boyfriend, then why are you worried about him? Asked the monster cat in amusement. I'm not, retorted and slightly red Yujito. It's just that if anyone is going to defeat him, it's me. Besides, if he kills or defeats Naruto, then our mission will have failed. Whatever helps you sleep at night, kitten, but sooner or later you're going to have to face reality, replied Nibi, where before Yujito could respond to this she continued on. But I don't think you have to worry, your boyfriend there is pretty tough for a kid his age, and he was able to defeat you back when you used my power against him. Granted, you don't have the control you do now, and the Tsunade kid has probably been trained to use his power to a high degree. But your boyfriend has proven that he can handle himself, if that fight of his was any indication. Before Yujito could respond to Nibi's remarks on Naruto being her boyfriend, Hachibi interceded so to prevent another argument between Nibi and her host. I agree, given the skill the boy has shown already. I'm certain he can handle himself, and if he cannot, I'm certain his mother or some of the other Konoha shinobi will intervene and stop Shikaku's host, should he go too far. Besides, there is also that strange power that he seems to emanate, commented Hachibi. As like Nibi when they first met Naruto, he felt a strange yet familiar power coming from Naruto. Have either of you figured out what the power that you are sensing from him is? Asked Yujito inside her mind, remembering the Nibi mentioning it before. No, replied Nibi. But like I said last time, that power I'm feels strange yet familiar at the same time. It's also faint, as if it's being suppressed by some other power that is also somewhat familiar yet different at the same time. This, of course, did not sit well with Yujito, as she was never a big fan of mysteries, yet Naruto was an enigma, who she couldn't quite figure out fully. She always felt that there was more to Naruto than meets the eye, even after learning that he was Tsunade's son and the heir to the Senju clan. She still felt that there was still much more to Naruto than he was letting on, as if he was still hiding something from everyone, leaving the question, who was Naruto really? With Sasuke as Naruto was being treated for his injuries and being berated by his mother for having fangirls after him, a certain young Uchiha stared coldly at Naruto with a twig of jealousy and anger. Sasuke had of course been watching the battle with everyone else, and could not help but feel inferior when it was over. It was bad enough that he had lost to Naruto earlier on when he went out of control from Orochimaru's cursed seal. But when he saw Naruto and Mai's fight, it made him feel even worse, as Mai's strength proved to rival even Naruto's, where Sasuke himself had to question his own chances, had he faced her, even if he was at 100%. The battle itself was comparable to even Kakashi and Zabuza's battle, where Mai used the Suryudan no Jutsu, Water Dragon Bullet technique. She could even use multiple elemental ninjutsu and combine them, just like Naruto, as well as use one-handed hand seals like Haku. Yet despite his handicap, Naruto had defeated Mai without the aid of his chakra and even somehow improved his Surashifu, Wind Slash, technique, by making it more powerful. Damn it, what the hell is wrong with me? Am I doing something wrong? Thought Sasuke, as he tightened his hand into a fist in anger. Since like Mai and Naruto, he came from a clan of powerful shinobi, yet both of them were on a completely different level from him. Could it be because of who trained them? Sasuke thought further, as he stared at Tsunade, who was still berating Naruto over his fangirls, and Jiraiya, who was grinning his ass off. After which, Sasuke turned to look at Mai, who had admitted earlier on that she had been trained by her grandfather Hanzo, who according to Kushina was a legendary figure in the shinobi world, who defeated all three members of the Densetsu no Sanin, legendary 3 ninja, single-handedly, back when they were in their prime, and gave them their title. Before he could think any further on the matter, he suddenly heard Kakashi speaking to him, telling him that he was up next. Seeing his name on the screen, Sasuke saw that he was indeed next and nodded to Kakashi before walking down the arena. If you can win your match without having to rely on your chakra, Naruto, then so can I, the Uchiha thought as he walked down to face his opponent. With Team Guy, Sasuke was of course not that only one who was staring at Naruto. Not far from Naruto on the opposite side end of the catwalk, one Hyuga Niji was staring at the young blonde Senji. It seems my suspicions about you were indeed correct, Senju Naruto. You are more than you appear to be, and you may prove to be a challenge after all. At the same time, Niji's female teammate Tenten saw the Hyuga male staring at the Senju heir, and could already guess what her teammate was thinking. Heh! Last year, Hyuga Niji was the genin to beat, but this year, it's Senju Naruto, Yash! That battle was truly inspirational. The flames of youth are truly burning brightly in Naruto-kun and Mai-chan! Cried Lee excitedly, who was now eager to begin his own battle. How right you are, Lee! Both of them are truly in the springtime of their youth. You two must keep training hard, so that your flames of youth may match theirs, declared Guy. Guy-sensei! Cried a teary-eyed Lee. Lee! Said an equally teary-eyed Guy, before the two of them hugged and a giant wave and sunset appeared in the background, after which Guy said, Yes, this is youth, Guy-sensei! Lee! Guy-sensei! Lee! Guy-sensei! Lee! This of course continued for several more moments until Tenten had enough and yelled, Will the both of you just shut up? After which she bashed both of them on their heads, slamming them onto the catwalk floor. Ending the accursed scene, much to the relief of everyone else, and leaving 2 very large lumps on the 2 youth freaks' heads, with Naruto after being healed by his mother, and being warned of a very unpleased talk about what he has been doing for the past 6 months in Konoha. Naruto turned to his female sensei, who was speaking to him. So how are you feeling? All better now, kid? Kushina asked, as she smiled down at her student. Better than I was before. Oh, so you're telling us that you didn't like a hot young girl like her sucking you dry? Asked Kushina with a shit-eating grin. That only grew when she saw Naruto and Hinata blush red and the annoyed looks on Ino's, Haku's and Tsunade's faces. She also noticed that Kiba was looking at Naruto with some jealousy, no doubt wishing he had been in Naruto's shoes. I'm never going to hear the end of this, am I? Asked Naruto, even though he already knew the answer. Probably not, replied a grinning Kushina. Well, it certainly won't be something that will be forgotten anytime soon, remarked an amused Kakashi, where he chuckled slightly when he heard Naruto groan, and tried to hide his face in his arms as he leaned against the railing. So tell us, Naruto, you going to take her up on her offer? As she is quite the looker, asked Kakashi with his traditional eye smile. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Naruto asked without raising his head, as he guessed this was payback from Kakashi for destroying his Ika book after their team test. Kakashi, of course, did not answer this and just continued to smile, which basically answered Naruto's question. Fortunately for Naruto, though, the teasing quickly came to an end, when Tsunade decided to intervene. As she didn't like them talking about Naruto and that tramp, Tsunade's new name for Mai, getting married, let alone the idea of it. Soon enough, the focus of everyone's attention turned from Naruto to Sasuke, where they proceeded to watch Sasuke's match against one of Kabuto's teammates. A genin named Akado Yoroi, who had the power to drain people of their chakra by touching them. The match was difficult enough for Sasuke, as like Naruto he was unable to using his chakra or move properly, thanks to Orochimaru's cursed seal. Despite his handicap, Sasuke was eventually able to gain the upper hand, where he began to imitate some of Lee's moves, showing that Naruto wasn't the only one that learned something from Sasuke's scuffle with Lee, but just when things were going his way. Sasuke's cursed seal started acting up again, and stopped his body from moving, where it began to spread throughout his body. Seeing this, Naruto then yelled, "Is this all what the so-called mighty Uchiha clan is capable of? I expected better of you, team. Are you going to let that thing control you or beat this guy?" Hoping that it would anger Sasuke enough to get him. Thankfully it did work, and motivated Sasuke forced the curse markings back by sheer willpower, like Naruto, much to the surprise of many. After which he took Yoroi down with his Shuriken Lion combo technique. After Sasuke had defeated Yoroi, Kakashi Shunshin body flicker down to Sasuke and picked him up and brought him back to catwalk to rest. Since forcing back the curse seal had taken a lot of him, added with all the injuries he took when he fought Yoroi. With the fight between Sasuke and Yoroi over and Yoroi being taken away by the medics, the screen once again activated and went through the different names. It eventually stopped at Abirame Shino vs Abumi Zaku. Seeing their names coming up, both boys walked down to the arena and faced off. When Shino saw Zaku's arm was in a sling from his encounter with Sasuke, he advised the Oto Genin to forfeit the match. Zaku naturally refused, and instead attacked Shino with his one good arm. In attacking, Shino was given an opportunity to box in Zaku with bugs, forcing Zaku to choose between attacking him or attacking the bugs, leaving the other to attack Zaku from behind. Zaku chose to attack both, and pulled his other arm out of its sling, showing that he could in fact use both arms. Just as Zaku was about to blast the two opposing forces away, his arms detonated, where his right hand was blown off of his body, much to the horror of many like Sakura and Ino. As Zaku writhed, Shino revealed that the tubes in Zaku's arms had been filled with his bugs, causing the pressure of Zaku's attack to go outward when it couldn't escape. Soon after, Shino walked back up to his team, while Zaku was taken away by the medics, along with his now blown-off arm. When Hinata asked Tsunade if it was possible to reattach his arm, the female medic stated it was unlikely given the damage that was done. Naturally, when hearing this, Naruto couldn't help but slightly pity the Oto Genin, despite the fact he had once tried to kill him and his team. As the medics began the cleanup from the battle, Naruto noticed Tenten glancing at his mother every few seconds, as if trying to work up the courage to speak to her. Remember his promise to Tenten, Naruto called the bun-haired girl over. "Kachan, I'd like you to meet Tenten, she'd been wanting to meet you for a long time." When Tsunade heard this, she raised her eyebrow in suspicion and was curious if Tenten was another one of Naruto's fangirls. But before she could say anything, Naruto continued with his introduction. "In fact, you are her idol, and she wants to be just like you." As soon as Tsunade heard this, her suspicion quickly disappeared and smiled down at the young girl, who still looked embarrassed and nervous and didn't know what to say to her hero. "Well, I am quite flattered. It's very nice to meet you, Tenten-san," said Tsunade in a friendly tone, since she rather liked the idea of being the idol of young would-be Kanochis. "Hi, I'm very honored to meet you, Tsunade-sama," answered the nervous Tenten, before Tsunade offered her hand, which she quickly took and shook it vigorously, not believing that she was actually talking to and shaking hands with her idol, who was renowned as the strongest Kanochi in the shinobi world. Soon after, Zaku was taken away and the arena was cleaned up, after which the screen once again went through several names until it stopped at Kankuro and Misumi Tsurugi, the last member of Kabuto's teammates. Like Shino's fight, this fight didn't last very long, in fact it was even quicker. When the fight first started, Misumi quickly wrapped himself around Kankuro's body, in a way that reminded Naruto too much of the way that Orochimaru held him. Once he wrapped himself around Kankuro, Misumi threatened to break Kankuro's neck if he did not forfeit. Much to people's surprise, Kankuro refused, so Misumi made good on his threat and killed Kankuro. But before Misumi's could be declared the victor, Kankuro's face began to crack and break, after which it was revealed that he was a puppet in disguise, while the real Kankuro was hiding where the puppet was supposed to be. After revealing himself, Kankuro quickly made his puppet grab hold of Misumi and brutally constrict him, breaking his bones, without giving Misumi a chance to surrender, which was something Naruto frowned on. With the match done and Misumi being taken away, the screen activated again, where it went through several names until it stopped at Karui vs Haruno Sakura. With Naruto, when Naruto saw the two names, he could only shake his head, knowing how this was going to end. Sadly, Sakura did not see this and believed this fight was a perfect chance to prove herself to Sasuke and show him that she was a strong kunoichi. She even asked him to watch her fight. Sasuke naturally just grunted where he leaned against the railing, as he was still worn out from his fight, despite Shizen healing his injuries at Kakashi's request. As Sakura walked down to face the Kumo Connections, Naruto suddenly spoke. "She would be better off just giving up. Now Naruto, that's rather harsh, don't you think?" "Sakura has a chance of winning this fight," stated Kakashi. "No, she doesn't, not against Karui," replied the Senju heir. "Trust me, I know from past experiences that Karui is no weakling." "If you're so sure she would lose, then why didn't you try and tell her to quit?" asked Yamato. "Because she wouldn't believe me even if I told her, and besides, this will be a good lesson to her and make her realize how weak she really is. Naruto, not everyone can be as strong as you, Sasuke and Sai, and it is rather unfair to her to say that." "Who's saying I'm comparing her to us? Come, Kakashi-sensei, you know as well as I do that compared to others out there, Sakura is weak. How many times have you, Sai, Sasuke or I, have had to save her or protect her, because I can count quite a number of times," stated Naruto. "Hell, she nearly got killed in the Forest of Death, as she wasn't even a challenge to the Odo Genin that attacked her and Sasuke. If it wasn't for Bushibrow over there, arriving in time to save her, both she and Sasuke would be dead now. So trust me when I say, she will lose, and hopefully by the end of this match, she realize just how weak she really is and start training harder." Kakashi, of course, could not really argue with what Naruto was saying, since to be honest, he had a point. Sakura was indeed the weakest member of the team. Sure, she was quite intelligent, and had excellent control over heat chakra and was decent in traps. But when it came to physical skills, like hand-to-hand or weapons, she was average at the very best. Not to mention the girl's priority was on her looks and attracting Sasuke's attention and not on her shinobi training. But even so, Kakashi wanted to have faith in his student and believed that she could rise to the challenge. Sadly though, Naruto's prediction came true. Karui easily defeated Sakura. In fact, the fight barely lasted a full 60 seconds, for as soon as Heir had shouted, "Begin!" Karui charged forward and struck Sakura hard in the stomach, and with such force and speed that the pink-haired girl had little time to even try and block the punch. After the punch, Sakura bended over slightly and was fighting hard not to throw up. She of course had little chance, for as soon as she bended over, Karui continued with her beatdown, with a series of hard punches and kicks. Sakura of course tried to defend herself, but the pink-haired girl was no match for Karui's superior skill and speed. Soon after, Sakura was sent skidding across the ground, covered in several red marks, which would soon turn into bruises and spitting up some blood. Karui had shown the pink-haired no mercy. She even had been disgusted with how weak she was and stated that she was a disgrace to all real Kunoichi. Luckily though for Sakura, Heir called the match and declared Karui the winner, after seeing that Sakura couldn't get up and was fighting to stay conscious, which she soon lost. Once Karui had been declared the winner, Kakashi shunshin down to Sakura and picked her up and brought her to Shizen and asked her to treat his student. As Shizen treated Sakura for her injuries, Naruto could not help but wonder if the pink-haired girl knew how lucky she was. Since as bad as her injuries were now, there would be nothing if Karui had taken her sword out and fought with it. At the same time the screen lit up again, and went through the remaining names, where it eventually came to a stop at Yamanaka Ino vs Samui. With Naruto, when Naruto saw these names appear, he could not help but sigh again, as like the previous match between Karui and Sakura, Naruto already knew the winner. Like Sakura, Ino did not notice Naruto sighing and believed this was a perfect chance to prove herself to her crush Naruto. As she walked by him, she asked Naruto to watch her fight, where Naruto replied that he would. Before she left, he was tempted to tell Ino not to fight Samui and to forfeit, but just as quickly, he decided not to. As soon as she left, he turned to look over at her sensei Asuma. Asuma-sensei, I suggest you get ready to go down there and bring Ino up, since this battle won't last very long. Aren't you being a little harsh, Naruto? I know Ino isn't exactly on par with some of the other girls here, like that my girl you fought. But she has made some good improvements over the past few months. Maybe so, but that won't be enough, not against someone like Samui-chan. Ino stands even less of a chance than Sakura did when she faced against Karui. Is she that strong? Asked Choji with some worry for his teammate. She's stronger. I fought her once a while back, and trust me, she is not someone you should take lightly. More than likely she is even stronger than she was when I last fought her. If you knew all this, why didn't you stop Ino and tell her not to fight that girl? She would have listened to you, said Shikamaru. I didn't say anything, since I'm hoping that she will learn from this defeat and see that she needs to get her priorities straight as a kunoichi and realize that she needs to get stronger. All of you know as well as I do that as long as Ino and Sakura are in their fangirl set of minds, they'll be nothing more than a hindrance to their team. Isn't there an easier way, since I know Ino can be loud and troublesome, but I don't think she deserves a beat down like the one that other girl gave Sakura, stated Shikamaru. Look, I'll admit it's not perfect, but it's the best way, and I won't deny that I underestimated Karui's vicious streak and brutality, and she may have gone a little far with Sakura. But this won't happen with Ino, as unlike Karui, Samui-chan is cool, collective, and level-headed. She won't defeat Ino the way Karui defeated Sakura. She'll make it as quick and as painless as possible, while revealing as little of her skill as possible. But still, don't you think that's still going a little far? Asked Choji. I agree with Naruto, stated Tsunade suddenly, gaining most people's attention. Sometimes a hard dose of reality is the best way to make a person realize how foolish they are. It may seem cruel and harsh, but sometimes it's the best way, especially after seeing how poorly this girl did against that Kumo girl, spoke Tsunade, where she looked down at Sakura when she mentioned her, who was still unconscious after her fight with Karui. As Naruto predicted, the fight did not last very long. In fact, it lasted half the time Sakura's match lasted, for as Naruto said, Samui wasted no time in taking Ino down, wearing an impressive feat of skill and speed. Samui crossed the distance between them in under a few seconds and then delivered a strong punch to the face, followed by an equally strong knee to the gut, and then a sharp chop the back of the neck to knock her out. Once Samui was declared the winner, Asuma jumped down to his fallen student and picked her up and brought her back to the catwalk. There he propped her up against the wall next to the unconscious Sakura, who had just been healed by Shizen. After Samui had rejoined her team, the screen began to go through the remaining genin names. A few seconds later, the screen stopped at Haku and one of the Taki genin. Upon seeing her name on the screen, Haku prepared to jump down to the arena to face her opponent. But before she did, Naruto turned to her and wished her luck in her match, which of course made the girl smile, where she thanked him. Seeing this, Zabuza frowned slightly, since given the way Haku was acting when Mai was kissing Naruto, it was obvious that the female ice users had some feelings towards the young blonde. Knowing this, Zabuza made a mental note to have a little chat with Naruto about Haku at a later time. Soon enough, the match between Haku and the Taki genin started. The match, of course, did not take very long. At the beginning of the match, Haku took out a set of Saban needles, while her opponent took out a kunai. For the first minutes, Haku and the Taki genin exchanged blows with one another with their weapons, and as expected, Haku was winning the battle, thanks to her superior speed and skill. Realizing that he was losing the battle, the Taki genin quickly gained some distance from Haku, where he did some hand seals and spat out several large balls of water at the young ice user. Seeing the balls of water coming at them, Haku skillfully evaded the large globs of water, where they splattered against the wall behind her. After she evaded the water attack, Haku then quickly used the water from the attack to form several dozen long ice needles and fired them at her opponent, who could not evade all the needles in time and was hit in several points on his left arm and leg, causing them to go numb. After which she then finished the genin off with a strong kick to the face, knocking the genin out. With the spectators with the Taki genin knocked out, Haku was instantly declared the winner, after which when the knocked-out genin was taken away, the screen once again lit up, where it went through several names and stopped at Tenten vs Temari. Upon seeing their names, both Kunoichi quickly jumped down onto the arena, where once they were ready Heir shouted, "Begin!" Tenten makes the first move by throwing several kunai at Temari, who easily deflects them. Naturally, when they saw this, Team Guy were surprised that none of the weapons could even scratch or hit Temari. It was only as the fight dragged on that it was revealed that she was deflecting Tenten's projectiles with her fan. Seeing this, Tenten tried another attack that Temari repelled again using wind from her giant folding fan, before warning Tenten that if she sees all 3 stars in her fan, the fight would be over. Eventually Tenten used her Sushoryu, Twin Rising Dragons technique. Uncovering the 2nd star, Temari repelled the attack, where Tenten then used strings to reuse the weapons. Seeing this, Temari uncovered the 3rd star, where she repelled the attack again and trapped Tenten in a cyclone and propelled her into the air. Not unlike what Mai did when she fought Naruto. As the cyclone dispersed, Tenten floated in midair for a few seconds, her clothes in tatters and covered in cuts from the wind attack. Soon after, Tenten began to fall to the ground, unable to do anything, due to her injuries. As Konoha Kunoichi fell, Temari made it a point to position herself underneath Tenten so that she would land on the Suna Kunoichi's closed fan. Seeing what Temari was planning, Naruto acted quickly, where before his mother, Shizun or anyone else could stop him. He jumped onto the railing and propelled himself into the air and caught Tenten right before she could land on top of the closed fan. After which Naruto landed on the ground behind Temari, carrying Tenten in his arms, who was drifting in and out on unconsciousness. In the arena seeing this, Heir quickly called the match. This match has ended, Tenten forfeits the fight due to outside interference. Victory goes to Temari of Suna. Hearing this, Temari smirked in victory, but when she turned around she saw Naruto glaring coldly at her. "You got a problem?" asked Temari with an arrogant-like smirk. "Yeah, I do. I don't like sore winners. You had already won the fight and could have let Tenten fall and land on the ground. But instead you planned to have her land on your fan and injure her even further than was need. The fact you're even saying something like, proves how naive and how much of a kid you really are, as that is how we do things in my village," stated Temari with the same arrogant smirk on her face. "Really? Well, if that's the case, then it's no wonder Suna is at the bottom of the barrel and Konoha is at the top, especially with Kunoichi like you," sneered Naruto. When Temari heard this, she became infuriated and began to growl. "Why you?" before lifting up her fan. But before anything could start, Heir intervened between the two genin. "Enough! There will be no unsanctioned fighting here. Both of you will return to your respected teams now." After a moment or two of glaring at one another, both Temari and Naruto nodded. "Huh, fine. We'll finish this another time, Senju," stated Temari. "Anytime, fangirl," replied Naruto with a sneer, when he saw Temari glare angrily at him for the nickname he gave her, before she stalked angrily away to rejoin her team. Before Naruto could go up and rejoin his mother and his sensei, Heir suddenly spoke to him in a serious tone. "Senju Naruto, given how the battle between Tenten-san and Temari-san was just about over, I am willing to let your interference go. But should you ever interfere with another fight again, regardless of the reasons, you will be disqualified from the exam and you will lose your spot in the finals, am I clear?" At hearing this, Naruto just nodded, indicating that he did understand, and then shunshin back up to join her sensei and mother. When Naruto rejoined his mother and his two sensei, he immediately handed Tenten to Shizun and asked her to treat the young girl. As Shizun began to heal Tenten injuries, Tsunade began to berate Naruto about his actions and because he had jeopardized his place in the exam. Naruto of course responded that he didn't care, since he refused to stand by and let a friend to be treated so callously and allow them to be serious hurt. This of course made Tsunade frown and sigh, since Naruto had a nasty habit of acting rashly regardless of the consequences, especially when he believed he was in the right. Naturally she blamed this part of him on Minato, since the former Hokage was known to act in a similar manner when those around him were in danger. As Tenten was being healed, Lee and Guy went over to Naruto and thanked the young blonde for going to Tenten's aid, stating that they were about to do the same when they saw what was happening. Naturally Naruto told them it was nothing. Soon after Shizun finished healing Tenten, where the bun-haired turned to Naruto and thanked him for saving her and apologized for the trouble she caused him. Naruto of course responded by telling her it was nothing, and would have done it for anyone else, since he found such displays like Temari's disgraceful and unnecessarily cruel. Eventually, Naruto and the others turned to look down at the arena, where Shikamaru was facing against the Oto Kanochi Tsuchikin. When the fight started, Shikamaru tried his Kageme no Jutsu, shadow imitation technique, but Kin easily evaded and threw some Saban needles with bells attached to them. Shikamaru recognized the trick and mocked her for using such basic techniques. Kin then rang the bells using her strings to ring a previously thrown bell on the Saban, starting her Genjutsu. When Shikamaru got caught in Kin's illusion bell needles, he found that he was unable to move, while Kin proceeded to attack him with more Saban needles. However, when Kin tried to attack again, Shikamaru countered by contracting his shadow and minimizing it under the string and into its shadow and then attaching it to a needle she threw, allowing him to connect with her shadow and preventing her from moving. After connecting with Kin's shadow, Shikamaru then threw a shuriken at Kin, which she imitates. Naturally, Shikamaru ducked backwards to evade it, which Kin imitated. This continued for a minute or two, where each time they would walk further and further back. Until when Kin was forced to imitate him again and dodged another shuriken, she did not realize that she was too close to the wall, where she hit her head and knocked herself out, which made Shikamaru the winner of the match. After Shikamaru rejoined his team and Kin had been taken away by the medics, the screen activated again, where after a minute or two it stopped at Yujito vs Inuzuka Kiba. With Naruto and the others, when Naruto saw the two names, two words popped into his head. "Oh boy. Alright, it's my turn to shine. I'm going to cut loose," stated Kiba. Before Naruto could even say anything, the young Inuzuka boy jumped down to the arena to face his female opponent. "This isn't going to be pretty," muttered the young Senju. "Isn't she the one?" stated Jiraiya, where Naruto just nodded, confirming what Jiraiya had guessed. "What exactly do you mean, Naruto-san?" asked Shino, not fully understanding what Naruto was talking about. "What I mean is that Kiba is about to get as seriously handed to him by Yujito-chan," replied Naruto. "How can you be certain of this?" asked Shino. "Because Yujito-chan and I crossed paths a while back, and trust me, I know what she is capable of. Kiba doesn't stand a chance of winning," stated Naruto. "Even if she is as strong as you say, Kiba has improved a great deal, and I still cannot see why you are so certain that he will lose," Kurenai commented. "With all due respect, Kurenai-sensei, it won't matter, since Yujito is stronger and is without a doubt the strongest kunoichi in this exam," answered Naruto. "That is a rather bold remark to make, Naruto. What makes you so certain of this?" Kurenai asked. "Because she is like me," the blonde boy answered. When the others heard this, the genin were naturally confused by what Naruto meant, but Kurenai quickly realized what Naruto was really saying. When he did, her eyes widened in surprise, as did Asuma's and Kakashi's, where they remembered the topic of their earlier conversation with Kushina, when they were waiting for their genin during the first exam. Upon realizing that Yujito was in fact the Jinchuriki of the Nibi no Bakaniko, two-tailed monster cat, Kurenai finally realized why Naruto was so certain that Kiba would lose and began to worry for her student. Since if Yujito could use even a fraction of her Biju's power, then Kiba would stand no chance of winning. Down in the arena as the two genin faced off against one another, Kiba grinned, as he was confident that he could take Yujito. "I suggest that you do yourself a favor and give up. Just because you're a girl, doesn't mean I'm going to go easy on you," said Kiba, since despite the fact he found Yujito hot, he could not help but feel animosity towards the girl, due to her village's past deed towards his female teammate, and because he could smell cats coming off the girl. Naturally, Yujito did not take this comment from Kiba well, as she narrowed her eyes in anger. At the same time, a certain spiky-haired blonde groaned and slapped his forehead, as he knew how much Yujito hated comments like that, and what would most likely happen to Kiba now. As soon as Hate began the match, Kiba used his Shikyaku no Jutsu, for legs technique, where he then fell onto all fours. His appearance also changed, where he began to emanate chakra, his eyes became slits and his toes, hands and canine teeth became claw-like in length. Once he transformed, Kiba then disappeared in a burst of speed and reappeared in front of Yujito and attempted to deliver a sharp elbow strike to her stomach. But before the strike could make contact, Yujito disappeared in a blur, not unlike Kiba, and then reappeared to his left. "Not bad, but you're still not fast enough to keep up with me," spoke Yujito as she reappeared and attempted to swipe at Kiba's exposed side. Fortunately for Kiba, he was able to avoid the attack by flipping sideways to the right, thanks to his enhanced reaction and speed from the Shikyaku no Jutsu. After avoiding the attack, Kiba looked at his side for any injury. Luckily there was none, but he did notice that were claws marks on the side of his coat. When he looked back at Yujito, he saw that her fingernails and toenails had become much longer and were now claw-like, like his own. Surprised? As you can see, you're not the only one who can turn their hands into weapons. Seeing this, Kiba narrowed his eyes and decided to go for a different approach, where he took out and threw several smoke bombs at Yujito. After which he then sent Akamaru into the smoke to attack, knowing that Akamaru could find and attack Yujito through the smoke, by smelling for her, while she would be blind. After sending his K9 partner in, Kiba was confident of Akamaru dealing with Yujito, believing he had the advantage in the smoke. But much to his surprise, Akamaru was sent flying out of the smoke within seconds of entering it, where the poor pup was sent crashing into the wall instead. "Akamaru!" cried Kiba, but could do little, as right after Akamaru, several kunai and shuriken flew out from the smoke, forcing the young boy to jump to the side to avoid them. But as soon as he did this, Yujito appeared in front of him and delivered a strong knee to the gut. This was then followed by a strong spinning reverse heel kick to the face, that sent Kiba flying backwards and crashing into the wall behind him. "TSK, that better not be at Runt, because I haven't even gotten warmed up yet," spoke Yujito angrily. With the Kumo team dash. "Damn, Yujito sure isn't messing about," muttered Oma. "Well, it is hardly surprising," commented Samui, "since you're aware how Yujito reacts to comments like the one that boy made." "Humph, bastard is getting what he deserves," remarked Karui, as like Yujito, she had taken insult to Kiba's earlier comment. With Yujito and Kiba after struggle a bit to get back up on his feet, Kiba was soon joined by Akamaru, who was limping after crashing into the wall. Seeing the state they were in, Kiba knew he had to go all out, where he then quickly took out some food pills and gave one to Akamaru, and then took one himself. Once he took the pill, Akamaru's fur turned red and the little dog suddenly became fiercer and growled angrily at Yujito. After which, he jumped onto Kiba's back when he went on all fours again, where Kiba did a single hand seal and then cried, "Jujin Bunshin, beast human clone!" As soon as Kiba did this, the little dog transformed into a perfect copy of Kiba, making it impossible for Yujito to tell the difference between the two of them. After Akamaru transformed, the two Kibas suddenly jumped forwards and attacked Yujito, intending to finish the fight quickly. Acting fast, the young Kumo Kunoichi flipped backwards to avoid the attack, while at the same time throwing several shuriken at them, forcing them to jump away and break apart. Not to be deterred, the two Kibas charged forward and attempted to attack Yujito from different directions. The first Kiba attempted to swipe at Yujito from the left, which Yujito easily sidestepped, after which she then sidestepped an attack from behind from the second Kiba, who attempted a claw strike from behind, where she then caught the outstretched arm between her right arm and side. After which she then swung him around and sent his crashing into the first Kiba, who had turned around and tried to attack her again with another slash. Still determined, the two Kibas attacked together, where the first Kiba attempted an swipe, which Yujito quickly ducked under and delivered another strong knee to the gut. Acting fast, the second Kiba charged forward and, like the first Kiba, attempted a series of slashes at Yujito with his claws, which Yujito skillfully evaded without much difficulty, proving that her speed and reactions were on greater than the two Kibas, despite their enhancements. Soon after, the two Kibas charged together again, but this time they began to spin around and move forward like two high-speed drills, where they both yelled, "Getsuga, Fong passing Fong!" Surprised by this, Yujito barely avoided the two attacks by jumping up into the air. Acting fast, the two Kibas turned around and attacked Yujito again, who once again skillfully evaded the attacks. Seeing that a direct approach wasn't working, the real Kiba took out some smoke bombs and threw them at Yujito. After which they once again used their Getsuga to attack Yujito from multiple directions, who could barely avoid the attacks due to her lack of sight from the smoke. As the smoke dissipated, those watching the fight could see that Yujito's uniform was torn up a bit, and she had a few light cuts on her body. "Damn it, how can I fully avoid their attacks, when I can't even see from what direction they are coming from?" thought Yujito angrily. The only reason why she was even able to avoid the attacks to the extent she did, was because of several years of intensive training that she went through, where she developed good reaction, speed and timing. Knowing that they had the advantage, Kiba threw several more smoke bombs at Yujito and prepared to attack. "Shit, not again, how the hell can they even find me in this smoke? Since if I can't see them, they can't either," thought the frustrated Yujito, until inspiration suddenly hit her. "Yes, that's it!" As the two Kibas prepared to attack, they suddenly saw a hail of kunai flying out of the smoke through the air in multiple different directions from all sides. Some of them even nearly hit some of the spectators, before they embedded themselves into the wall. Heh, she's getting desperate, she's throwing her kunai blinding in all directions, hoping that one of them will hit us, thought a confident Kiba, believing her had this match in the bag. Alright Akamaru, let's finish this, cried Kiba, before he and his partner jumped up into the air and used their Getsuga to attack again. But what Kiba and Akamaru didn't know was that this was all part of Yujito's plan, for as soon they entered the smoke-filled area, they suddenly got entangled in a web of shinobi wire, where the further they spun around, the more the wire tightened around them and pulled the kunai Yujito threw earlier off the wall. Eventually the two Kibas came to a stop and fell to the ground in two tangled heaps, unable to move, allowing Yujito to strike, where she delivered a powerful kick to one of the Kibas, sending him flying into the wall, where after hitting it, he exploded into a puff of smoke and turned Akamaru, who was no unconscious. With the spectators' dash very impressive, commented Kakashi, as he was quite impressed with female Jinchuriki. What did she just do? Sakura asked as she had just woken up. It's actually quite a clever plan, Kakashi replied. As you know, the smoke screen covered the area around the girl, which prevented her from seeing what direction Kiba and Akamaru were coming from. Kiba and Akamaru, on the other hand, could still locate her, thanks to their heightened sense of smell. But even with this, they still would be unable to see inside the smoke and see what she was doing. Knowing this, the girl then set up a trap, where she tied ninja wire to her kunai and threw them different directions. All she had to do from then on was to wait for Kiba and Akamaru to attack, and like a fly flying into a web, they flew right into the ninja wire, where their high velocity and spinning caused them to get caught in the wire and be tangled up in it, since as you know ninja wire is highly durable and cannot be easily cut. Had Kiba paid closer attention to the kunai that she was throwing, he might have noticed the ninja wire tied to them and realized what she was planning. She definitely has good tactical skills, thought the copynin after he finished explaining to Sakura what Yujito had done. As he was quite impressed with Yujito, since despite her situation, she remained calm and focused and used Kiba's own smoke screen against him and lured him into a trap. Not bad Yujito-chan, not bad at all, thought a smirking Naruto, who stood over a tangled Kiba, who was still trying to free himself. Eventually though, Heir called the match and declared Yujito the winner. After Kiba and Akamaru were freed from the ninja wire and returned to their team, the screen lit up again and went through the remaining names until it stopped at Hyuga Niji versus Hyuga Hinata. This is an interesting matchup, thought the Sandaime when she saw the names. When the members of Team 8 saw this, a worried look appeared on the members' faces. Hinata, thought a concerned Kurenai and Shino. Damn it, of all people, it had to be him, thought Kiba as he knew what this meant for his female teammate. The members of Team 8 weren't the only ones worried, since Niji's sensei Guy was equally concerned since he knew Niji's feelings towards the members of the main branch. This could be trouble, thought Naruto, as after meeting Guy and Lee, Naruto had asked around some things on them and their team. From what he had heard, Niji was Hinata's cousin, as both their fathers were twin brothers. But since Hinata's father was the eldest of the two, he was made a member of the main family, while Niji's father became a member of the branch family. Also, according to rumors, Niji was considered a highly gifted prodigy. He graduated as the Rookie of the year before, and was said to be the most gifted member of the clan to be born in over 100 years. It was even said that there was some kind of infighting between the two branches of the clan, although reasons for it were exactly clear. It was believed to be because of some old traditions of the clan that favored the main branch family. After seeing her name appear, Hinata slowly walked down the catwalk to the arena. When she went by Naruto, he turned to her and said, "It doesn't matter if you win or lose, Hinata-chan, just do your best, okay, arigato Naruto-san," replied Hinata with a small nervous before moving down to the arena. When Hinata and Niji were facing one another, Niji told Hinata that she should forfeit, stating that she wasn't suited to be a kunoichi of the village. Hinata of course denied it, and said she wanted to become a kunoichi of the village so that she could become stronger. But Niji countered this by saying people could not change and that their fate was always decided from the moment they were born up until they died, and that his Byakugan could see that she was still weak and afraid. After hearing this, Hinata's already fragile confidence began to crumble. Seeing this, Niji continued with his verbal assault, slowly breaking Hinata's will to fight. But before he could deliver the final blow, Naruto suddenly spoke up. "Don't this listen his garage, Hinata-chan!" yelled Naruto, gaining everyone's attention. He doesn't know what he is talking about. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know the real you. You're stronger than this. I know it, and he's wrong. People can change and become stronger. All you've to do is believe in yourself like I do in you. You can show him and everyone else how much of a retard he really is." When Niji heard this, he gave Naruto an annoyed glance and thought he was being nothing more than a fool. But when turned back to Hinata, he was surprised to see that Hinata had now activated his Byakugan and fallen into a fighting stance. As somehow Naruto's little speech had restored Hinata's confidence in herself. When Kurenai and some of the others saw the sudden change in Hinata, many couldn't help but be slightly amazed by it. As only moments ago the young Hyuga girl was on the verge of giving up, but after Naruto finished speaking to her, she suddenly regained the will to fight. Seeing this, Tsunade couldn't help but smile slightly, as for some strange reason Naruto could always change people for the better, whether by simply talking to them or by just being around them. Seeing that Hinata intended to fight, Niji activated his own Byakugan and fell into a similar stance as Hinata. After falling into their stances, Lee went on to explain to Sakura and Ino, who asked what they were doing, that the stances they were taking were from the Juken, gentle fist, fighting style. He then went on to explain that the style was used solely by the Hyuga clan and was their signature fighting style, and that it allowed the user to inflict internal damage to an opponent through the body's chakra pathway system. According to Lee, even the slightest tap could cause severe internal damage, hence the name Juken. After exchanging Juken-style blows, for several minutes Hinata seemed to be on the verge of defeating Niji, only for Niji to reveal that he had plugged up Hinata's chakra points, rendering her gentle fist useless. He also hit a chakra point close to one of Hinata's vitals moments beforehand, which resulted in Hinata falling to her knees and spitting up blood, putting her in a critical condition. Naturally, when Naruto saw this, he didn't take it well and was about to jump in to stop the fight, but before he could, both Yamato and Kushina grabbed hold of the blonde and stopped him, and told him he could not interfere or else he'd be removed for the exam. Naruto of course retorted, saying he couldn't stand by and let a friend be hurt. At this, Kushina responded that she wouldn't let him interfere, as this was Hinata's battle and she had to fight this one by herself. Before Naruto could reply to this, he saw the young Hyuga girl slowly get back onto her and prepared to continue the fight. Niji of course told her that fighting her any further was pointless and that she had already lost. However, Hinata refused to back down, insisting that Niji, not she, was fighting against what could not be changed. When the young Hyuga boy heard this, he became enraged and charged at Hinata, intending to deliver a killing blow. Seeing this, Naruto was able to jump over the railing only to be stopped by his Yamato, who grabbed hold of him again. Just when Niji was only a few feet from Hinata, he was stopped by Hate, Kakashi, Guy and Kushina, while Kurenai stood behind Hinata and caught her as she collapsed from the pain of her internal injuries that finally became too much for her to handle. "Niji, stop this at once," spoke Guy as held Niji back from behind and spoke in a tone with unusual seriousness. "You swore to me that you would not let you issues with the main family get to you. Why did you and the other Jonins come out?" Niji asked angrily, after being stopped from finishing Hinata off. "Does the main family receive special treatment?" After seeing Hinata collapse in pain, Naruto finally broke free of his sensei's grip and jumped down to the arena, and was quickly followed by Shizen and his mother, who saw the state Hinata was in and went to help her, knowing the injuries she was suffering from. When they got to Hinata, Shizen and Tsunade quickly began to use their Shozen Jutsu, Mystic Palm technique, to heal the girl's internal injuries. "Naruto-kun, did I get stronger?" asked Hinata weakly when she saw Naruto standing kneeling next to her, as she fought to stay conscious. "Yeah, Hinata, you did great," answered Naruto with a kind smile, which in turn made Hinata smile before finally losing consciousness. After Hinata lost conscious, he turned to his mother. "Will she be alright? Her internal injuries are severe, but they're nothing we can't handle, so she should be fine in a couple of days, with enough time and rest." Naruto just nodded after hearing this, as he was pleased with hearing the news that Hinata would be okay. However, his mood quickly changed, when he stood up and turned to look at Niji, who had a cold, uncaring look on his face, after being let go by the guy and the other Jonin. "You look like you've something to say," spoke the Hyuga prodigy as he looked at Naruto, who was glaring coldly at him. "Why did you do this? Why did you go so far on Hinata? Aren't the two of you from the same clan? She's your cousin, for God's sake. Does family mean so little to you?" asked Naruto angrily. "She's was weak and a dropout is a dropout, they can never change," replied Niji coldly. "I don't see why you even care, She wasn't like you or I Senju. She was born weak. I don't even understand why you should care so much about a failure like her. She may have been born of the main family, but fate decided long ago that she was to be born weak, just as it decided that we would face one another in the exam, and that I would win. At hearing this, many of the other jonin couldn't believe how callously Niji was acting towards Hinata. Tsunade herself frowned at hearing how coldly one member of a family was towards another, but quickly remembered that the Hyuga clan wasn't exactly the warmest group of people. But still she could not help but glare slightly at Niji, as she could tell for the injuries Hinata was suffering, that Niji was indeed trying to kill Hinata. "Shut up!" yelled Naruto angrily as he felt his temper rise up. "I am nothing like you. I would never try and kill a member of my own family. I would sooner rip off my own arm than do something like that. Fate had nothing to do with this match. You were just looking for an excuse to attack Hinata. Just because of some petty feud between your clan, and if you know what's good for you, you will not insult her again." At this Niji frowned slightly, but quickly smirked coldly at Naruto. "She is worthless." When Niji said this, Naruto lost it and charged at Niji with his fist raised. Seeing this, Niji prepared to fight, but just when Naruto was 3 feet away from him, he was suddenly stopped dead in his tracks by Jiraiya, who appeared in front of Naruto and grabbed his arm. "Kid, settle down, get out of the way, Jiraiya!" yelled Naruto, which showed how angry the boy was, since he rarely called Jiraiya by his real name. "This bastard is going to pay for what he did to Hinata-chan. Kid, I understand how you feel, but you can't just attack him like this. You're already on a fine line with what you did with that other girl. If you attack him now, you could get booted from the exam," said Jiraiya as he tried to reason with his godson. "I don't care!" roared Naruto, as he struggled to free himself from Jiraiya's grip. As Naruto continued to struggle, the Toad Sage could see the curse markings starting to slowly spread throughout Naruto's body, gaining strength from Naruto's anger. Who was too furious and high on adrenaline to notice the pain coming from the curse seal, or see the markings spreading. "He's gotta pay for what he did!" yelled Naruto as he glared angrily at Niji, who stood directly behind Jiraiya. "And I am not going to stop until he is a bloody smear at the end of my fist." Naturally, at hearing this, many of those who knew Naruto, like Team 10, the Kiri Genin, the Kumo team, and the other members of Team 7 and 8, were surprised by the level of animosity that Naruto was showing Niji. Since Naruto actually looked ready to kill Niji. Not far from them and looking down at Naruto, a disguised Orochimaru could not help but be amused by the whole situation. He was especially amused by Naruto's rage and how violent he could be once angered, and saw it as a possible way he could use to get to Naruto and have him join him, Orochimaru. Seeing how furious his godson was and how the curse markings were spreading, Jiraiya knew he had to calm Naruto down before he went out of control. "Naruto, I know you're angry, but he isn't worth getting booted out of the exam," spoke Jiraiya. "Trust me when I say this, you'll get your shot at this shit stain. There's a time and place for this sort of thing, but not now. So for now just hold it, until the finals, where you can kick his ass in front of everyone. If not for your own sake, do it for the girl. I don't think she would want you getting kicked out of the exam over what happened to her." After hearing this, Naruto slowly started to calm down, as he began to realize that Jiraiya was right. As Naruto calmed down, the curse markings slowly retreated back, after which the mark started to hurt again, causing Naruto to cover it and hiss slightly from the pain. Eventually the pain faded and Naruto slowly walked back to Hinata and the others, where the young Hyuga heiress was being loaded onto a stretcher by medics, who took her away to be treated further. Seeing this, Naruto closed his fist in anger, where he then knelt down and dipped his hand in Hinata blood that was on the ground. This of course caused several people like Tsunade and Jiraiya to frown and began to wonder what Naruto was doing. When Naruto stood back up, he turned to stare at Niji with a hardened look, showing how serious he was right now, where he stretched his arm out forward, with his fist closed and blood dripping from it. "This I swear in Hinata's blood, I will make you pay for what you did to her. I will defeat you and I won't stop until I've pounded you into the ground and shattered that so-called belief of yours." "Bold words," replied Niji calmly, unafraid of Naruto's vow. "But can you back them up?" At this Naruto narrowed his eyes and glared coldly at the Hyuga, and said, "You've no idea what I am capable of, team." At this remark Niji frowned, where the two genin continued to glare at one another until their respected sensei placed their hands on their shoulders and led them away back up to the catwalk so that the next match could begin.